just a bloke in a bar.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to Bloke in a Bar. And I'll tell you what, huge night. That's right, maroon and blue jumpers and hats dropping tonight at 6 p.m. It is the jumpers are $89.99 for Bloke Club members, $99.99 for non-Bloke Club members. The hats are $34.99 for Bloke Club members, $39.99 for non-Bloke Club members. So make sure to join the Bloke Club if you haven't. This is a large jumper. So if you want them a little bit tighter, just go down one size. But I usually wear large shirts, and this fits fine. But I can also fit a medium as well. So if you want a bit tighter, just go down one size. That is tonight. Very limited edition, guys. We ship worldwide. Sizes go all the way up to I think 7XL. Make sure to be there. It's the best way to support the platform. And these are the highest quality knits we've ever done. We've never done knits before. This is the highest quality product we've ever done. Matter of fact, the people that make these, they also make another brand that's like a high-end brand, and for the same hoodie, they charge like $200. Not hoodie, sorry, same jumper. They charge like over $200. So make sure to get in tonight at 6 p.m. at www.bloke.shop. Do not miss it. Limited supply. We've never done these before. And once these are gone, they are gone.
Up to 6XL.
Up to 6XL, guys. So make sure to be there. Do not miss it. As I said, once these are gone, they are gone. We're not restocking this year at all. The hats as well, not restocking this year at all. And who knows, we may not do this design again. We might go back to hoodies next year as well. So make sure to be there tonight at 6 p.m. The Guru, how you going, brother?
I'm good, mate. So what if you want a blue one? You want to get there quickly? Because I imagine they're going to move at the moment.
Yes, there
Stocks are high.
Hey?
Stocks are high.
Stocks are high, mate. They are high. They are quite high. But I've got a lot of faith in the Queensland spirit. It's going to come through.
You spelt dynasty wrong.
Oh my God! Here we go. Just clip that up. It has been sickening to watch New South Wales win one game of Origin and they're already talking dynasty. Absolute sickening stuff. Timmy, how you going?
I'm good, mate. Still buzzing from the weekend. The big Josh Papali'i milestone game down in the capital. Freaking freezing down there by the looks of it. But the fans turned out for it, which was great. Snowing through the snowy mountains. But for anyone like myself that had the winter woolly on, the bloke jumper, not an issue.
Good to go.
Yeah,
good to go. Alrighty, let's get straight into it, shall we? Trying to think anything else coming up. Oh, DJ Grumpy upcoming gigs. 13th on Friday. DJ Grumpy was swinging some tunes at Shelley Caff in Barangaroo from 10 till 12:30, along with some free samples. So plenty of discounts and maybe a coffee special as well. So get down for some free samples. And then the 14th, Saturday, Grumpy and Rusty Rabbit will be serving tunes and coffee at Vision Personal Training. A part of their event. Oh, they're spelt incorrectly.
That'll get you.
I was like, what?
Absolutely rattled me.
It rattled me. Apart from their event to support Beyond Blue, Grumpy and Rusty will be going from 9 till 10/10:30. So get down. That's Friday. DJ Grumpy, he'll be at the Shelley Caff. And then 14th, Grumpy and Rusty Rabbit will be at Vision Personal Training. All right, it's time to face the music. Brought to you by our friends over at Sportsbet. And just quietly, listen, I tried to tell her to get around me on the feed. I've had a huge month, actually. So 2 weeks ago, I had a $70, a $50 multi, and an $18 multi go. And then on the weekend, look, it's almost, I'm seeing them like what is it, watermelons, like pumpkins? I'm just seeing them. I'm seeing them.
Like pumpkins.
Pumpkins merch coming soon.
Pumpkin merch coming soon. $49. Dylan Walker and Harry Hayes getting the job done. Seeing them like pumpkins, guys. Seeing them like pumpkins. And look, 860 of you got on it. So 860 of you know punting. Get around me on the feed. Give us a follow, guys. I'm seeing them like pumpkins. And also this Wednesday, the World Test Championship final between Australia and South Africa kicks off, and the Grubs have sorted. The Grubs have you sorted. They're hosting a live stream watch party for the opening session of day one, starting at 7 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time on Sportsbet's YouTube, with the first ball at 7:30 p.m. Skip, Hammy, Rambo, and Flanners will bring you their far from expert analysis at the session, and no doubt plenty of shit takes, but also a lot of laughs. That's 7 p.m. Wednesday night on Sportsbet YouTube channel. Alrighty, here's the results. As you know, Hammy is not here today. He's got a Sportsbet shoot, but I'm going to read them out. Knights versus Manly, no one got any points. Storm versus Cowboys, only Timmy got points by selecting Storm minus 14.5. Dolphins versus Dragons, Guru gets 13 plus at 280. Matty gets Dolphins minus 5.5. Sharks versus Warriors, Hammy and Matty both picked Warriors. Hammy head to head, Matty with the start. Nobody got points in the Broncos Titan game. Only Hammy got points in Raiders versus South, picking Raiders -8.5. Denon and Maddie get points in Panthers v Tigers. Denon got the 1 to 12 Panthers, and Maddie got the Tigers +9.5. Denon got Bulldogs head-to-head at 140. Timmy and Maddie had Bulldogs -8.5. Alrighty, this week, a terrible week for all of us. Matt 760, Hammy 456, myself 435, Timmy 380, Guru 280. What a disgraceful week by all of us. That is actually embarrassing. That is embarrassing. We are so bad. Okay, overall, Maddie is taking over the lead, $1.25 Myself, $125.18. Myself, $124.19. Guru, 98.77. Timmy, 91.76. And Hammy all the way down at 84.44. No wonder he didn't turn up.
Mate, Hammy came second this week, and he's 6 behind Daylight.
Mate,
that's unbelievable.
Honestly.
Coming for you, Roo. You getting nervous there, mate? All right.
Not when I'm hitting 280s like fucking pumpkins. We're good.
Oh, my God. Are you seeing them like pumpkins lately?
Sure.
I'm seeing them like pumpkins. Absolutely. So that is Face of Music, brought to you by Sportsbet. Give us a follow on the feed, guys. I've been seeing them like pumpkins, as I said. Get around me. Look, and a thank you wouldn't go astray. I got a few thank yous in the Instagram, but there's 860 of you that didn't send a thank you. But that's all right. Don't worry about it. Your weekend's on me. Those brownie points that you score with the misses, yeah, that was me. But anyway, alrighty, it is now time for Code Story of the Week. Guys, go to codesports.com.au/bloke and enter the redemption code bloke, and you'll get access to a special discounted price of $49 for the entire year. It works out to be like $4 or something each month for the best articles in sport, not just rugby league, but in sport in general. Like, here's some stories this week alone. The NRL bans 2 agents, targets 5 more player managers in a major crackdown. They got why Queensland axed DCE, the inside story on that. Serraldo's plan A, B, and C inside every minute of Lockie Galvin's Bulldogs debut. And the bad news bears Channel 7's war with the NRL's newest CEO exposed. And that one is a juicy story. You don't want to miss that one. So as I said, guys, go in, use the code, $4 per month, getting the best insight in sport. All right, Carianis, here's joining us today. How you going, brother?
I'm good, boys. How are we?
Very, very good. Thanks, mate. What have you got for us today? It's juicy, I know that.
Well, it's an interesting one. It's obviously around Origin time at the moment, and there's some speculation regarding Kalyn Ponga's future and what he may do in terms of his representative eligibility. And it's a really interesting one because in the lead up to Origin 1, he actually sat down with Troy Grant, who heads the International Rugby League Federation, and spoke about, I guess, trying to get a lay of the land of where his eligibility may be, because, you know, there's no doubt he's considering a switch to play for the Kiwis at some point, which would rule him out of playing for Queensland, because you can't play for Queensland and New Zealand. Obviously, there was that drama last year when he was picked. He was going to be picked in the Kangaroo squad and pulled himself out and said, he wanted to focus on Newcastle. But the reality is he doesn't want to play for the Kangaroos. So for Kalyn, it's a long-term choice of Queensland or the Kiwis.
Wow. That is huge. Like, because when you see those stories, you kind of think, you know, maybe he's just like tossed it up a little bit. And I can understand if you've got heritage from a different country, you kind of sit back at times and you might have, you know, been overheard talking about it. So there's nothing like, I guess that would be normal for someone that has heritage from different areas of the world, I guess. But to actually hear one of the game's biggest superstars, that's also an Origin superstar that has also played for under 21's Australian side, I think, to hear him say, reportedly, essentially, he doesn't want to play for Kangaroos. And I think, like, without him pulling out last year, you would say how true that is, but like it kind of all begins to add up. Like the puzzle seems to fit together, like pulling out of the Australian thing last year and then hearing this as well. So it's genuinely, it happened. He wants to play for the Kiwis.
Well, I don't know. He's definitely considering, right?
Yep.
He hasn't formally submitted any application to change because he loves Queensland and wants to play. He doesn't want to give up that Queensland jersey. In a way, if he could play for Queensland and New Zealand, he'd do that tomorrow, right? But the way the rules work, it doesn't happen. So the choice for him, and he's torn, naturally, is giving up that Queensland jersey to chase that Kiwi jersey. It's not a choice of Australia or New Zealand. It's my understanding. In Kalyn's mind, right? It's a choice between Queensland and New Zealand. And you know, the issue was AJ Brimson, right? So Kalyn Ponga and AJ Brimson a few years ago played in that World Nines competition for Australia. And that was supposed to rule them out of being able to switch to another Tier 1 nation, which meant that they were supposed to have to play for Australia at the international level. Well, AJ Brimson has switched his allegiance from Australia, having played for Queensland, to England. And the International Rugby League Federation approved that switch despite him playing in that Nines tournament. And this is what's opened the path now for Kalen to do the same, because they didn't recognise, at the time, they recognised that tournament as a sort of a top-tier competition and something that was going to continue on. Well, it was one and done, and it hasn't come back since. Okay. So they've sort of gone, well, that was a bit of a Mickey Mouse competition, so we're not recognising that now, which allowed AJ Brimson to switch from essentially Queensland to England, and now paves the way. If Kalen wants to do it, there'll be nothing stopping him from being able to make that switch.
So, because I don't know the rules, word for word, but I also heard that, like, if it's been like 4 years or something, that you can switch top tier nations or something like that.
Yeah, well, that's what Tony Carroll did a long time ago, right? Tony Carroll represented the Kiwis and then eventually represented Australia again. But the fact that if he plays for the Kiwis at some point, he can do it. He can do it now, right? Because he hasn't played for Australia.
Yep.
But it will rule him out of Origin.
Queensland, okay.
So that's the thing. That's the thing that he's tossing up. He really is proud of his Maori culture and would love to represent that, and does that in the All-Stars, right? Whether that's enough to satisfy him, I'm not sure. But there's no doubt Kalen Ponga is thinking about playing for the Kiwis at some point.
Jeez, like I understand it. Like, it all makes sense in my head, but as an Aussie, it stings. It just stings. I don't know what it is. It just stings. And like, I watch other players play for Samoa when they play for New South Wales, but there's just I don't know. It stings me.
The whole thing's just a shit fight, realistically. So when KP played in the World Nines, which I 100% agree, it was a Mickey Mouse comp. It shouldn't count. Did he know at the time that was going to rule him out of?
Yeah, I'm not sure. That's mixed, right? Not sure. I'm not exactly sure, because that was a discussion point last year when this sort of came up, that, well, you could argue that it wasn't an official tournament, but it wasn't something that was going to have any longevity. And had he known at the time that was going to restrict him, maybe he would have made a different choice. I'm not sure. But, in that years, that's a few years now, maybe he's become closer connected to his culture as well. That happens too, right?
Yeah.
So, or he feels satisfied at the Origin level. I'm not sure, right? But, it was a big decision. The AJ Brimson one was a big decision, because it sets the precedent now to allow Kalen to do the same.
I will say, even just in my own life, as you get older, you do become much more aware and important how important your country is, your heritage is, where you're from, all the privileges you have because of your country. Like, when I was younger, don't get me wrong, I loved Australia, but I was nowhere near as appreciative of Australia as I am as I get older. So it's only natural as you get older and potentially get a bit closer to your heritage. But it's a huge problem the game is going to face, and you guys know I love to say this, but the rubber's going to meet the road at some stage, and hopefully Australia's seen them like pumpkins when it does. But it is, what does the game do? Because you don't want to ruin Origin, and I don't know whether it would ruin Origin by allowing him to play for New Zealand and allowing other players to play for England or whatever. But it would be weird, and I don't know why, because it doesn't make actual sense logically. But, like, for example, if Sam Burgess was all of a sudden going to play for New South Wales when he was coming through, that would just be strange. Even though, what's the difference between Crichton playing for New South Wales and us sitting here saying he could be the captain of New South Wales, but he can also play for Samoa? There is no real difference.
But I think you need to look at it. Well, I think they need to make a decision now for the next 50 years, realistically, where I think if they don't change it, I think it will ruin Origin. I think you're going to end up having a state of Origin with the best players not playing in it.
And that's I think something that doesn't get talked about enough is that the NRL is kind of in a position where a lot of people go, oh, we'll just have hard and fast rules, and anyone that was born in each state has to play for each state. But they can't afford to do that, because you would genuinely have two sides that would be at least 6 or 7 players on either side that probably wouldn't be in the... Yeah. But how is it fair right now on English and Kiwis, right? It's not fair.
I think the difference would be, and again, it's still blurred lines. I'm not saying it's right, but, you're Brian Toto and Stephen Crichton, who grew up in New South Wales, like a Sam Burgess to do it. He didn't grow up here. He grew up in England and all that. So there's probably the line.
But, like, for example, Kalen Ponga is a perfect example. He could, right now, if he was Samoan, had Samoan heritage, and let's replace New Zealand with Samoa, he could play for Samoa and play for Queensland. But right now, so the New Zealand, I understand where the Kiwis are coming from, because they're like, this is bullshit. We've got a lot of players, not a lot of players, but they would assume that there are a lot of players that play for Samoa or Tonga that would be eligible for the New Zealand that just say no to New Zealand, because they go, well, why would I play for New Zealand when I can't play Origin? I'll go play for my heritage of my mother's side of the family, whilst I can also play Origin. It's an unfair field for the Kiwis.
It's bullshit for New Zealand.
Yeah.
It sucks for New Zealand. They are just out and out losers. And, when you have a look at the international game as it stands right now, like I don't think it's like. I think there's every chance in the next 10 years we could get a World Cup final that is Samoa v Tonga.
I reckon 5 years in 5 years' time, Samoa or Tonga, most likely Tonga with Katoa as the 7, will win a big trophy.
Yeah, and there's a world where the two of them play in a World Cup final, but they're not top tier nations.
Yeah, I
Like
get that.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, so the top tier is all about resources and everything.
They don't play footy in Tonga. Like, you know what I mean? There's no local competition. So there's lots, PNG's far more ahead of the curve than those other nations. And let's not forget where PNG will be in 10 years' time once they have an NRL side as well. In my head, I would love to see eventually that Origin becomes a standalone, right? And you can only represent Australia after playing Origin. But at the same weekend we're having Origin, we've got Samoa v Tonga in a 3-match series where it's just as big as Origin. And if we can get to that point, I don't think it's going to dilute Origin as much. Obviously, some of those players, obviously with no To'o, Crichton, Lua, whatever the case may be, it would make the side a little bit weaker, but it's not going to significantly devalue Origin. But if we can rise the international game and have those nations competing in a 3-match series that sits alongside Origin, I think that would be huge for the game.
So the other side of the coin is in 20 or 30 years' time, if you open the door in State of Origin, which I think they have to do, like there's every chance you'll have a Kangaroos side without many Origin players in.
Which is very strange.
I don't like that.
Yeah.
That doesn't sit well with me.
In 50 years' time, there is every chance you'll be picking a Kangaroos side with maybe 2 or 3 Origin players.
And people go, come on, mate, Origin hasn't been a trial for the Australian side in a while. I'm not saying Origin is a trial for the Australian side, but like it's like saying, it's like almost saying, like, I'll represent my street, but I'm not going to represent the suburb the street is in. Like Queensland and New South Wales, they are in Australia. And that's why we find ourselves in a strange situation because we want to grow the game. But at the end of the day, the NRL is an Australian competition. And so it's this weird push and pull. I honestly, this is the one, I just don't know the answer.
I love these blokes playing for their like Samoan time. I love it, right? I think it's great for the international game, but that's what we need to focus on in building the international game up. Don't be scared of what happens with Origin, right? Like, because Origin will always be a huge beast. But if we can build that international game up so they can sit essentially alongside Origin at the same time of the year where if it's a standalone weekend, we've got Friday, Saturday, Sunday slots, the broadcasters get some content over the course of the weekend, the NRL competition comes to a halt, I think we can build that rivalry up to be quite significant.
I'm with you, Mick. I think it'd be like, it could potentially be as big, if not bigger than Origin. You put Samoa and Tonga against each other for that rep weekend. Unbelievable footy, and as it showcased the international game. It makes Tonga and Samoa stronger when it comes to World Cup time and all that. It'll be unbelievable. And yeah, sure, it'd suck losing the Polynesian boys to Origin, the Blues, Maroons, but for the sake of the game, Origin would still be massive. I just think that's a winning idea.
Yeah, I've always been a big fan of like a magic month or whatever you want to call it, or a representative month of rugby league, and the NRL stops for that period. They still go back maybe during certain weeks or whatever. That we'd work out the details, and then you just invest a bunch of money to give the international game. In regards, you have you even call it Pacific Cup, but you just don't have Australia in it because they're obviously playing. I guess the only argument against that is that if the demographics keep trending the way they're trending, in 20 years, there's a good chance that 80% of the NRL will be Polynesian or Indigenous. And so then you all of a sudden have a situation where players that don't make Samoa or Tonga, they've put their allegiance to Samoa or Tonga or PNG or wherever, Fiji, Cook Islands, and they don't make that side, and they're just sitting out playing either New South Wales or Queensland Cup. And all of a sudden, New South Wales versus Queensland, you're looking at like essentially reserve graders. That if the demographics continue, because like right now, if you go back 20 years, I think it might have been like 20% of the NRL was Polynesian Indigenous. Now it is over 50%, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it's huge. But don't discount some of those the Polynesian players wanting to play for New South Wales and Queensland too. They're not all wanting to play for Samoa and Tonga, right? So it's like, I don't think it's going to... I get what you're saying, then, because that's the way it's tracking, right?
Yep.
Where it's going to be dominated in the NRL in terms of players and the like. But I don't think it's going to... Fundamentally, I don't think it's going to hurt the Origin concept because there's going to be more than enough talented players to play for New South Wales, to play for Queensland. But I think it's about building another aspect of the game, getting different revenue streams and given the game in New Zealand a huge booster because that's where that game should be hosted. If you've got 3 test series in New Zealand, we're seeing what the Warriors are doing essentially by themselves in that country, right? If they got some assistance to have a game like this, 3 games like this over there, marquee matches every year, it would be huge.
I'll never forget Tonga versus England, looking at that Tongan crowd in 2017 or something like that. It was actually insane. James Graham talks about how he's played in, grand finals, I think, and everything. He said he's never had an experience like that with the Tongan fans. Oh man, it's such a hard thing. Do you think that this Kalyn Ponga, the game's biggest superstar, could he be the final kind of nail in the coffin of the old style of thinking potentially, and there has to be changes made?
I hope not. I don't like the. I wouldn't like to see a player represent England and in New South Wales. Like Victor Radley's a prime example, right? Victor Radley he's a better example than Sam Burgess. I'm with Tim. There's no way Sam Burgess could have ever played Origin under any system, right? He should never been, he would have been awesome to watch Sammy play, right? Origin. But I just don't see a world where that happens. But Victor Radley is a prime example of someone that could play for New South Wales and could play for England. I don't like it because I would just want to see the international game stand on its own 2 feet because Origin will always be there, right? So if we can get that international game as epic as it can be, and have a 3-match series where it stands alone, I think that would be huge for the game.
Do you have you got any feel of if they say to KP, no, you have to choose? Could we see KP say, I'm no longer playing for Queensland later?
That will be the choice, I think, because at the moment they're not changing the rules.
Yeah, okay.
Or
right.
KP 2027 Rugby World Cup pisses off to Union for a couple of years, plays in the World Cup. I understand easy said than done, but Ponga's a freak. I think you'd back him to make that All Black squad. He can play for the Maroons, he can play for New Zealand and represent them, and then if he wants to, he can come back to league and then play for the Maroons again. That's a serious option, with the time frame.
Yeah. Wow. Only thing is just that All Black side. You'd have to go there a couple of years early, I reckon, to make that All Black side. To even think about making that All Black side because it's so hard to make.
Are the All Blacks in a strong position as they have been in previous years?
I don't think as strong as maybe 10 years ago, but they're still like a top real top tier side. I think it's South Africa that's the best side in the world now. I could be wrong though. Don't know much about Union, and comments about going to be able to get annihilated. But I think you could argue South Africa are the big dogs now. They've won back-to-back World Cups, I think.
Don't look at me.
Okay, don't look at you. I think they've won back-to-back World Cups, and it's the first time since a long time.
Right, I think,
yeah. Anyway, super interesting. Wow, that is if that happened, talk about bombshells. I mean, that'll feed the kids for a generation, that story. The headlines.
You talk about when KP obviously played for the Kangaroos in that under-19 side. In that team was KP, Victor Radley and AJ Brimson.
Yeah, wow.
Was that against France? Did they play France?
Yep, they absolutely gave it to them. 60-odd-0. Dave Fafita was the skipper.
No way.
It's interesting side. Pappy, Campbell Graham, Brian
and Mel
Kelly.
was the coach, wasn't he?
No, Neil Henry was.
Oh, okay.
Tino on the
bench.
bench.
It was like a random under-23s team or something like that played a full...
We're down at...
Wollongong.
Wollongong, yeah.
Correct.
Yep. Wow. Matty, did you get to have a look?
Yeah, South Africa are number 1, and they've won back-to-back World Cups.
I get rugby league. This is not even a league podcast. It's a union podcast.
I've been seeing rugby like pumpkins.
Mate, you're seeing rugby like pumpkins. I've been hiding in plain sight. I'm a sleeper agent. Just woke up. Mate, make sure, look, as I said, the stories this week, they're huge. Banning, we all love player agent chat. Hasn't that been just a story of the year, the player agents, banning player agents or people getting fines, 5 more in them under the microscope. And obviously the Kalyn Ponga story, a deeper dive in that on Code Sports. Why Queensland acts DCE, we'll get into that in a second. And Cam Serraldo, plan A, B and C. Inside every minute of Galvin's Bulldogs debut. And bad news bears, Channel 7's war with the NRL's newest CEO. So make sure to go to Code
I've got
Sports.
exclusive for you as well, mate.
Okay.
Cam Munster, Maroons captain, exclusive, not via me, but Dave Riccio.
Oh, that just happened. That just dropped then?
Just dropped.
Wow. Interesting. Cam Munster. I thought they would have gone Harry Grant. That's interesting. Munster.
Mad dog.
Okay. We'll get to that in a second then. But anyway, Code Sports, and that's on Code Sports right now as well.
Yep, it would be.
Would be, yeah, because Rigo. All right, codesports.com.au/bloke. Use code bloke. Get your discount. Massive thank you to Carrie Arnott for coming on. You got Instagram and that, don't you? No, don't. No,
okay.
On
X.
Okay, you're on X. Mate, I don't go near X. That is a fucking...
Instagram, not for me.
Mate, thanks so much for joining us, bro. I appreciate it.
See you, boys.
All right, it's time for Origin Chat, brought to you by Grumpy Coffee. Go to grumpycoffee.com.au. Grab your Grumpy Coffee today. Beautiful, beautiful. We've got two different blends. Got the Everyday, the Very Grumpy. The Very Grumpy is a bit of a darker blend, whereas Everyday is more of a crowd pleaser. My favourite is the Everyday. We've got the Everyday pods here. We all love the Everyday pods. We've got pods, we've got whole bean, and we've got ground as well. grumpycoffee.com.au. You'll get to your house in 24 to 48 hours. Okay, the selection for Queensland are Kurt Catewell, Paddy Carrigan, Coates, Collins, Cotter, Dearden, Tino, Fodawaker, Grant, Holmes, Horsburgh, Howarth, Lioro, Ezra Mann, Kurt Mann, Cameron Munster, Nanai, Ponga, Hammer, and Robert Toya. The bombshell, obviously, is Dearden in for DCE. I actually would have made this decision. I think that I understand the controversy around it. Obviously, like anyone pretending like, oh man, it was obvious. Like it was absolutely a hard decision, and I would be whatever decision Billy made. If he went with Dearden, I'd understand it. If he sticked with the DCE, I could understand. I think they've got reasons for both. I think what's not getting talked about enough though, and look, I get it. When you're talking about Origin, you know, if you're a New South Wales fan, any chance to talk shit about Queensland, you're going to take it. So I get it. But like, he's lost 3 games in a row, DCE. He hasn't played well in those 3 games. He played solidly, I think, in one of them. And also, I think that people go, okay, well, you know, you've got to give him a chance. Me personally, I felt there was already pressure on him coming into this series, and game 1 was the chance for DCE to show what he could do. And I've spoken about it quite a lot, even in the review as well, that, listen, if DCE had gone out there, kicked the most and been involved in the game, but it just didn't click for him, I would have gone DC again. But the problem I had with the game 1 after losing those last 2 games last year as well was like he just wasn't in the game at all, really. Aside, I think it was like 1 short side run or whatever. And that's why me personally, I would have gone Deard. And I felt like the game 1 was his chance as a captain. The captaincy, because he was the captain, because he'd done so much in Origin, was why he got selected in game 1. Me personally, I agree with the decision to bring Dearden in. Now, it poses a bunch of other questions of where the hell does our kicking game come from? Now, I think that obviously DC at his best, his kicking game is really important. But in game 1, Munster kicked for more metres. And that's the problem. It's like you've been brought in to be the kicker and you weren't kicking. And so that's why, you know, it's going to be interesting where we get a kicking game from. That's our biggest challenge, in my opinion. Boys, and obviously there's the whole forward pack got rolled. No one would go good. That's the biggest problem with Queensland. We'll get to that. But just about this selection, what are your thoughts?
I agree with the decision. I would have brought Tom Dearden in. As you said, we love to give a bit of stick to Queensland. I think they've made the right decision. Just I can understand a lot of New South Wales fans being fucking pissed off at Queensland because of the way that a lot of your fans carry on when we didn't pick Jake Trbojevic and whatnot. But I do think in this situation, it is the right call. It's what I would have done as well. But yeah, the banter around the pick and stick and all this sort of shit. It's good fun.
Look, I get the banter with the pick and stick, but Billy's never picked and sticked. He dropped Gagai.
Carry on like he does.
I know, but we're just talking about the coach. The coach makes the decision. Like the pick and stick thing. Yeah, right. Billy, he dropped Gagai after a winning series and he was unbelievable. He dropped Ponga after a winning series where he was unbelievable. Like Billy's never picked and sticked. However, I understand. I get the banter, the chat around the dominant period was all pick and stick, and we bring these guys in and they play really well. I get it.
It was like, as Blues fans who obviously went through a lot of hurt for a long time though.
Cathartic.
It wasn't banter. It was like, I can't believe the Blues aren't picking and sticking with players like we keep. I was like, no, of course you do. You've got the greatest rugby league team ever to grace a field, and your star players never. It's like, of course you pick and stick.
Absolutely.
And now you're not. It's like, it was more than banter for Blues fans. I was like, no, like, and you'll say you've got a chip on your shoulder, Tim. Like, bloody oath, I do. It was a long period.
I can get it. I get it, mate. I absolutely get it. I just think that people specifically aiming at Billy Slater is like, mate, he even in winning series he hasn't picked and sticked. And so, but I get where it comes from. I get it.
I think regardless, as I said, I think it's the right call, but it's a huge decision.
It's a huge call.
Captain mid-series.
Yeah, mate. Oh, mate, I'm with you. And there's reasons for both. Like the argument that you're going to bring in a young, I mean, he's not young, but like a relatively inexperienced number 7 that doesn't play 7. And he's played 2 or 3 games at club for a game decider to get the job done, and you're going to move your captain on that it's got the job done so many times in the past. Like, it's a huge call, a huge mammoth call. Thoughts, Timmy, what are your thoughts? Would have you done it, not done it? Thoughts?
I would have. I don't think it was clear cut. Like,
no, I'm with you.
For all the reasons you've already mentioned, like the kicking game being one, from the fact that I know he's sort of playing a bit of 7 at club level, Tommy Dearden, but for the majority of his career, and we've said it before, like he looks like a number 6 who he can make the move to number 7, but we're talking state of origin level. I just think something had to change, and if Daly Cherry-Evans had been better at club level this year, not to say he's been bad, but he's been pretty underwhelming, especially last couple of months. If he'd shown a little bit more, I'd be like, all right, give him the benefit of the doubt, stick with him and pick him again, but I don't think he's been very good at club level, and the same sort of weirdly enough, it almost looks like confidence issues, and he's not going into the line, he's not playing deep, doing any of that sort of stuff that he's done for his entire career, like almost confidence issues that he's had at club level that were put on display in Origin 1.
Yep.
And he hasn't gone back and sort of looked good enough at club level to me. So I think the right decision was made. It presents more questions than answers.
Yeah.
Tommy didn't come in, but what we do know is, I think at Origin level, whilst, you'll lose the sort of longer kicking game of DCE, who you didn't lean on in the first game anyway, as you said, you've got 2 ball-running halves, and you want that in state of origin. You know Tommy Dearden will take the line on, get him going forward. When there's half an opportunity that presents, he'll take it. So, look, I think it was the right decision, but, geez, it must have been tough.
Question for you. If Manly don't lose that second half and DCE comes out, kills it, puts him away, do you think that they pick him?
I don't think so, actually.
Yeah, okay. You reckon he was gone?
Mate, I look at your side right now going against our side that's looking fantastic at the moment. I don't think you're going to win with Ches death by 1,000 cuts with his kicking game previously. I think you need to go balls to the wall and go, let's put in our 2 energy guys in the halves and let's try and fucking beat them.
I will say that there was a big push. There's a lot of people going, anyone behind that forward pack, like they got completely dominated by the New South Wales forward pack, and they did to a degree, but I would argue when Dearden came on, it was the best we looked in attack. This idea that Dearden hadn't shown, like when he came on was the first time we actually stripped you of numbers. I know the forward pass was forward, but I think that was literally the first time in the whole game that we stripped you of numbers.
And that's where I think, I agree with people, Kempy, in that behind the forward pack that's getting belted off the park, bloody hard for half to do anything, and I get that, and that's where club form, it does come into it. As many reps as he has on the board, Daly Cherry-Evans across his year at all different sorts of levels, club level form counts for a lot. And look, Manly are going okay. They're up and down. Cherry-Evans hasn't been bad, but we've seen through the entire year, he's been nowhere near his best football. So I think that's where you go, all right, despite them being like belt off taking game 1, this isn't just a one-off thing for Daly Cherry-Evans, and we can't risk him going into game 2 with the same sort of confidence levels and lack of form and willingness to take on the line.
Do you think... I lost my train of thought. Oh, man, I've lost my train of thought.
I mean, I do sit there like while you're getting it back, mate.
Yeah.
If Ches was picked, look, I don't feel any more or less confident as a Blues supporter that Ches has or hasn't been picked. Either way, I would have been like, all right, we're going as favourites, but I think there are pros for Ches, there are pros for Tommy Dearden. So I'm like, I don't feel indifferent either way.
Yeah. Do we think that Ches has gotten old overnight or just form? Because that's the tough thing is if this was when he was 30, we could say just form. The problem with as they get older, you go, is it form or is it old overnight? Because if it's old overnight, they're never getting it back. It's never coming back. What do you reckon it is?
Well, I mean,
he's watching as well.
Mistake me if I'm wrong. We got 5 weeks into the season, and we're all saying how young DCE still looks, right? Like he was looking amazing. Then all this shit happened. Like I don't know if it's an overnight thing. I don't know if it's just other distractions in his life and all the crap going on. But I feel like it's got to have something to do with what's going on off the field, doesn't it?
It's absolutely not gotten old overnight. Like he started the season, round 1 of the year, it was against the Cowboys. He scored a try, he had a couple of try assists, a couple of line breaks. I think round 3, they beat the Raiders 40-12, and he absolutely blitzed us there as well. He started the year really well. And to my knowledge, there's been certainly no major injury concerns. I don't think there's even been any minor injury concerns. Forgive me if there has, but he hasn't gotten old overnight. He's out of form.
Okay. But you could argue because he started the year so well and he's gone so poorly now, that is evidence of old overnight. You know what I mean? Because it just happens like that. I'm not saying it is. I don't think it is. I think that he could pull his form back.
Age doesn't hit you from round 4 to round 10 in the space of 6 weeks sort of thing. It's like he just looks down on confidence to me.
The argument would be, that's what the saying is, overnight. Like he was going really well and then just 1 week he rocked up and that he's just aged overnight. That's the actual saying.
Well, I'd say it was the 3 weeks where he was front of the paper and fucking
that's where it's happened.
I think that's what I was going to say. As I said, I get it's trying to like shift through the banter and New South Wales just going fuck you Queensland, we're going to kick you while you're down, and I get it. I totally get it. and the actual genuine criticism. But, like, I'm surprised. Like, he was already under pressure. Like, there were a lot of people that said Dearden should be picked for game one. Like, there was already that conversation happening. So this idea that, like, okay, where do you guys land? I personally think game one was his chance to go, oh, listen, mate, you're getting selected because you've been the captain, you've had the incredible Origin career, you've got an incredible legacy. So although form-wise you're quite down at the moment, you're getting selected anyway. Do you think game one was a chance and he unfortunately didn't take it? Or do you think, no, he was picked because he was the best man playing in the halves per se for game one?
I would have picked him in game one.
Yep.
I think he earned that opportunity.
Yep.
I think that if you have a look through DC's career, he's been a great player, but in clubland, he's made finals twice in the last decade.
Without Origin,
it's not
it changes
if
quite
you
a
take
lot.
out the first 18 months of his career, it's not that impressive without Origin, realistically. But he's been so good in Origin that you couldn't possibly leave him out. So I've seen people say it was a mistake picking him in game one. I think that's bullshit.
No,
I
I
think
don't
that's
think
hindsight
so.
crap.
Yeah, that's hindsight.
I would have picked him in game one. I think he was the best option then, especially once Ben Hunt got ruled out and you could pick Dearden at 14 and have him in the side somewhere. So I think that's hindsight shit, personally.
Yeah, but do you think though that if you're Billy and you're looking at it, you're picking him because of what he's done rather than his form that year in game one?
I think so.
Yeah.
Do you think Billy went into the game one thinking this could be DC's last game though?
Me personally, I do. I think Billy was like, mate, you've had such an incredible career in Origin. Yes, form at club's not great at the moment, but you could come out and absolutely kill it. Here's your opportunity to earn the jersey for the rest of the series. I think that's. Again, I don't know what Billy was thinking.
And it was absolutely, I think, the right decision for game one. And, can you imagine the uproar if he didn't get picked for game one after what he's done for the Maroons? And especially the fact that if you had a ready-to-go number 7 organising halfback to come in and replace him, all right, sure, but you don't. Like, you bring in Tommy Dearden, who's a ball-running 5'8", to partner Cam Munster, a ball-running 5'8". So it was absolutely the right decision. And whilst I've sort of questioned his club form a little bit this year, it's not like you've sat there and leading into Origin 1 going, it's been a train wreck, you can't possibly pick him. It's like he'd still had a bunch of try assists and scored a couple of tries early on. He'd been okay.
And he had that one good game against Panthers a couple of weeks before selection. Me personally, I think it was absolutely the right call for picking game one.
Campy, put it this way as well. Tommy Dearden doesn't change the result of game one. Whatever happens there, if Tommy Dearden gets picked over DC, already there's more news and media and the Maroons that's unwarranted that you don't want. You still get blown off the park because Tommy Dearden does not change the result. And then all the media becomes, how the hell do you drop Daly Chervin for what he's done for you in the past? And then you get belted. He probably comes in for game 2. It's like...
So at what point do you think DCE gets dropped? Like, if you play well and lose game one, do you still think he'd be there this game?
If he played well and they lost game one, I think he'd be there game 2. Yeah, okay. I genuinely think Billy Slater said, A, you've been up and down form-wise, but your form hasn't been great. B, you've earned the right to have this opportunity to come back in an Origin, but unfortunately he just didn't take it. He just didn't take it. And also, since then, I think he had one good game straight after, but then obviously, the Knights came back. But just to further, you said, even if Dearden was brought in, you still wouldn't have won game one. That's the biggest concern for Queensland because Dearden's getting brought in, and you said in game one they wouldn't have won. So game 2, does that change anything?
Ches isn't the reason that you lost game 1, put it that way. He was borderline bad. He had a terrible game, but he wasn't the reason you lost the game. So at the moment, you look at the 1-17 or 1-18 of the two teams, and the Blues are going with all the momentum. Their team on paper looks a lot better. What they did in game 1 was outstanding. So it's not a case of picking the right or wrong team. It's like, as it stands, the Blues have a better squad. That doesn't mean the Maroons can't win, but you can't just click your fingers and pick this bloke here and this bloke here and this bloke here and go, all right, we're now all of a sudden favourites. That's not how Origin works or how rugby league or sport works.
Yeah. I agree that he definitely wasn't the reason that Queensland lost, but I do think he was part of the reason why Queensland lost, along with other players in the team. Okay. In regards to some other selections, obviously the Ezra Mann one is a big call. Me personally, I don't agree with his selection decision. Ezra Mann's only been back for a few games. It looks as though he'll be 18th man, so he most likely won't even play. I just think it's better for everyone involved. It's not a good look for the selection, but B, even for Ezra to just go back, play NRL, and then obviously maybe next year, put yourself in contention for B selection. I don't agree with it. I think that it's a distraction, but also I just think I was even with the Broncos, I felt that they should have kept him in reserve grade and just let him earn that jersey back. And I think the same thing with Queensland. Like, let him just go back, earn the jersey. And I know I don't like after he plays each weekend, we speak about him like a normal player because he didn't select it, like he didn't give himself the punishment. However, just because he served the punishment in regards to, the law and the NRL or whatever, that's still a step away from earning a jersey, in my opinion. And I personally believe that it was a wrong decision. I want Ezra to eventually become, what he can become in the NRL, but I do believe you've got to earn that right. And I think it should have been, I don't agree with it.
Yeah, I was shocked to see it. I don't agree with it. I don't think he should be there. I don't think he should be, in a camp at the hallmark of our game. Yeah. 18th man, I don't give a fuck. He shouldn't be there, in my opinion. I would say this, and I can't stress enough, I don't agree with him being there. I'm looking at it as well, like, as Billy Slater, like, if you have a look at the guys that I think are going to be on the extended bench, they're all guys that are going to be on a bye this week. So when you have a look at the rest of the competition, guys that maybe he could have chosen looking into the future, Jai Gray plays this week, Purdue plays this week, Jaden Campbell plays this week, Sam Walker might be playing this week. I think there was a lot of it, and I'm just trying to put my
Makes
feet
no
in Billy
sense
Slater's
to me.
shoes. What do you mean?
As in, like, with what I think you're going to say, because there's the bye the weekend.
That's the only thing I'm trying to work out, if maybe that's why he's gone Ezra over the other guys.
But what I don't understand with that is, like, the headlines this is going to create.
Yep.
And he's not even playing. Like, I would kind of understand if he just, like, I wouldn't put him over Munster, but, like, it just say some mental world, he was actually playing. You could be like, okay, he's worth the headlines because he's in the team.
Yep.
He's not even playing.
Completely. And once again, I can't make sense of it. Is it, have they picked him so that we're not talking about DCE, so that we're not talking about the game one performance?
Surely
Shit
not.
fight. I'm getting real tinfoily, but I'm just trying to make sense of why the fuck he is
The only thing
in
I
there.
could think of is Billy's looking at, like, listen, he served his punishment, and so he should be treated equally in regards to if I'm going to select him or not select him. That's the only thing I can think of. I don't think that, guys. I don't think that. I'm saying what I think Billy Slater might be thinking. Timmy, what do you reckon, mate?
Yeah, the more and more, with every season I watch rugby league, the more just the importance of culture and noise becomes to a club, whether that's in an origin camp or a club across an entire NRL season. And I just don't see why they did it, like, especially when you're not even coming to play for them. It's just so unnecessary that Ezra Mam's been named. And whether you think form-wise he deserves to be there or not, I think it's completely irrelevant. That I just think all the best origin teams have a lack of noise around camps. The best sporting clubs have a good culture, and that's not to say that in the future Ezra Mam can't be a key part of this squad and, serve his time and get back on track, all those sorts of things. But right now, when the incident's happened so fresh and he's just come back onto the field, like, you just don't need this added noise to your squad and the impact it's going to have on them, the noise around the club. I just don't see why. I see your point, Roo. Like, there's not a lot of halves options to pick in, put in there, but like...
But Roo's just saying...
No, I'm with you.
Yeah.
Like, put in Jackson Purdue. Like, I know he's playing this weekend, and to your point, that makes sense. But
I think Iongi's the perfect guy. Bring him in.
But like... What, with Jack Howell's probably 18th man, or we think it's Ezra Mam?
Well, I think it might be Ezra, because you look at the makeup of their bench.
Hot, yeah.
We'll know by the end of this show.
We'll know by the end of the show.
The other side of that coin is too, like, Ezra Mam was in camp last year. It's not like he's never tasted it. He's got no experience whatsoever. He's literally fucking in there.
I just don't agree with it. And that you can not agree with it, but still hope Ezra comes back eventually to his best and, gets a fair shot at playing for, Queensland, gets a fair... But I do think there is a happy medium, and it's probably the wrong terminology, but, like, yes, you have served your punishment. You've served it, whatever. You didn't give yourself the punishment. We can all sit here and say what we thought the punishment would be. We've all said, you guys know our thoughts on that. We all agree it should have been longer. But anyway, Ezra can't give himself it.
Yeah.
Just let me finish this real quickly.
Right.
So you can sit here and go, it's good to have him back in the side. Back in there, like, no, not good. But he served his punishment, but that is still quite a ways away from saying, has he done enough to get the Queensland jersey back on his back? I just don't think so. I think that get him back into clubland, play some footy, continue to do the community work that he's continuing to doing, continue to work on himself, because this isn't a short-term thing. And then maybe next year, once the freshness of the situation has gone, once a lot of people go, okay, it's been quite a while now, he's done his time, he's served his community, he's done everything that he can do. He's helped in the community with everything, whatever. Then you get a fair crack at potentially being selected again. Sorry, Tim, what were you going to say?
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, I think if you look at him from a footy perspective, Jackson Purdue, put him 18th man. Like, he can cover the back line, basically anywhere in the back line, the halves. Like Ezra Mam, he can come in and cover the halves. Purdue, I'm not saying Purdue's ready for Origin, but like to avoid all this, Purdue's been outstanding this year. I think he's probably going to be a staple of their own side for years to come. Maybe not this year, maybe not next year, but at some point, put him in there at 18th man.
This is where, though, I don't like Billy Slater knew by making that selection there was going to be a lot of noise. There was going to be a lot of shit that came with it.
I don't understand.
I can't make sense of that.
It makes no sense to me. And I don't actually think it helps Ezra.
No, I don't think it. Who does it help?
That's what I don't get. Like, even if you look at it from a perspective of Ezra served his time, let's do what's best for Ezra for the pressure that he's going to be under, for all the headlines. Like this, all this does is make more noise for Ezra in a time where he's trying to rehabilitate himself. Like, these things to rehabilitate yourself in a situation that's happened with Ezra, like it doesn't take 6 months. It doesn't take 7-8 months. It takes, a good long time. And I just don't get it. I don't understand it.
It's interesting, and I'm interested to see how this ages, but, Brad Fittler came in. Heaps of changes for the New South Wales Blues. Did incredibly well, did great. And then I think towards the back end, I think he potentially got a little bit over the top with his rogue picks and all that sort of stuff. Are we seeing a similar thing with Billy at the moment? Like, he came in looking like the best thing since sliced bread. He won 4 from his first 5 games. He's now won 1 from his last 5. Looking down the barrel of back-to-back series loss. He sucked a captain, which I think was the right call, but it's still a big decision he's made. Just little calls like this. Like Ezra Mam's going to dominate the headlines. Just I think Bo Fermor's been hard done by.
Yeah, I think
you pick him for 15 minutes and then drop him out of the squad completely.
Horsburgh doesn't seem like, I know it hasn't been selected yet. The name hasn't been announced, but the team hasn't been announced. But it looks like Horsburgh's not going to be on the bench.
Billy Slater, not a big Corey Horsburgh fan for whatever reason. Seriously, if you don't pick him, even off the bench in a short stint,
I can't believe Arrow's not in there.
What are you doing?
I can't believe Joe Arrow's not in there.
But just like to that point, like his last 5 games, he's won 1 of them. That was the game that we had 12, and I think we were the better team.
Yeah, like, look, I don't know because this series is not over. Like, if he has a great turnaround, it's frustrating that it's not good for Ezra. It's not good for Queensland. It's just not good, period. Just have him in the side. I want Ezra to eventually become the best version of himself. This doesn't help him, in my opinion, and I don't actually think it helps the Queensland side either. Now, if you just took away all the controversy and you looked at how good he is, yeah, of course, like everyone knows Ezra's a friggin' good footy player. Like, there's no denying that, and everyone knows it. Like, and so yeah, I just don't agree with it. With that aside, guys, so we won't talk about Ezra again. These forward selections that we were just getting into, I can't make sense of them. Why not Arrow? Why not, like, Horsburgh? Look, I'll as you guys know, when the team gets announced, if Horsburgh is in the side, I'll apologise and get it wrong, but it seems like he's not going to be in the side yet. I cannot, like, it seems like Fodawaker is probably going to start again. Like, and I'm not anti-Fodawaker. I think Fodawaker's a bloody good player and a really good bloke. But I just don't think starting in the Origin side suits his style of play right now. Like, right now, and I know Tino, like, he's incredible player, but in reality, our starting front row has 2 players from the team running last. Like, and I'm not saying Tino's not a good player. Like, Tino's in your starting side, but like, that's where you just go, what, against other teams with players from teams that are killing it right now in the front row. Just obviously, other than Payne Haas with the Broncos. Boys, thoughts about the forward selection?
Yeah, I really expected Corey Horsburgh to be in there, but Jai Arrow as well. What have you got to lose?
Mate, the Rabbitohs have shown, like, if there's one team that's played like a Queensland spirit side, we always joke about it, it's the Rabbitohs. They're undermanned, undersized, under everything, and they're hanging with most sides. I know on the weekend eventually they got blown out, but they were hanging with the Raiders. They were beating them in the first half.
I just thought you would have picked a forward pack that's just going to go nuts in this game. And, maybe it the whole argument we had 2 weeks ago, whatever, everyone had about, not kicking a Spencer Leniu and whatnot. I thought Billy Slater would have just gone, fuck, let's just pick Origin players and go at it. Because that was, even when he was playing and when he's been coaching well in Origin, like, it's those guys he sort of relied on a little bit.
Well, that's what surprised. Like, because even I said it before. Cam Smith said this, but I said this in the show after, not the review, but later on. I was like, I promise you, if Cam Smith was in that coaching staff, there's no way that happens. Anyway, so Cam Smith on 9 said if I was playing, I would have kicked his
Every fucking Queenslander said it. It's not it's bizarre.
And so I just are we trying to outthink the room at times? Like, because he is such a smart coach, are we thinking too much about things? Are we looking too much into stats and I don't know. Doesn't make any sense. What do you reckon?
That's the whole thing. It doesn't make any sense. The more you think about it, the less sense it makes.
And look, if they go out and win, the funny thing about Origin is like no one spoke about the pick and stick thing when Queensland were winning. Winning fixes everything. So he'll look like a genius if he wins. So, that's what we'll wait and see. But at the moment, I'd love to sit down with Billy and understand his thought process.
And it is also worth noting, like, Billy Slater and Queensland are exactly where they want to be right now.
They're the massive underdogs. Everyone's counting them out. Dynasty talk has happened with New South Wales. I will say, I guess, a little bit in the defence of the whole his last series in his last 4 games or 5 games or whatever. Like, New South Wales have had a friggin' pretty good side, and just like I would say the whole 8 in a row thing, like Queensland had a friggin' good side. Like, and I'm not comparing this current New South Wales crop to the 8 in a row. What I'm saying is like there is a reality to the situation in the last 2 series, in my opinion.
Yeah, I just. Like it's not Raiders bias at all. The Corey Horsburgh one, I thought he was a lock for game 1. To be honest,
Me too.
Lose by that margin in game 1. Roo, you mentioned before, like the energy of what Tom Dearden will bring in. Whether he's the best number 7 in the state to do it, I don't know. But he'll bring energy. He'll run the ball. He'll be hard in defence. Corey Horsburgh, he can play middle. He can play edge. He can play big minutes. You lacked so much in attacking game 1. He's got a great offload on him. He can bring impact off the bench. He can start if you need him to. He just ticks so many boxes for me. And then you have someone like, and I get that they're different selections, but like a Capel who comes in who's an ageing veteran, been great for the Warriors this year, but like, is he going to come in and inject that energy off the bench and do what you need? Like, Corey Horsburgh's a dog. He's got anger about him. He's got fight about him. As you said, like, Origin-wise, I just think he's made for the Maroons in the Origin arena. So I can't believe Corey Horsburgh wasn't there. Bo Fermor, you mentioned him before, Roo, played
so hard done
of
by
minutes in game 1. And it's like, and he's the one that gets dropped for a like-for-like player who's at the back end of his career. I don't get it.
I think as well with Corey Horsburgh, like, he's shown he can play enormous minutes if you need him to. If you have an injuries or HIA and you have to play Collins or Capel for big minutes, as New South Welshman, I'm going fucking beautiful.
Yeah, just the Fermor one I felt like he's hard done by because I didn't feel like he did that much wrong.
Fermor, when I first saw it, I thought, okay, this kind of reminds me of Hudson Young last year. Like, he didn't play poorly, but it's the way the team makeup is. But you're exactly right. The more I look at it, bringing Capewell in, it's like, what's Capewell doing that Bo Fermor can't?
And correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like last year when Hudson got dropped, did someone come back from injury?
Yeah, it was like Cam Murray and stuff.
Yeah.
Connor Watson came
It
fit.
wasn't necessarily a form thing or a poor performance. It was like, Whereas this is no other reason than form, sure.
It's strange. Very, very strange.
Are we expecting Capewell to start?
See, I kind of feel like I feel like Capewell's a long minute player rather than an impact player, but he can cover a lot of positions. Like, I will say, Kurt Capewell, and I think you guys all agree with it, it's more just like you picked this team for game 1, he didn't play terribly, why does he lose his spot? And it's also like Capewell hasn't shown you anything you didn't already know about him before game 1. Like, if you're going to do it, pick Capewell before game 1. Because Capewell's had a really good year.
His last 6 or 7 weeks, I think, have been fantastic.
Yeah, and I was actually, even in the selection table, I was talking about having Capewell as an 18th man or on my bench or whatever. So it's not like he's ages away from it. But it's like, at the same time, what did you learn about... Like, I didn't watch Fermor when he came on and go, no, he doesn't belong in Origin. And also, what have we learnt about Capewell and Fermor over the past couple of weeks that we didn't already know before game 1? I think that's probably the most surprising one. Now, if you had gone Capewell game 1... then I could understand it because it's like, okay, he's gone for experience. Capewell's killing it this year. He can play multiple positions. But I do feel like Fermor has been hard done by.
On the positives, fuck, I'm excited to see Kurt Mann make his Origin debut.
Yeah.
So well deserved.
So well deserved. And like, I know there's like a lot of New South Wales that like to joke about Kurt Mann, but mate, he's been so good for the Dogs. And if you want to go a specialist bench impact player, that's exactly what he's been for the Bulldogs this year. A specialist bench impact player.
Yeah, I'm sure there's some idiots online that want to mate, there's no one in my circle that doesn't respect the shit out of Kurt Mann.
And also...
he's such a good player.
And also... all right, if you're not picking...
What's that?
Oh, Tom and Eddie fucking absolutely annihilate the ball.
Fucking idiots. Please.
Yeah, that vindicates it even more.
Kurt Mann will be the best player for me if he's playing next weekend.
The question with Kurt Mann is like, you're right, it's like the perfect utility who can cover so many positions. It's like, all right, if not Kurt Mann, then who? Who are you picking?
Yeah. It's a great point. Like, do you just not go with a utility and do you go a Howarth as a centre kind of forward utility there? But that's similar to what Capewell is.
Then you don't need Capewell, so it's like...
He's the other one. I love the selection of Howarth. I reckon he's just got Origin written on his forehead.
Yeah, I reckon if he stayed injury-free, probably would have started instead of Toya. But now Toya, definitely don't move him. I thought the unsung hero, not even hero because they didn't win, but the unsung story of game one was Toya's game, in my opinion. I thought he was outstanding.
Yeah, and I think, Capewell's been that guy for you for a long time where you can sort of pick him on your bench. He can cover centre, he can cover back row. I think starting next year, Howarth's that dude.
Yeah, agreed. Anything else in regards to Val Holmes? There's been a lot of talk about him getting selected again. I guess who would you replace him with? That's a big question.
Well,
Our depth is so little.
I think you had to pick him, with the depth, but very fascinating one. If, like Murray Taulagi, we sort of expect him back last weekend. By the time this potty goes live, he might get named for the Cowboys on return from injury. But by game 3, especially if the Maroons get done here, Taulagi comes back, goes well, then Val Holmes, big
Could be his
question
last
mark on
game.
him. Could be.
Gagai. Now, Gagai hasn't actually been a part of a full-strength Queensland side since 2022, I think. So quite a while. Had an incredible game on the weekend. There are some people that you thought you should bring him back in. What are your thoughts?
I probably wouldn't have. I think I would have stuck with what they've got here. I think Toya did a good job. Val Holmes proven over a number of years there. Mate, I love Gagai. He's such a good player and he's done incredibly well in Origin, but just defensively over the last 2 years, I would have my concerns.
Okay.
He played game 3 last year, but he didn't play game 1 and 2, and then 2022 he was there.
Yeah, I checked it before it come on. I'm pretty sure the last time he was part of the full-strength side was 22 and was up blue with Burton. We spoke a little bit about it. Fodawaker, the league team suggests he's starting. What are your thoughts on that?
As a New South Welshman, I love it. I don't see it with Mo Fodawaker from an Origin point of view. I think he's a good player, but if we have Payne Haas, I just don't think he can go with those guys in the Origin arena at the moment.
I think he can for 20 minutes. Like if you brought him off the bench and you just said, mate, just go absolutely ham for 20 minutes potentially.
But mate, even doing that, he's just not one of those guys that I trust to do that, to go ham. Like,
I'm just so surprised that he's been almost like an automatic selection with Billy.
Yeah. Like he's not in the Melbourne system. He's not like I don't understand that. Whereas Corey Horsburgh, if I say, mate, I need you to go ham, he could end up in jail overnight. Like I know what I'm going to get from Corey Horsburgh, and that's what I want. I don't feel the same with Mo Fodawaker.
He hasn't talk about picking blokes in form, and you talk about the way the Titans are going this year, and in a middle rotation, and he starts for them. He's been cut off the bench of late, but you got Tino in there who's working his butt off. Then Fodawaker, who's playing pretty big minutes for the Titans. He hasn't run for over 118 metres since round 6. He's run over 118 metres twice this year. Round 4 he ran 123. Round 6 he ran 135.
What's he roughly averaging minutes-wise? 40, 50 minutes?
Minutes per game. What do we got? So 47, 38 last 2 weeks, but then 57, 60, 61, 53, 56, 59. The form just hasn't been there for Mo Fodawaker at all. He's had some poor defensive lapses as well. If you're going to pick him, and I wouldn't personally, but if you did, I'd be almost bringing him on in that Spencer Leniu role of short stints, just come on and have an impact in short hits.
Because he did have impact defensively at times. He had a big shot, I think, on Moses in game 1. Lindsay Collins selection. I actually thought Lindsay Collins was pretty good in game 1. I actually thought he was decent.
Yeah, I thought he held his own there. I think he's a guy that's done enough to be there. So are we expecting him to come off the bench?
I'd assume so, but
I don't love him coming off the bench.
Neither do I. Get him in the shit work at the start where he makes a million tackles. Lindsay Collins is all heart. That's his strongest asset. Is his ticker. And so I reckon you get him on through all the shit work, all the tackles, all the trail inside, all the high tempo stuff.
For sure.
I think he's just one of those guys you want to run out onto the field with him on the field. I think he's one of the guys that you want to return that first kickoff.
So, yeah, super interesting. Super interesting. Massive congratulations to Kurt, man. Munster. We didn't really speak about it much, but the more I kind of think about it, I get it. From an Origin perspective, he is the senior player in this Queensland side from an Origin perspective.
It's interesting. When it first broke, I think almost all 4 of us said different names that we expected to be captain. I didn't expect Munster, but once again, when you've got your back against the wall, you lacked energy in the first game. I don't mind it for this series.
It's going to take a Munster miracle to win anything.
Yeah, it is.
At the moment for the Queensland side. And so I get where Billy Say's coming on with this one, where he's going, you know what? I'm playing poker right now and I'm just putting my chips all in with Munster.
Yeah, and I think it was similar to a couple of years ago when you guys made GI captain. And he just came out with a different look in his eye.
Yep.
Like if Munster comes out and has one of his best Origin games, it won't surprise me.
Timmy?
Yeah, it surprised me a little bit, but I mean, no major knock on it. I thought Paddy Carrigan would have been the logical one. We know he'll be there for the next 10 years. He's already a leader. You know, we've seen the way he speaks on the field, the influence he has on teams. I know the Broncos aren't exactly going too crash hot, but I thought Paddy would have been the man. But I said, like, between him, Munster, Harry Grant, you've got some good options there.
Yeah. Alrighty, Blues side, only change. Stefano goes to 17. Max King starts. I tell you what, if you ever wanted an example of a player going into Origin and coming out a better player, watch how Max King played on the weekend. He is moving differently. Like, everything about him suggests that he went into that camp and has come back out with all the confidence in the world. On the weekend, he was outstanding. I still personally would have gone Keon over Stefano. Look, I can understand the thought process because we just, we kind of looked at Billy Slater and we're like, if you pick that team in game one, why certain players getting dropped when they didn't necessarily play poorly. And so I get it from a perspective of continuity of like, well, Stefano was the 18th, 19th man. And so the plan from game one was if anyone got injured in camp, he was going to come in. So that's the pecking order that we decided in game one. Me personally, I still would have gone Keon and I actually probably would have started Keon. Boys, what are your thoughts?
I would have gone Keon for sure. Stefano, I'm just not quite seeing it at the moment. But fuck, there's some smart rugby league brains out there that, Craig Bellamy included, who are seeing it with him. So I'm happy to sit back and just hope I'm wrong on this situation. But
this is his moment, Stefano, I reckon. This could be career defining.
Yeah, I agree. And, he's played Origin before. He didn't have huge impact, but I think Freddie really screwed him around in that game. I think he put him on 6 minutes before halftime and took him off 4 minutes.
Like a total of 12 minutes.
Mate, it was ridiculous. So I don't hold that against Stefano in any way, shape or form. He obviously had big contract offers to stay in Sydney at the Tigers and he went down to Melbourne to improve himself and he's arrived there and Bellamy's seen something in him. So I sort of have to lean on that. But if I was coaching the side, Keon would have been in it for me.
Yeah, I think... Yeah, I think that he's had opportunities and sometimes got selected a bit on potential. And I think that this is a really good opportunity for Stefano to go, no, this isn't, I'm here now. I'm old enough. I'm going to make impact. I'm going to show everyone what everyone thought about me a few years ago with all the potential.
Well, personally, I still think he's getting picked on potential, in my opinion. So
I tend to agree.
Yeah, this is his opportunity to go, no, I'm the real fucking deal.
I'm the real deal. What do you reckon, Tim?
Yeah, I was surprised that... not surprised that Stefano got picked over Keon. I wouldn't have had it that way. Like to Rue's point, I like the cultural idea of, all right, we said Stefano, if Payne Haas was ruled out of game one, he was coming in and rewarding that, and he's gone back to club level and been okay. But I would say that with Keon, things have changed since game one. And Keon's gone back and 4 games on the trot. He's played huge minutes for the Bunnies and run for over 200 metres. I think Stefano's gone back and been okay for the Storm. He's quite good on the weekend. But I think Keon has been arguably the best middle in the competition over the past month. So I do think things have changed in the last 2 to 3 weeks since game one. So I think much like, I sit here and criticise Fodawaker and saying that I don't think he's been in form and I wouldn't have necessarily picked him. I don't think Stefano's been in crash hot form. He's been fine and he's done a job for the Storm, but this is in, arguably, they're the premiership favourites this year, the Melbourne Storm. He's gone down there and he's been okay. He hasn't stood out at all. Playing off a bloke like Harry Grant, I thought he probably should have done more. And then Keon, in a side that's had injuries all through the squad all season, has been outstanding, particularly since making that move to the middle. I don't think it'll change that much for what it's worth. They're not going to play massive minutes off the bench anyway. They can both have an impact off the bench. They're probably looking for maybe the more technically sound defender because they don't need a bloke to come on and bust the game open and offload and find points. They need a bloke to come on and who will do a good job defensively. We've got Hudson, we've got Spencer Lane, you've got Connor Watson. There's your X factor off the bench. We need another middle that will hold up there, and maybe they've looked at Stefano and gone, technically he's the best defender, he'll do the job. So not what I'd have done, but look, it's not going to change too much.
I will say that most players that go down to Storm, their first year is all just about defence. And I think his defence just eyeballing it. I'm not sure statistically, but just eyeballing his defence has improved quite a bit. So I do understand that, definitely that perspective of like, do we really need an extra absolute gun that can offload and footwork or whatever? So I do understand that kind of perspective. What a moment for Max King, though. You are wearing number 8 for New South Wales. Like, what a journey. What an incredible journey. And what I love about it as well is like, and look, I know there are still a lot of people that said, oh, no, I would have selected this player, whatever. But after his first game, that noise is a lot less quiet. There are a lot of New South Wales fans going, no, you know what? Maxi King did good off the bench.
Yeah. Just on Stefano's defence, I just had a look. So at the Tigers, his tackle efficiency was anywhere between 93 and 94, and this year it's 97.42.
Yeah, so that happens with most. You actually go back to Katoa's first year. He actually statistically in attack wasn't great. Blaw's first year, not much in attack, but all of their defence the first year was substantially better. And what Bellamy likes to do is go down there and just say, mate, forget everything you've learnt, and we're building from defence first. And so maybe that's the answer.
Yeah, and when it comes to Stefano being picked once again, like Craig Bellamy's identified, he's brought him down there. Like, do you remember it was only 4 years ago he identified Max King as well?
Yeah.
Potentially, laid the path for him. Then injury got in the way, an opportunity at Canterbury, and now he's gone on to be who he is. I'm not taking anything away from Canterbury, but I mean, I don't think it's wild to suggest Craig Bellamy probably played a role in who he's become as well.
Yeah. What a journey.
You mentioned like the impact, Kempy, that Origin has on players when they're at club level, and you touched on it, but watching King on Monday on the public holiday, he was just outstanding against Parramatta. And there were a couple of moments there. There was one where I think it was I don't know if it was a player coming off their line or a kick return or something. Might have been at Yongi. And King just flew up. And it's one thing to fly up and try and put a shot on, but just never looked like missing. Got him square, dominant. You just went, all right, where's that come from? And it's like, if he didn't play Origin 2 weeks earlier and have to spend time in that camp with these superstars, does that happen? I'm like, no, it hasn't come out of nowhere.
Yeah, it's what a journey. He's number 8 for New South Wales in a series where they're red hot favourites to win. And again, like a lot of people were questioning his selection before game 1, and I understand it. They had some gun ones, but I think there's a lot more New South Wales that are like, you know what? No, I want to keep him. He was good off the bench. He ran for 100 metres off the bench. Fucking pretty good. It's pretty good. And got through a bunch of work, so good on him. Outside of that, no real changes. Lindsay Smith obviously being brought in. Matty Burton, 18th man. Bulldogs can't catch a break. Poor doggies. He was so good on the weekend though, Burton. We'll get to that later. Lindsay Smith brought in.
I saw some doggies. They're on top of the world.
Yeah, but it's been like 5 years he's been 18th man. They've lost him.
It's like destined just to be 18th man for the Blues for the rest of his career. I think probably more doggies just in the sense that they cop the draw of, and I shouldn't say cop, I don't mean this in a bad way, but of playing all 3 of the Origin weeks. Yeah. They're not even on a bye.
Yep. Lindsay Smith at 20. I actually can understand this. I highly rate Lindsay Smith, and I think his form's really, really improved as Penrith's form's improved. So I get this. I get it.
He's already played for the Kangaroos. Have you had him on the podcast?
Yeah, great player.
Yeah, we spent a few days with him at a golf trip over the whole. Fuck, he's a good fella.
Yeah, legend, absolute legend, really down to earth as well. Yeah. I can understand that. Obviously, that Terrell May. Look, I don't think Terrell was getting selected no matter what. After everything that went down after week 1, so I think that it'll just be with May, just about regrouping next year. Hopefully speaking to Laurie, speaking to.
He already has.
Yeah, he already has.
He's spoken to Laurie.
Yeah, and hopefully takes that advice on board and goes, you know what? Head down, bum up, and just work hard.
Terrell's literally, keep doing what you're doing on the field, mate. 12 months, no noise off the field. Put your head down and keep playing the way you're playing, and you'll be on the bench or starting game 1 next year.
Yeah. That's it for the Origin chat. Okay, guys, Menulog, hungriest player this week. All thanks to Menulog. A massive thank you, as always, to Menulog. This week, the hungriest player. It is Papali or Papali'i. They are the hungriest player, Josh Papali'i from the Raiders. Also, a big shout out to Copper Rose Cafe on Menulog, serving a crowd favourite beef burger and brunch classics. So use code Papali'i, Papalii, on Menulog to score free delivery from any local legend near you. So it'll be a local legend near you. You get free delivery when you use Papali'i, and it should come up in the app that they're a local legend. But what an incredible moment for Papali'i to do what he did. Like, if any man deserved that performance to become the most capped ever Raider, it is Papali'i. What an incredible moment.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. And not only did he do it once, he did it twice. Just incredible. Tell you what I love most, boys. What about the little body fade after the conversion?
Oh, yeah.
All class.
All class. Just, I mean, he made it look easy. He made it look like, I mean, I do believe like that conversion, it just showed you like this guy, he's always done things a lot of front rowers don't do. Like he's had match winning tries. He's had footwork he shouldn't have. He's had the motor that you shouldn't have. Like he's been a special player for a long time now.
Yeah, and just genuinely one of the best blokes in the league.
Yeah.
And it's not even close.
A really good example of giving a young man a second chance. He had some early issues earlier in his career. The Raiders gave him a second chance. They stuck by him, and he's grown into a real role model.
And you saw Ricky Stewart's emotions after the game. Like we were at the Ricky Stewart luncheon at the start of the year, and Ricky gave this speech that would have been half an hour long, and he got to Papali'i and he started tearing up then. It was January 10.
Crazy.
Just the bond that those two have and how important they both are to the Raiders. I love Ricky Stewart too, putting him in the top 5 Raiders of all time. He went Mal Meninga, Laurie Daly, Bradley Clyde, Lazarus and Papali'i. I thought, fuck, you've left yourself off at 1, Ricky.
Yeah, absolutely. Timmy, thoughts, mate?
Yeah, I've had the pleasure of knowing Big Papa for a long time. He debuted at the same year as my brother, and they came through from like they were housemates when Big Papa moved down from Queensland as like a young, I would say, shy Polynesian boy from Queensland. He's still a shy Polynesian boy from Queensland, but as like a 17-year-old, they came through SG ball together and all those grades, so they mimicked each other's careers. Papa did it with an extra 220 games, so not entirely mimicked. But from day dot, like they worked as like cadets together at the Raiders when they were sort of 16, 17 years old and that, and from day dot, just the most beautiful human being on the planet, and like so fortunate for that club. You talk about how good their culture's been for a long, long time, the Raiders, and why players come there and they stay there. And Big Papa's one of these players who a big part of that. And you can see, as I said, with the emotion on Ricky's face and the playing group, what he means to them. And I mean, that's like him off the field and his impact there to this playing group. But on the field as well, he's played 18 plus games every year of his career. Like his durability is incredible. He'll get to the end of his career and people with short memories are like, oh yeah, he's a big bustling middle forward in sort of limited minutes. But
No way.
people forget the impact he had as an edge back row for 80 minutes during, enormous years for the Queensland Maroons and Australia at all different levels. So he's going to leave such an impact on this game and certainly at the Canberra Raiders when he does decide to call time.
Yeah. Incredible player. And if you ever want to just like a real world, living, tangible example of his leadership, look at Tarpanet. Came to the club, all this talent. And even the first couple of years took some time for Tarpanet to really hit his straps. And first of all, most of the credit should go to Tarpanet for what he's achieved. But I think a lot of it has to do with the leadership of Papali'i. I think he took him under his wing. He taught him a lot, and he's basically handed the reins to Tarpanet to become the main man in that front row, in that pack. And look how good he is. So incredible stuff. Papali'i, he is our hungriest player. Use code Papali'i for free delivery from any local legend near you. Alrighty, it's time for Team of the Week, brought to you by our Bloke jumpers, maroon and blue jumpers, dropping tonight at 6 p.m. And we've got the hats as well, maroon hats, blue hats, limited edition. You do not want to miss it, guys. $89.99 for Bloke Club members, $99.99 for non-Bloke Club members, and the hats are $34.99 for Bloke Club members, $39.99 for non-Bloke Club members. Okay, Team of the Week. At number 1, Connor Tracy. A mixture of playing really well, but also just the journey that he has been on to get to 100 games. It's 100 games. It was 100 games. Yep. Incredible journey. He's at number 1. At number 2, Jenkins. 3, Stags. 4, Herbie. 5, Kiraz. 6, Strange. 7, Hughes. 8, Papali'i. 9, Grant. 10, Vaimanga. 11, Piakora. 12, Lemuelu. 13, Mann. 14, Gagai. 15, Katoa. 16, Harry Hayes, and 17, Owen Paddy. That is the Team of the Week. Let us know if you've got any disagreements there, guys. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit that like button on the YouTube video. It really, really does help us, guys. Take you literally 2 seconds. Just get your mouse or your hand and just go, pop. Hit that like button. It really helps us in the algorithm. Leave a comment. We always try to respond to all the comments as well. Give us a like and a comment and a follow on Spotify as well, guys. Okay, it's time for the Kayo Can't Miss moment. Round 14 saw some big wins from Warriors, Broncos, Dolphins, a special afternoon in Canberra, and an upset in Newcastle, as well as yesterday's big clash between the Dogs and the Eels. Fox League exclusive games this round are Knights v the Roosters, Saturday 5:30. Cowboys Dolphins, Saturday 7:35. And the FIFA Club World Cup kicks off this Sunday. All 63 games will be live on Kayo. This is the first time a tournament will feature 32 teams competing to be crowned world champions. The likes of Real Madrid, Manchester United, Paris Saint-Germain, hopefully said that right, and Chelsea, I'll just call PSG. And Chelsea will be competing in this edition. Some of the biggest stars in the world participating include Messi, Haaland, Kane, Mbappe, Cole Palmer. Get on board today. If it's sport, you can't miss it. It's on Kayo. The Kayo Can't Miss moment. And there are going to be some people that don't like this, but it happened. It was a big deal. Lockie Galvin scoring on debut for the Bulldogs is our Kayo Can't Miss moment. And, whether you agree or disagree how everything was handled, it's happened. It's in the past. Me personally, I don't like how it happened, but it has happened. And now it's a part of, okay, you can sit here and say you don't like how it happened, but at the same time you can look at it and go, there's a 19-year-old kid that made a decision. I personally hope the best for Lockie Galvin, that he reaches his potential. And on the weekend, for him to come on and play the way he did he set the world alight? No. But I'll tell you what, and maybe it was the 20 minutes of pressure that was built from the Bulldogs before he came on. But, geez, I thought when he came on, outside of that one tackle with the ball that went backwards, he looked slick. He fit straight in really quickly. And it's an outstanding try to score on debut with all the noise for him to come on and play the way he did. I think it was a bloody good performance from Galvin.
Yeah, it was a can't miss moment that Hammy wanted to miss so much he didn't even show up. I think this went as good as it possibly could for Galvin and the Bulldogs. I think the script was written. It was perfect. You're right. He came on. He didn't set the world alight. He just played his role. There's a few times he jumped into first receiver as I go down the left side. He controlled the right edge. He scored a try, had the celebration moment. He came on. I think it was 12-all. They won 30-12.
14-12 he came on.
14-12.
Yep.
Game in the balance, he came on. They made big changes to the side, and they got better. I don't think it could have got better, personally.
Yeah, I'm with you. And, as I said, look, maybe they would have gone on and done anyway. But me personally, I think it's almost the most dangerous they've looked in attack since he came on. And I know that sounds like, oh, come on, it's just one game. But I'm telling you, I've watched a lot of Bulldogs game. And as soon as he came on, his ability to go deep into the line and have that long ball out the back or even just long ball, they were stripping of numbers pretty regularly.
And even just from the factor as well that there wasn't the optics of Toby Sexton getting hooked off the field. He jumped into 9. He did a really good job there.
I love it. We'll get to the review, but I didn't even think of that as being an option. I love it.
Because of Hayward, I didn't even... Because Hayward and Kurt Mann are already in the side, I just assumed Hayward would have to be at 9. I didn't even consider the idea of Sexton playing there.
Timmy, what did you think of Galvin? Kayo Can't Miss moment.
Yeah, he was unreal. Gus Gould would have been licking his lips watching that. Hopefully he got a chance to meet the young man after the game as well.
No, still hasn't met him.
May not have met him. There was a lot going on after that game, but...
They just text each other.
Yeah. I just can't believe how seamless he slotted in.
Oh, mate,
and
it's crazy.
As you said, the balls, even from Serraldo to go, all right, 23 minutes to go, we'll move our halfback to hooker. To my knowledge, Toby Sexton has never spent time at hooker. Maybe he has at the Titans, I don't know. But Galvin coming in the half.
Probably did at the Titans.
Let's
be honest.
That's why I sort of went back on it. So I'm like, it was at the Titans. Fair chance he did. Could have said prop forward or whatever. Could have.
Bit of time at fullback.
Yeah,
it's a drive-by.
Just seamless how well he came in. And I'm very aware, as you said, Kempy, it's a 23-minute period. We'll get more of a look in coming weeks, but
it looked good.
The way he slotted in there, it is so hard for halves and fullbacks and all that to combine, and number 9s, especially when your number 9s are 7, to combine and look slick, and to do it after being at the club for a week, coming on to a game at 14-12, you said it was, score a try and have that impact. Oh, jeez.
Yeah, it looked good. I tell you what, Sexton didn't even know he was playing 9. So apparently the trainer just ran on and said, you're going to 9. And he just went, oh, yeah, sweet. The confidence with Serraldo is coaching right now is he is, if you ever seen a coach have swagger, that's it. By going, I'm not even going to tell my 7 that the new guy is replacing him and he's going to be moved to 9. But having the confidence in your system, in your training, in your player, in Sexton. The game was on the line. To move your 7 to 9 and for Serraldo to go, no, I'll back Sexton to be able to do a job at 9. Those 7 and 9, they couldn't be more different. and yet they do it and nail it. Like what the Bulldogs are doing right now, and I know a lot of people were off me when I said I personally think we're seeing the start of one of the great coaches in Serraldo. There's more evidence for it. That was amazing.
Yeah, and I think, once again, it's credit to Toby Sexton one, but just to the Bulldog system as well. The trainer can run out there and say to the halfback, who's under the world of pressure right now, you're playing hooker. Like, mate, there are clubs in this league that if that happened to the halfback, there'd be a look up to the coach's block going, what the fuck?
Yeah. Mental.
It's just, I'll go and do my job.
Yeah.
I'll make it work.
And it looked good. And also, all of a sudden, I'm going, you know what? I don't mind it. Like, Sexton's defence has always been pretty solid. Like, he's never looked like a half that's too small and gets bumped a lot. Now, granted, it's 20 minutes and, that's very different week in, week out. But the more I thought about it, I'm like, well, Hayward started at 13, I'm pretty sure. He was named at 14, but I'm pretty sure he started at 13 and Kurt Mann came off the bench. Please correct me if I'm wrong with that.
No, you're right.
And so then all of a sudden you go, you know what, it all kind of fits. Like it all, yes, it is a relatively small bench with Mann sitting there, and you've got a 13 of Hayward. That's a small interchange, but you're like, you know what? It actually all does kind of fit in together, which is bizarre to think. I didn't think that before it.
I think the most interesting thing is too, like they had the interchanges to put Bailey Hayward on. They chose not to. Like they took Stephen Crichton off with 5 minutes to go. They had the interchanges up their sleeve to be able, and I even think Kickout might have come off in the last minute or so too. Like they had the interchanges to bring Sexton off and put Hayward on, put a guy on that's a genuine 9 that's trained there. No, we'll make it work.
I wonder whether Serraldo was like almost a little bit of a test of like, is he going to go there and sulk and not get it amongst it? So
I just had a look. He played one game of hooker last year in reserve grade and scored a double. Sexton.
Oh, there you go. Well, then, of course, he would be good at hooker.
That's the only time he's ever played hooker in any comp.
Mate, Galvin, he fits seamlessly. And, yep, it's 20 minutes and we don't know what's going to happen with the rest of it. But I'll tell you what, if you're being honest, you couldn't ask for much of a better 20 minutes. You really couldn't have. Not only did he go on and look seamless, they scored 20 points or whatever it was. They were 14, they ended up at 30. Like, what's that, 16 points?
No, mate, to be honest with you, the thing that I love the most about Galvin's 20 minutes is that there was no moments where he made it about Galvin.
No.
Like he just did what the team needed him to do. He pushed up. He just played his role and everything. There was no, my biggest fear was the crowd was going to go nuts. He was going to go for a chip over the top or do something rogue. He didn't do that.
Yep.
He actually did the opposite of what we've been saying for the last 2 years. He fit into a system really well.
Yeah. So scary times. Again, I think we're all of the same belief. Like, look, we don't know how it's going to work, but Serraldo has made a lot more with less. And at the moment, it looks like they might have nailed it. Again, still plenty, like there's a whole season to go. Right now it's the honeymoon phase and you've got a young guy that's like, yep, whatever the coach wants. What happens when he gets a bit comfortable and, it's his team now and whatever. But at the moment, you literally could not have asked for more.
I think in a few weeks' time after the Doggies bye, maybe they wait till after the Origin period, I'm not sure, but I think it'll just be unfortunate. Then, geez, I feel sorry for him. But I think Sexton drops out, Galvin starts.
Do you think they potentially have Sexton on the bench?
You've got Kurt Mann, you've got Bailey Hayward, you've got Reid Marnie. You don't need Sexton to play cover 7 or 9. They've got 4 different blokes who can do it. Unfortunately,
it sucks.
I think Sexton's one to drop out.
And in 6 weeks' time, I think you'll have Jamin Salmon back there as well. It's just another guy.
Could you have Reid Marnie drop before Sexton?
I think there's a world where that
and
could
Hayward
happen.
goes 9?
I don't like that.
Maybe.
Because, yeah.
You're messing with a lot there. I don't like it, but possibly.
It's incredible. So what a moment. And, that's the thing with rugby league. You just never know how it's going to all work out. That was as close to a fairy tale as you could really want. Seriously. So that's the Kayo Can't Miss moment. Get on board today. Okay, guys, with the review today, we'll probably be a little bit shorter because we've been spending so much time on other subjects. So please, if we are shorter on your side, it's not because we don't like your side specifically. We're not trying to piss you off specifically. It's just we're just trying to get through and we're trying to talk about, what we think is the biggest talking point from each game. The boys, they've got a show after this, so they've got to get going.
3 shows, mate.
3 shows. I've got a show after this as well. And also we spent so much time on the Origin chat. So please do not get upset. We apologise. It's nothing against your team personally. Okay, Knights versus Manly. Huge controversy. The biggest talking point, unfortunately, wasn't the fact that the Knights played outstanding, especially in the second half. Now, he's already come out and apologised for it. I won't say we called it, but I will say a few weeks ago, we noted the press conference were getting concerning with Adam O'Brien. Unfortunately, even though he's apologised, and look, you can't hold it against a bloke after he's apologised, but for him to even think that or say that, I just think there's a bit of a disconnect. Like, the Newcastle Knights are the most loyal fans in rugby league, literally. When they were on the bottom of the table, they were still getting like 25,000 people to games. And I just can't, I understand, he's trying to defend the boys or whatever, but to say that they don't know footy after they're the ones that turned up for years and years and years, and they keep turning up, even though there hasn't been much success in a very, very long time. I just think that we flagged it a few weeks ago. I'm a little bit worried that even Adam O'Brien may have checked out from that position. I think there's a lot of pressure. There is the whole story around the big payout. I personally think if he was fully involved, if he was subconsciously committed and he felt like he was going to stay there long term, I don't know if he says that. Me personally, I feel like he's checked out a little bit. I feel like he understands that he's probably on his last legs at the club. He knows he's getting a big payout. I just don't agree with that. The sentiment or anything, you can protect the players without bagging the fans. And also what I can't understand is that they weren't booing just that game. They're booing the fact that before that game you were second last. And also, if you lose that game you and the Titans win, all of a sudden you with potential to be last, I think. Apologies if I've got my numbers wrong. But you're at the bottom of the table. They're not booing just that performance. They're booing the whole season and the fact that that side is sitting second last. Look, it's good that he apologised, but as I said, this isn't just a one-off situation. There have been other press conferences where we've been like, what is going on? I'd love to get your thoughts, boys.
I was saying boo Ryan.
Oh, mate, we picked this, mate. We picked this months ago.
Yeah.
I've saying on this podcast for a long time, all is not well up there. And you know what? I love that Newcastle fans got in the comments and said, fuck off. You don't know what you're talking about, because they always back their team. That's the best thing about
We
Knights
get abused
fans.
all the time from Knights fans.
All the time. It
all the
shits me to
time.
no end, but my God, I respect
Yeah,
it.
fuck
that
they
they
deserve
show
to.
up all the
Yeah.
time. And for him to say that, and, whether you read into it or not, true or not, people I've spoken to at the game reckon they were booing him on the screen, not them playing. It's after the fact, so I can't prove that. But, for him to even think that a Newcastle crowd was booing,
That specific, just that game.
oh, mate, he pointed out they had injuries. You fucking hope they have injuries. You don't think the Knights fans are well and truly aware of that? You got 6 or 7 local juniors in there. Knights fans live and breathe their local juniors, and you think they were booing them? Mate, it's just a complete disconnect from what that city is all about for me. And it's, I don't know how this gets better. And, Knights fans are sitting there going, fuck, all we do is ask, where's Dill Brown going to play next year? No one will tell us.
Yeah.
No one will give us any information about where the club's going. No one will tell us why Hastings isn't playing. No one will tell us who our halfback is next year. No one will tell us what's going on with KP. To them be told they don't know anything about footy, man, it's literally, I think, the last great rugby league city in New South Wales that's left. And it's just, I cannot believe it.
Well, listen, if you wanted to say that about some random on the internet that said something, you might have a leg to stand on. To say that to paying members that rocked up to that game in a cost of living crisis, it's outrageous. It's just outrageous. I cannot believe that was even in his mind. It's just, I'm with you, Ru. It's such a disconnect from the reality of the situation. To even think that those fans are just, you reckon that they rocked up and they're just booing that performance. That's the only reason. There's no way the most loyal fan base in the competition that's sat there through wooden spoon after wooden spoon is just booing that performance.
Yeah, on top of that, it's Newcastle, it's Steel City. You said last week you were beaten by the schedule. I think that's a disconnect to what that city is all about too. They're not making excuses, feel sorry for us.
You know what's crazy about that too? I even had Newcastle Knights fans defending him, messaging me, defending him with that comment last week.
I had Knights fans defending him last week, going, it's an emotional thing.
Yeah.
It's just a knee-jerk reaction. You pay him an absolute mozza to not have knee-jerk reactions. You're a head coach of an NRL side.
But what it does is that's how loyal these Knights fans are. There's Knights fans defending this bloke week in, week out, and then to get told that if you were booing, you don't know anything about footy. And
meanwhile, they're advertising on the website and everything. Come to Vegas. Spend an arm and a leg to come to Vegas next year, but you don't know what you're fucking talking about. What are we doing?
And the problem is, it's an untenable situation now. Like how could he possibly stay there long term, unless the season all turns around and they go on this crazy streak? Because the Knights fans are going to be like, why should we pay our money? We're getting spoken to like that by the coach. I don't get it. Timmy, your thoughts, mate?
Yeah, I hate that, the Knights have been asking to see something in attack for them, and I shouldn't say ticker because defensively they've been quite good this year. But we've been asking for it all year, and they come back from 16-0 down at half-time, 5 second-half tries, and we're talking about the coach. It's like, as a Raiders supporter, Ricky Stewart goes out of his way after a loss when we play shit to blow up about something ridiculous, to deflect attention from the players. Adam O'Brien's managed to deflect attention from the win back to himself and the members. And you blokes have summed it up well. It's a real shame that the spotlight isn't on a Golden Point winning try to Kalen Ponga, the pin-up boy of the club who's had a tough year. And, we're talking about the coach. And, I mean, the one small silver lining, he came out, there was a bit of accountability the next day. He copped on the chin, he apologised, as he should, but not everyone will do that. So I'm really glad that he did do that the next day and say, I was wrong, I'm sorry. But, yeah, it's not good.
The problem is that, this isn't just an isolated incident. He's had 3 press conferences now, it's not in a row, but, where he said something pretty silly. It doesn't make any sense. Anyway, this review is brought to you by Crowd Property Capital, guys. They are offering for any Bloke Club member $500 cash back for a settled loan amounts between $450K and $750K. Reach out to Andrew and the team via the Bloke Club. A massive thank you to Crowd Property Capital. If you're in the market for a loan, go to Crowd Property Capital. Check them out. Massive thank you for getting around us. But I will say, I do agree with you, Timmy. The silver lining is he came out immediately and apologised. And, whether you agree or disagree with his explanation where he was just trying to defend the players or whatever, I still struggle to comprehend how Adam O'Brien, after that win, can think that they're doing that performance specifically and not the season. I still struggle to comprehend how he can think that.
It's ridiculous. I don't know how, it shows a lack of connect to the community. It shows a lack of understanding of what Newcastle is about.
And you know what? The irony of it all is you could make the argument that negative moment motivated them to have the second half that they did. They came out and killed it.
Mate, I think without a doubt that's what made the difference. Wouldn't this have been a great opportunity for him to come out in that press conference and say, hey, we did that for the city.
Yeah.
We did that for you guys to show up every single week. You guys are frustrated, you're upset. We get it. We did it for you guys. Instead, he kicks him in the teeth as he walks out the door.
You're right. It would have been a great opportunity to go and look, I know the fans are passionate. I heard them, at halftime booing. Because I think he said in his apology he didn't hear the boos, apparently.
Okay.
Yeah, anyway. So he's in his apology, he said that when the journalist asked him, I think he's actually, you know what? We'll get the exact words he said, and that was the first time that he had heard about it. Which look, I'm going to have to believe him at his word, but that's surprising. He said, "I apologise unreservedly to our members and fans that I offended, and I can understand why they would be offended. I was not prepared for that question. I was unaware that there had been some booing. I went straight into protection mode for our group of players. That's no excuse. That's not how I feel about our members. I understand that we're here because of those people. They are an educated fan base. They are an educated crowd. They sit through all types of weather and all sorts of scorelines with unwavering loyalty, and I'm disappointed that I let them down with an emotional response. I hope by owning this, I can earn back a bit of their respect because that's not how I feel about them."
Which you've got to respect an apology, but
how do you
maybe
get to the
it's an
point of
emotional response,
it?
but how do you say the absolute polar opposite?
Yeah.
And they go, oh, no, I didn't actually mean the complete opposite of what I said.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot to come back from personally.
Yeah, I'm with you, mate. And I just don't know how you could ever get to the point where that's how you feel about the fans. And I'd also, as a coach, you're paid a lot of money for when a journalist asks you that question, just answer like a politician if you had to. If you're beginning to get emotional, just give us a politician
Say nothing.
answer. Just
Play
go
straight bat.
Yeah. Oh, did that? They booed. Oh, okay. Tough first half, but hopefully they're happy with the second half.
Hopefully we did enough for them in the second half.
Not just to go whack.
Yeah.
Anyway, Is what it is. Okay, now onto the performance though. Mate, second half, what I loved about it, high energy, not really much set footy. It was just genuinely, we're going to run hard, tackle hard, and play front foot footy. We're going to compete on everything, and they score a bunch of tries. And it's just like, I actually, funnily enough, I actually have a video in my notes of in the first half of their attack, and not worth showing it because they ended up winning. But I was going to show it if they lost because I was like, they're passing the ball like 4 meters before the line. Like we have guys that have helped win grand finals, not like passing the ball 4 meters before. Like even KP, he's passing the ball like 3 or 4 meters before the line. Like really pedestrian attack. Then they come out in the second half, and there was really, I mean, of course there were some set moves, but a lot of it was literally just. If there's a bomb in the air, we're challenging for it. If there's a ball on the ground, we're jumping on it. If there's a quick play of the ball, we're just getting on the front foot. And I just think that, mate, throw out the attack book. Whatever attack book you've got, maybe just throw it out and just go run hard, tackle hard, front foot footy.
Yeah. It's what's worked for them, right?
It worked for them against Penrith as well. It was run hard, tackle hard. Like 2 of their tries, I'm pretty sure, came off a kick to their edge back row and just a short ball. Like,
yeah, a team who haven't been able to attack, I was going to say all year, but for 2 seasons, who also for 2 seasons have hardly been attacking high balls and contesting kicks.
Yeah.
Shock that's turned into a few points.
And I think that, like, if you didn't have such good defence, because they've got good defence, then maybe you could say, look, we don't compete for bombs because our defence isn't the strongest, so we don't want to give their opposition an opportunity for a broken line. They kick return really well. But if your defence is as strong as the Knights, you can actually afford to challenge those bombs because you're like, we can trust our defence. We can keep teams below certain
The same
points.
as offloads, Kempy. Like, if you're a side that your attack's decent and your defence rock solid, you're, all right, let's play high percentage. And as you said, you be a bit more defensive in those kicks and you're worried about making the tackle and dominating the tackle and, you don't need to throw rash offloads and chance the arm much because you've got attack and you back your defence. The Knights aren't in that position.
Yeah. I will say, and sorry to harp on it, we're going to move past it, but so Schiller switched sides. So, when Schiller switches sides, that just proves the fans were right. Like, they're booing your decisions. Like, they're booing your coaching decisions and the season that's been. Like, they were right. He was on the wrong side. He goes to the other side, plays a much better game than he did in the first half. Selecting him at centre was just was the wrong call. It was the wrong call. Anyway, sorry to what I will say.
And you know what? I'm just going to throw one more thing on there. Read into this what you will, but KPP signs with the West Tigers the other day. And just even in his Instagram thing, farewell, fuck, he gives Benji Marshall a big rap in this about how excited he is to play under him and everything. Maybe it's not, but fuck, it sounded like a guy that's just excited to maybe get to a team that's going to actually play to his skill set.
And just have some energy and some life.
Have some energy.
Yeah.
Play him on the right side of the field. Let him offload. Fuck.
But then on top of that, there's the Dane Gagai chat. So reports that they're not going to activate his team option for 2026 because he's not worth $400,000 a season. That was via the Newcastle Herald. So seriously,
he's not worth $400K. I know he's got some issues in defence. He without Dane Gagai, they don't win that second half. He was phenomenal in that second half.
Arguably been their best player for the last 2 seasons, season and a half.
And listen, I'd get if Gagai was asking for $600-700K, I'd get it. You're telling me he's not worth $400K? What?
Yeah, well, sure. I'd be making a priority re-signing for $400K. Thank you.
Mate, he can come to the Broncos for $400K any day of the week.
I think nearly any club in the NRL would take him for that, wouldn't they?
What?
And you consider they've lost Leo Thompson, now KPP. How do they not have $400K to spend on?
You can afford to put him in reserve grade and play the whole season on $400K.
Got another guy doing it on double that.
Yeah, it's $400K. That's what you pay an 18-year-old half that's got a bit of promise. You're paying an Origin, Australian rep, a guy that's still playing good footy, relatively good footy. I know defensively he has his issues at times, but mate,
just about every centre in the competition has their defensive issue at times. So it's seriously
$400K, mate. I'm snapping that up if I'm the Knights. So strange. Okay, but let's get to the positive. Let's get to the positive. The second half from Gagai was absolutely phenomenal. He just went into absolute beast mode. 10 tackle break. He gave his opposition an absolute bath in that second half. He had spiders on him. He was unbelievable.
He was just untouchable, wasn't he?
Just got in Gagai mode. Sometimes he just gets in these modes where he just goes to a whole nother level and you just can't go with him.
Yeah, it was one of them things we always talk about at Kempy, when there's an injury in a game and players get shuffled out of position, can, like, all right, cool, it's all good and well to say, oh, let's attack that corridor, but you have to do it, and you have to do it effectively, and they did that. So when Lehigh Hopoate went down early, I think it was Total Kola went to fullback, Ben Trebojevic ended up out in the centres, and they just went at him. And they had basically all their success down that corridor, and you go, all right, he'd done a back roller, but you've still got to execute it, and they did, and they got Gagai early ball one-on-one with Benny Trebojevic, and he ripped him to shreds.
Yeah. Marju running for bloody a bazillion metres again, 267. Fletcher Hunt, he was outstanding at the edge there. Just some of those big plays that he made.
Yep.
I thought there was some defence, Fletcher Sharp, that he was a bit iffy on, but I thought his attack, he did what you would hope he would do, is just like whenever there's an opportunity, he's there around the ball. And that's why he got moved into the 6 role. I think he could be a decent 6 long term, but I'm still a little bit iffy on if that's his best position. I mean, right now fullback's his best position, but like long term, I'm still iffy if that will be his best position, because like him at fullback, you get the best of both worlds. I'm not saying you move him there yet, because obviously Kalen Ponga, but there was one time in one set, where both line breaks came through him and they ended up scoring the Manly Seagulls. But in attack, he was outstanding.
His awareness,
he's so good.
His awareness to just understand that, all right, we've got a sniff here. There's a line break chance or any sort of opportunity, whether it's Greg Marge on a kick return or a little bit of early ball to Gagai with a mismatch, and he just takes off and goes, if that happens, I will be there and I will capitalise on it. He did it a couple of times in this game. That footy IQ, the ability to sort of preempt what's about to happen, he does it as good as a lot of players in the
He reminds me of like a bigger version of Pappy.
Yeah.
Like just that ability to identify when there's going to be a quick play the ball or a line break. Look, I think they should stick with him at 6. Like I think that they should just continue if that's the path they want to head down. But if for some reason KP isn't there long term, I mean, I think he'll be bloody good at the back there. He'll be bloody good.
Yeah, I think, I said it before, I'm not sure if KB finishes his career there, and I think Fletcher Sharp will make a real grab at that fullback jersey. They play in Perth this week. They've got essentially no front rowers. Tyson Frizzell's going to be out with the HIA this week. Leo Thompson suspended. Jacob Saifidi hopefully back. Adam Elliott injured. It's going to be a real test. A long flight over there to a Dolphins side who's got injuries too, but you know what you're going to get out of there.
And they're looking red hot, the Dolphins.
Yep.
Looking red hot, looking confident, got swagger.
That's next week, Guru.
Oh, it's next week,
Yeah,
Perth?
I was like,
This week they're playing the Roosters.
Oh,
Sorry,
okay. Apologies.
Well, it's probably worse.
Yeah, Roosters.
At home. Oh, fuck.
What do you reckon? Do you reckon there'll be any dramas from the crowd at home? Hopefully not.
Oh, mate, hopefully not. But if there is, fuck, I won't bag him. I get it.
Yeah, mate, I get it. Mate, if I was in that crowd and I'd been spending my heart, and I've barely got any money as it is, I've been spending my hard-earned coin, I'd be...
It was 8 degrees.
Mate, it's just, yeah. Anyway, anyone else stand out for you boys? It's a bloody good second half. Cogger's try-saving tackle was unbelievable. And it was... I'm trying to look at what time it was. Oh, man. Apologies, I can't find it. But yeah, there was a match winning, or not match winning, but there was a crucial moment where Cogger made an unbelievable try saver. And I just think with Cogger, like, do you just give him more of an opportunity there? I know Gamble's injured and they think he's a 7, but I just feel like if you give Cogger more confidence and like time, maybe he can be the man. I know Hastings is probably going to come into the side this week, but what do you reckon?
Yeah, you'd assume Hastings comes in this week, but God knows what they're going to do there. Yeah, Cogger's such an interesting one, isn't he? Like, you know he's got the ability, you just... Yeah,
it's not like... I understand why they're a little bit hesitant, because he hasn't set the world alight. So I get it. This is not a crack at the Knights at all. It's more just posing the question that... Because he has these moments where you're like, oh, shit, like, that's, bloody good moment, the try-saving tackle, all those points in the second half. I just wonder whether, if they just back him all the way in, that they could get something out of him.
Well, I guess... It depends also what you want to do with Dill Brown. Like if you're planning on him to be your halfback, I think it probably hurts the case of Jack Cogger realistically.
But yeah, all the drama aside, I thought that this is a really, really good win for the club. Like as we discussed, and Adam O'Brien even said like they had a lot against them, so many injuries, dudes playing out of positions, a lot of young juniors, and they showed the Newcastle spirit, that Steel City. Back against the wall, everyone had counted them out coming out of that second half, and they did it, and they won. So Really, really good win for the club. The positive is if you take out like all the craziness going on right now at the Knights, is they got quite a few young, really, really talented players coming through. And so if they can just sort everything out, like there's a skeleton of a good side there.
They've got this young crop of kids coming through all their systems that if they can keep them all together, like I think McEwen came off the bench the other day, Kayo Can't Miss leaving, and I would have liked to have seen them keep KPP, but I think he'll be a guy that really breaks out over the next year or so, along with Fletcher and the other guys they're debuting at the moment. There is that Kyle McCarthy. I really like him too.
Yep.
There's a lot of talent
I like him
there.
Yep. I'm with you. So there is some silver lining. Like, their front row was Brodie Jones and Tyson Frizzell. I mean, Frizzell, you could argue, is not a middle forward. I know that we don't mind him in the middle. Then you've obviously got Brodie Jones, who, he's a small front rower.
Well, he's your alpha front rower this week, essentially.
Yeah,
so many guys out.
So there's a lot going on there. So that I thought it was a really, really good win for the club. And, take out the drama and that, enjoy it. This is a really good win. Backs against the wall. A lot of young players coming through. Okay, we'll talk about Manly. We won't be that long on Manly. We'll move on pretty quickly. But, I mean, it's funny, heading into this game, I think it was us who was talking I think on the preview, we were like, surely Manly, get the job done here. And surely after their incredible win the week before and they're looking good, they tore a team apart, they come out first half and they kill it. And you're going, okay, yep, sweet, we got Manly. This is the most Manly loss ever. Yep. What the hell is going on there?
And especially, mate, they come out in the first half, they lose Lehigh, they look great.
Yeah.
And then they go full Manly.
I cannot understand how, they are their best and worst is so far apart. It is mind-blowing, genuinely mind-blowing. I cannot for the life of me understand how they can come out in one half look like world beaters. Garrick was absolutely tearing them apart. And then the second half just go to complete water. I don't understand it.
They're an odd team, aren't they?
Oh.
They completed at 84% in it. Look like world beaters in the first half. And keeping in mind, it's a Knights side who've got, second or third best defence in the NRL. They're down the ladder, but they can defend. And Manly weren't making them look second rate. And they had their third choice fullback playing back there. They moved their back rower to centre and they were like, nah, we're fine. We're handling everything. Then the second half, it just falls to bits. I don't know what's going on.
And I guess it's just if you're looking at it from a longer term perspective, you go, that's the biggest issue with Seabold is that we know he can coach. He can coach a team to really good performances, but, his teams, outside of obviously the Rabbitohs at the start of his career, they have just been so up and down. Even the Broncos were guilty at times under Seabold where they would come out and just go, boom, and you'd go, holy, and then the next week it would be and I just wonder, is this ever going to change? They've got Seabold till 2027, but it seems like his style of coaching. It genuinely seems like that's just how he likes to coach teams. So I'm sure he doesn't like it, but what else could you put it down to?
Yeah, it's hard to work out with him. I don't know.
And so if you're the Manly Seagulls, how do you battle your way out of this when it seems like this is a style that is just ingrained in this squad and this staff?
Yeah, I just
not by choice, obviously.
Not by choice, but. Yeah, it is. It's just hard to see, obviously DC leaving at the end of the year. We don't know what's going to happen with Turbo, his injuries and all that. I don't know what the next few years look like for Manly. If I had to bet, it's just more of the same of this.
Yeah. And does Fogarty arriving to the club help a lot because he's such a steady seven?
I think it does personally, but I don't know if it helps enough to turn this side around and turn them into what they should be.
Bizarre. What do you reckon? I mean, Olakau'atu couldn't have done more. He literally could not have done more to help this team.
I love from Ola as well. That's two enormous performances in a row. And we've been critical of Ola in the past, even earlier this year, that leading into Origin games where he needs to put his hand up for selection, he hasn't quite done it. Didn't do it leading into game one, but the last 2 weeks, as you said, he couldn't have done any more for him, Kempian. He was actually meant to be in that extended blue squad, but he's got a child due over the weekend or next week and just couldn't risk it with obviously the Perth travel. So he opted to not be picked in the 20. So he was enormous for them. As you said, Ruben Garrick, he was tearing him shreds on that right edge as well. Tolotau Kola went to fullback. He was outstanding. I know we talk about it most weeks, but their depth at fullback is sickening.
It's insane. Kola, 300 metres.
They got 4 there who would start at a lot of NRL clubs.
Mental. Absolutely mental. But they just need this consistency. Is just it is the bane of their existence. So I don't know what I just think that I know it's a bit harsh, but it really does land at Seabolt's feet, and it's been a problem now for year on year on year. And unless he fixes it, I just don't know how. Unless he changes something in his coaching style, I don't think it's going to change. I really don't. So I don't know what they do there. Okay, now on to the next game. Sorry we didn't spend that much time, guys, but we already told you, unfortunately, we're going to have to move quickly on other teams.
Now, if you want to, very quickly, I've got the Queensland 1-17.
Oh, okay. Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Can I give the Roo Crew wrap at the start?
Okay, yeah, of course, mate, of course.
Good. All right. I believe I've got the Queensland 1-17 that they're going to name.
Go to Roo Crew.
Live from the Roo Crew. Go check it out.
Is it $1 a week or something?
$2 a week.
Mate, that's nothing.
Yeah, cheap as chips. You
Don't
can
even
find
buy
$2 a
coffee.
week.
Yeah.
Okay. So it sounds like Ponga will be fullback. Coates on one wing. Hammer on the other wing. Centers, Toya and Val Holmes. Munster at 5'8" and captain. Dearden at 7. Mo Fodawaker and Tino start in the front row. Harry Grant at 9. Edges will be Cotter and Capewell.
Okay.
This is the big one. Trent Leroux at jersey 13.
No.
Yep. Kurt Mann 14. Lindsay Collins 15. Nanai 16. Paddy Carrigan in jersey 17. Extended Ezra Howarth Horsburgh. I'm pretty confident that's what it's going to look like. They'll announce it over the next 24 hours. It might even be out by the time you guys are listening to this, but yeah, wild. So Paddy Carrigan coming off the bench. I'll be honest with you, it's shattering when I first read it. Trent Leroux off the bench, I don't know how much punch he brings to them realistically.
You telling me Trent Leroux is a better 13 than Paddy Carrigan?
No, I'm not saying he's a better 13. I'm trying to get inside the head of Billy Slater and understand what maybe this is. Mate, I think it might be that he just thinks there could be more impact mid-game, bringing Pat Carrigan on.
I got another option for you. Don't pick Leroux.
Yeah.
Pick Corey Horsburgh.
Yeah, pick Corey Horsburgh on the bench and have Carrigan at 13. That has genuinely blown my mind. Like, I think I've always had Leroux around the squad, potentially on the bench. We've spoken about it. But for him to replace Carrigan, like, I know Carrigan hasn't had, like, he's been solid this year. He's been good. Hasn't had his best season ever. But is he better than Leroux? I don't think he is. I think he is. Boys, what do you reckon?
Yeah, as I said, I can kind of make sense of it, but you do make a very good point. Just pick Corey Horsburgh over him. Mate, I think the moving Hammer out of centre is very interesting.
And, like, it's not like you're replacing him with a good defensive centre. I don't understand.
I think you're taking a huge punt there.
What do you reckon, Timmy?
Yeah, a lot of changes that seem unnecessary to me. Paddy Carrigan is obviously going, all right, we need a bit more punch off the bench. Like, he'll play 60-odd straight. He'll come off the bench about 20 minutes in, but the dog's work, the dirty work that Pat Carrigan lives and breathes in that first 20 minutes, he'll now be that punch off the bench. Mate, I mentioned Mo Fodawaker before, like, bring him off the bench, he can add a bit of punch. Like Pat Carrigan,
go Paddy and Tino up the front.
Yeah. You're moving Hammer to another position. I don't mind, to be fair, Jeremiah Nanai off the bench because I think he will bring some punch and he'll bring some extra fat.
And I think Kaywell's a long 80-minute player.
Yeah, so
anyway.
I don't mind that. But again, just a lot of changes.
Paddy Carrigan, like,
is he that confident that he got it that wrong in game one?
Yeah. Oh man, that's genuinely I just don't understand what is his defense? Is Leroy's defense better? Does he have better lines? He gives away. Yeah. Anyway, okay. Wow, that is like Holmes. Like, the thing is, Hammer would have been moved from centre because his defence in game one, but he's been better defensively for his whole Origin career than Holmes has been at centre. Holmes' defence is
knee-jerk, isn't it?
Yeah, like Holmes' defence is his worst asset at the moment. It's his attack that's incredible. And also, like, Hammer coming out of your own end, he's not going to take crazy hit-ups like Holmes is. So, I'm going to play two. Who's taking the hit-up? Hammer. He's not a hit-up merchant.
The yardage of your back three. And, like, it's not to say that Val won't do work from centre, because we know he will, and he'll probably run his 150, but to your point, Kempy, you weaken your yardage so much more without Val there.
Wow. That is genuinely mind-blowing. I mean, to your point, you're basically saying I got it so wrong for game one. So wrong. And those moves don't make a lot of... The Capewell one does make sense. I don't mind that. Because Nanai was good in game one, but it was actually like a lot of like impact plays that he could do off the bench. It wasn't the 80 minutes of dirty work. So I don't mind that. But the Carrigan, like Mo Fotuaika gets a starting role over Carrigan in the front row. That makes zero sense to me. Bring him off the bench. If you're so desperate to get Lioro in at 13, bring Mo Fotuaika off the bench for impact.
Even just like, that's another thing, and I don't mind Capewell starting, but like, he's on your bench, he's your cover for the outside backs. If any of your back five go down, he'll go out and play centre, one would assume. If that happens 30, 40 minutes into the game and he's played the first 30 to 40 on an edge in the pack, then he has to go to centre and defend Latrell or something like.
It is wild that you go from Capewell not being in the 20
to starting,
Fermor being in the side to him starting.
And also, like, it's gone from some people have said that Carrigan should be the captain of the state to he's on the bench now.
Not to mention, like, the last 2 weeks has Capewell even played back row? He's been playing centre.
Yeah.
And also, like, Carrigan got his first game at 13 on the weekend and absolutely destroyed the Titans. And I know it's the Titans, but like, I've put it this way, I haven't seen Lioro ever play like Carrigan played on the weekend. I've seen Lioro get through a bunch of work, make a bunch of tackles, really tough, good, solid player.
He's trying to address the impact from the bench.
I mean, you've got a guy called Big Red coming off the bench. Okay, we'll see. He could be, you know what, we could be sitting here saying, you know what, I would love nothing more to come in here Wednesday, because we'll be doing the review straight after the game, so will the Real on his channel as well. Straight after the game, we'll be doing the Origin review. I would love to get on here and say I got it wrong. I got it wrong. In Billy Slater we trust. But for me personally, there's no way I would be not having Carrigan starting with Lioro at 13. If you needed to get Lioro into that 13, I'd be putting Carrigan and Tino up front, and I'd be bringing Mo Fotuaika off the bench or Horsburgh off the bench. Is
it just this is a 17 he's naming this week, and then he fucking just... Because, mate, like, the Ezra Mam stuff, this team, this is correct, which I'm pretty confident it's accurate. Like, there's just so many things that don't make sense that I just wonder, is he just trying to...
Just stoke the fire and the
throwing
headlines?
A cat and the pigeons to then...
So is Ezra 18th man or just
No,
extended?
He's 18th.
He's 18th.
Howarth 19, Horsburgh 20.
Wow. There's a lot going on. Matty, what are your thoughts, mate?
I'm in utter shock that Carrigan's on the bench. I think that's madness, to be honest. I kind of... I see what he's doing with the back line a little bit, but yeah, that's crazy to have Carrigan on the bench.
Hammer on the wing, he does nothing a winger does these days. Like, he doesn't take 20 hit. Like, we speak about it every week. He's a Ferrari. He's a game breaker. From centre, we always talk about a roaming centre. That's what he can do from centre, and that's what he's done in Origin. Like, he's had essentially one bad game in Origin, and it was game one, and he's been moved position.
And if for absolutely nothing else, like Critter, like we keep calling him the best defensive centre, he might be the best attacking centre as well, and they're putting Val on him.
And on top of that, like, Critter had the game of his life. Like, he had I guess, yeah, as I said, maybe that's a good point. Maybe he's just throwing a spanner in the work. All the talk is going to be around all these changes, and he's lost his mind, galvanised the boys. It's us against the world. And then on game day, it's, hammer back to, or even just, because he wouldn't even have to say with the hammer one, he could just play there. He could be named at 5 and just play in the centres if he wanted to.
There's rumours as well that the wingers could swap sides too. I don't know.
Mate, it's a lot of changes for game one.
I think that one's a lot more smoky, but yeah.
Well, it's not though, because Coates played on the right.
He played Lomax's side, didn't he?
Yeah, he played on the right.
He played on the right, and he's a left edge winger. Yeah. So I think if that is what they go with, Coates will go to the left, and Hammer probably goes to the right.
And so what, Hammer is trying to defend Lomax in the air? Again, a guy that doesn't play wing defending Lomax in the air. Okay. Oh, Queensland Spirit, we're going to need you now.
Well, so no, wouldn't it be Coates would defend Lomax?
That's what it was
Coates
in game
would be
one,
Lomax.
But if there's a rumour that they'll swap it. Once again, I haven't heard anything solid on that. It's just what you're hearing around. But yeah, wild.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, that just... Listen, as I said, like, I've been a big proponent of Lioro around the squad-ish. One of the few people that do talk about him in the squad, because I'm a big fan of him. But to move him into 13 over Carrigan, it just bizarre. I at the very least, put Carrigan and Tino up front, bring Moe off the bench. And look, I understand Carrigan off the bench. I get the thought process because he's got a great offload. He's decent ball playing. You know, he can absolutely impact. And there is some people that feel that Carrigan plays too many minutes and he just gets a bit tired and he has a slow play of the ball or whatever. So I get that, but like, yeah, I mean, so do you think that Lioro comes off after 20 minutes and then Carrigan plays 60 straight?
I think there's a good chance of that happening, yeah.
Or depends how much faith there is in Lioro, but yeah, Carrigan comes on at about 20-minute mark, we'll go 60 straight, and he could just replace Mo Fott and Lioro stays on.
Okay, and he's basically saying, Lioro, you're on there for purely defence. You need to be.
I think so because I personally thought picking him on the bench I like him, but I don't think he's an impact sort of guy.
Yeah, he's definitely.
That's where I don't hate it. If Corey Horsburgh wasn't in the squad, I think it makes a lot more sense. But yeah, I think that they're looking at the New South Wales bench, going, "Fuck, we need to find a way to keep up with that bench." I think we're going to make some changes. We're going to bring Nanai and Paddy on, who can actually have impact.
But then, I look at it and go, mate, what's a better forward? What's a better front row rotation? Better forward pack. Tino, Paddy, Lioro, or Tino, Fodawaker, Lioro. I know which one I'm picking every day of the week. And then you bring Horsburgh on the bench and get him to come on. Because Horsburgh's got a great offload, great footwork. Bit of ball playing as well, has played 13 as well.
I guess he could always come in, the Red Dog.
Yeah, maybe. Okay, we'll see. Maybe he's a genius. He knows more about footy than I do, so I'll just trust that.
Sorry, so if you think, if Corey does come in, who do you think he comes in for? Trent Lioro?
Well, I don't think he will come in.
They won't do that, surely.
I don't think he will come in, but Timmy just said he might come in. Maybe.
I don't know what he's doing with it.
I'm just like Fodawaker and Lioro, especially Fodawaker, like I'm just so surprised that he's just locked into that role. Like he's a good solid front rower. Yep, if you have him in the squad, I totally get it. But there's a few of these players that a lot of people wouldn't even have him in the squad. They're just like locked into these starting roles. We'll see. The rubber will meet the road next Wednesday. Hopefully you've seen them like pumpkins. Okay, Melbourne Storm 38, the Cowboys 14, and this review is brought to you by Coastal Letting Co. They'll be giving away a 7-night stay in a 2-bedroom apartment in Surfers Paradise, valued at $2,200, to one lucky Bloke Club member. All you have to do is be a part of the Bloke Club, and you were in the running. So this month, guys, last month we gave away $1,000, the month before $2,000, the month before that $2,000. This month, thanks to Coastal Letting Co., we are giving away a 7-night stay in a 2-bedroom apartment in Surfers Paradise, valued at $2,200 to one lucky Bloke Club member, and that is thanks to Coastal Letting Co. So if you want to go to the Gold Coast and you want a holiday there, go to Coastal Letting Co. to get the best deal in the business, and a massive thank you to providing this prize to one lucky Bloke Club member. Make sure to join the Bloke Club. Go to www.bloke.club. And this month, at the end of literally this month, we are giving away a Mazda BT50. I know there's a lot of people sitting there going, I'll join when the draw's about to happen. Join the draw. Do not miss the chance to win a Mazda BT50. Thanks to Aspley Mazda. Thanks to Luke Camilleri. Give him a follow, LDC_01. Give him a follow on Instagram. And also, if you mention Bloke, he will take care of you. So massive thank you to Luke and Aspley Mazda, the best in the business. If you need a car, speak to them. They have provided a Mazda BT50. Think about that. A Mazda friggin' BT50. One lucky winner, and all you have to do is join the Bloke Club, where you get free prizes every single month. No strings attached. Okay. Melbourne beat Cowboys. For a period here, I was going, wow, Cowboys are, they're hanging in there. They're doing pretty well. Melbourne Storm, look, they did what we know Melbourne Storm can do. I will say, and I know Melbourne Storm, I'm going to be public enemy number one, but they still haven't allayed my concerns where they are so desperate to win 40-20 instead of 20-6 or 20-4 that I'm still a little bit worried that this style of rugby league, when it gets into finals footy, they might blow the team off the park in week 1, in week 2 or whatever, and then they just, for some reason in one game, the ball goes to the deck, certain things aren't clicking, and they just lose one of the finals games. Because they just have this desperate need to score 40 to 60 points every single game and win it by. And it just gets me a little bit worried. I know they won. They did exactly what they know can do. I just a little bit worried. What do you reckon, boys?
I agree. I think that I read through comments the other day on something to ask people who was going to be in the grand final, and sort of people are still going, oh, it's Melbourne and someone else. I think we're just assuming they've got this other gear they can go to in finals, but mate, you have a look over the last few weeks, they played the Raiders, what was that, 5 or 6 weeks ago. They got beat by them in a close affair. They then played the Sharkies, got beat by them in a close affair. They're blowing out other teams and they're putting on scores and whatnot, but I'm far from convinced at the moment as far as Melbourne goes when you do have to get and play that brand of finals footy that we know what it's going to look like. It's going to be tight. It's going to, it's going to be who's going to hold their hand in the fire. It's going to be low penalties. The whistle will be swallowed. I have my concerns about them heading into finals.
Well, they beat a Cowboys side 38-14. The Cowboys completed at 61%. 61%, and they still scored 14 points on them.
Yeah, and the Titans weren't much different the week before. They fucking turned the ball over at will, still scored 16 points. Sharkies put 31 on them. Granted, Tigers 64-0, gave it to them. But, it wasn't that long ago. And probably the best two teams they've played in the last 8 weeks, I would argue, are probably the Raiders and the Dolphins. They got done by both. They got played off the park by the Dolphins. I think there are some concerning signs there.
Yeah, and it sounds weird because they won convincingly. And the reason why I talk like this is because I don't judge the Melbourne Storm like I judge every other side. I judge them as it's either a grand final appearance this year or bust. That's where I have them. So if you want to judge them as, listen, if they make the finals and they get into a prelim or whatever, that's a good win. I'd almost lock that in that's going to happen. I would be shocked beyond belief if it doesn't. But I think this is a better year to win a premiership for Melbourne Storm hasn't come up in a very long time. This is the year for them to do it. And so I just get a little bit worried that, I was just watching the game and there were times where they were ahead by a pretty substantial margin, and they were chipping and chasing through the middle and throwing huge cutout balls, and I just get a little bit worried that when it comes finals time, that's not going to stick and it's going to all come apart. Am I being crazy, Timmy? Speak to me.
Yeah, I think you've both been a little bit crazy.
Okay.
I think you've been very critical of a side. You go through results, it's easy to pick and choose, and I understand it's the Tigers, they're coming off wooden spoons. They put 64 on them there. The Raiders game, that was a cracker. The Storm had that one. The Raiders are now second on the competition ladder. The Raiders won that on the buzzer. It was almost unlosable for Melbourne. They essentially somehow found a way to do it.
But isn't that kind of to the point, though?
Yeah, well, the Warriors are, third on the ladder. They beat them 42-14. I see your concerns in that. The Sharkies game, that was a good one, down by 5 at Shark Park. I don't know. I just think they're going through an origin period. They've got blokes playing for the Maroons. I think they've had injuries this year to Harry Grant. I mentioned the games last week that Harry Grant had missed during this bit of a slightly lean spell. They've gone and the Cowboys are a top 8 team and they beat them by 24 points in some rainy conditions again there as well. I think if they stay fit, then they're going to be bloody hard to beat. And, you talk about those concerns going to finals, Kempy. I think, yeah, there's a few, and you don't want to develop bad habits throughout the regular season. We know that. We know Cam Smith's been a big proponent of that. You don't want to develop those bad habits, but they get to finals time, the attitude changes. Because they are getting out some of these big leads because they're so good in attack, it almost is like they're taking the piss at times with chip chase and a few things, but when you're up by 20-odd points, you can afford to do that. So I don't think there's any... I think their only concern, and I've said it week in, week out, is just I think their edge defence is a bit shoddy at times, particularly that right edge of theirs, the Hughes-Katoa edge. It's getting ripped to pieces a little bit. They need to shore that up, but I think he's been pretty critical.
Okay, I guess... So they let the Cowboys score 14 points on them, 38-14. The Cowboys completed at 61%, and currently Cowboys, if you just go to how many wins they've had, and then you get their points differential, they actually should be sitting 12th on the ladder.
14 points. It's 3 tries in the NRL.
You don't reckon that's a
14
bit,
points
against 12th place? There's 12th place completed at 61%.
There's not a team in the NRL that averages less than about 18 or 17 points per game. There might be a team about 16, but 14 is below every defensive side in the competition.
12th place with a 61 completion rate scored 14 points. That's not a little bit of a worry against the premiership heavyweights?
They're 12th place.
They've had 5 wins. So because they haven't had the buys and that. So the buys, they've had all their buys, I'm pretty sure. Whatever.
They're not 12th. They're 6th. They're a top 8 team.
But so they've had 5 wins. Dolphins have had 6 wins. Broncos have had 6 wins. Sea Eagles have had 6 wins. The Roosters have had 5 wins. The Dragons have had 5 wins. And they've got a worse points differential than Dragons.
Yeah,
I just don't think they've got the same ruthless feels to them that they have in previous years.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I'm Canterbury or your side, the Raiders, showing up to play them, I don't think they're as intimidating as they have been in previous years.
Yeah, no, I don't sit there and go the Raiders or the Doggies can't beat them. They absolutely can. I just think they're also going through an origin period where they're losing all these players. Like even last week, they beat the Titans in the wet. Like Harry Grant doesn't play in that game. Jerome Hughes, he had barley belly for that game and didn't train all week and almost didn't play. They've won 2 weeks very comfortably through what is traditionally a tough period for them with players out. Xavier Coates, I don't think, played last week.
You reckon last week was comfortable? Comfortable win?
Well, I think you're being very glass half empty. I think they're cruising through this period, and I think if their team stays fit, they deserve to be red hot premiership favourites. As I said, the Raiders can beat them, the Doggies can beat them, the Warriors can beat them. They're not impenetrable. I'm not saying that, but I just think
they're sitting fourth.
I think they're cruising.
They're sitting fourth though.
And
okay,
they're 4 points clear of fifth place.
I wouldn't say this.
They've scored more points this year than anyone in the NRL.
I personally, if you're coming in as premiership favourites and you're midway through the year and you're sitting fourth, I wouldn't sit there and, like, for example, watching Bellamy on the weekend, do you reckon he was toast?
I'm just going off raw. I'm just going for raw numbers, so I haven't calculated with teams missing games and that. But they've conceded the second least points in the competition, just behind the Doggies. They've scored the most points in the competition.
They've only got one more win than the Sharkies this year.
Yeah, Sharks played an extra game.
No, but as in, like, they've got 8 wins. The Sharkies have got 7 wins.
Sharks played 13 games. Storm have played 12.
So that would be potentially 9 wins compared to 7. And the Sharkies haven't had necessarily the best year.
The buy does make it hard because you can look at it both ways. You could say they've played one, so they had more of an opportunity to win, but you could say you can look at that both ways, to be fair.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think the way that I'm looking at it is that I look at it and go, this year is set up.
This is it. This is it.
This is the year when Penrith sort of fall off a little
I'm
bit.
with you.
And I just think when you look at how finals footy is going to be played, I think the Warriors, Raiders and Bulldogs are playing a style that would be more difficult come that time.
The way I see it as well is, like, they are the premiership favourites, and heading into this year, I think they were as well. They're sitting fourth. I don't think Bellyache would be happy that they're sitting fourth right now. But I think that, again, I admit that I'm judging them on a very harsh scale. I'd love to get Storm fans, because Storm fans have a much better feeling of it than us, because they're the fans. They have their expectations of what they want their team to play like, all that. I would love to get Storms fans' thoughts, comments in the comment section of, like, do you think, absolutely happy with how things are going, we're good to go, or, middle of the road, or you think there needs to be a lot of improvement?
And I'll tell you something else, mate. They'll play this week. Won't play this week. They're on the bye. Round 16. They're on the Saturday. Come back from Perth, so there's every chance Grant, Munster, Coates, these boys don't back up, and they could get done in round 16. They'll play round 18 without their origin stars as well. That's against the Cowboys, so that works out well. But they could easily lose that game as well without their key origin players. They could be fifth by the time the end of the origin period goes, because that's what happens when you've got stars in origin camp. Things change. They get rested. You lose games, but, I think they're coasting.
Where were they before? That'd be interesting. What were they round, was it 10 or 11 before origin? 10. It would have been like maybe third? Second, third?
Third in round 10.
Third in round 10. But yeah, let us know what you think in regards to the Melbourne Storm, how they're travelling. I will say, Hughes' performance on the weekend, though. Like, defensively, we can talk about that, but she's in attack. My God. This guy is an absolute freak of nature.
Yeah, him and Katoa, they're just must-watch TV.
Mate, some of the stuff they do, it is just like the best rugby league you can watch in attack. It is unbelievable. And he is just... With Hughes, when Hughes is on, how do you defend him? Like, because he has everything. He has the running game of a fullback. He has developed the halfback ball playing that he needs. His short kicking game's great. His long kicking game's getting better. Like, he really is the modern... If you were to, if you looked at the game and how it's changed and the speed of the ruck and the 6 agains, like, he really does represent almost that modern number 7 that has that running game.
He's almost like... He's a bit of a kick in the dick to every other halfback in the competition in that they've been mastering their craft for 20 years. This bloke gets thrown in there after being unwanted by numerous clubs as a fullback into halfback, wins comps and does what he does. Like, it almost throws out, it almost makes other halfbacks look bad in this competition.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, just the things he can do. And also, like, he does, we spoke about in Origin how Dearden and Munster, the kicking game, it's not going to be the best. Like, I mean, you look at the Storm and like they've never had, not never, sorry, this current Storm, their kicking game isn't that good long. Like it's good medium kicking game and short kicking game is quite good, but their long kicking game, it's not that great.
It'll be really good in 20 years' time, once it's all said and done, to look back at Bellamy's career and go, okay, who was the best example of his coaching?
Yeah,
is it Cooper Cronk arriving as a utility, turning into the halfback he is?
Slater as a centre winger.
Slater, like, is it?
Smithy was a halfback, wasn't he? Isn't he a 5'8" or something? I think coming through the grades.
Yeah, like, is it losing Cameron Smith and then producing Harry Grant?
Yeah.
Like at the end of his career, it's going to be a very interesting chat.
Yeah, like just when they get rolling, it's just incredible. I actually thought, we've been kind of negative-ish about stuff, not negative, but just compared to other forwards or whatever. But I actually thought it was probably his game of the season. I thought he was outstanding.
It was his best game too.
Yeah. What do you reckon, Timmy?
He stepped up for sure. It's definitely his best game of the year. And when you're playing for an Origin jersey, it's good to see. I mean, myself being a bit glass half empty here, a week where you're playing for an Origin jersey and that's the week you lift, well, that should be the standard every week from Stefano, not the week you're trying to get a Blues jersey. But you're right, mate. He was terrific in this one. So
good. I mean, he probably played like the potential that we know he has. Like he played for about 40 minutes, 14 runs, 146 metres, 59 post contact, 8 tackle breaks, a line break, 2 offloads, 20 tackles, 0 misses. Like, that's a fucking good knock. That's a bloody good knock. Isn't the Nelson Asafa Solomona just such a strange situation at the moment? Like, sometimes he's starting, sometimes he's coming off the bench, sometimes he's named on the bench, and he's like, just, what do you reckon's happening there?
Full strength, do we all see Alec McDonald and Pahulu being on the bench?
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah. And Wishart?
Sure.
So you'd go Wishart, Alec McDonald.
I think
Kamakamitha not on your bench.
I think it's Kamakamitha. Well, are we all assuming Nass will be there? I think he will be.
Has to be, sure.
Has to be. I think it's between Pahulu and Kamakamitha, personally. Okay. And I'm just looking at, Tui's apparently been offered to other clubs and whatnot. I'm sort of just reading the writing on the wall there. I think Pahulu is going to be an absolute weapon. It might take him a year or so in Melbourne, but I think by the end of the year, he could be the guy there.
I think he's going to absolutely explode, Pahulu. I think he's going to kill it.
I think there's a very good world where he's ahead of Stefano in 2 years' time.
It's personally fair. I think there's so much. If you look at like his body shape in the modern game of rugby league and the smaller forward that's mobile, he suits that to a T. Yep. Like the Storm are so friggin' good. Like apparently he was like all but done at the Dogs, and the Storm just somehow, some way, just sneakily just slide in and just go, thank you, take him from the Titans.
I didn't hear a word about that in the lead up to
Nothing. Came out of nowhere, and as soon as I saw the headline, I was like, "It's brilliant! It's brilliant."
Mate, you walked in here that morning and said Melbourne just signed someone. I said, "Who?" You said he's a forward, and I reckon I had 7 guesses. I still didn't get it.
Fucking crazy. I'm just trying to think here. Anyone else stood out for you guys?
We spoke about it last week, but just introducing Harry Grant back into this side, Christ, it makes a difference.
They look like a different team, don't
Different footy side, yeah. Yeah. To what we were saying last week, they almost are maybe too reliant on him.
Just trying to look. I thought Pappy, outside of that, was that one pass over the sideline that just went?
That was
so weird. I've never seen him do that. But outside of that, I thought he was pretty good. And just the fact that, you have to remember with Pappy, 12 months ago, there was a real discussion of should Fa'alongo be the starting fullback with the history that Pappy's had. Ever since he's been back, there's not even a conversation about it anymore. Matter of fact, there are some people that said maybe he should be considered for Origin. That's how good he's been going. Just a testament to Ryan Papenhuyzen. And also, he backed himself. He signed that shorter contract because he clearly wants to win a premiership. Got offered quite, he's probably on, 300 or 400 grand unders right now. Backed himself, stayed loyal, wants to win a comp. Going to be interesting to see when he comes on the market. Do the Bulldogs have money in the cap? Is that something that they're waiting for? That's something he was already kind of linked to them because he signed till 26, isn't he? End of 26.
So, yeah.
So November 1 this year, super interesting Papenhuyzen to watch him where he ends up.
Yeah, and when you say 300 or 400k under the cap, you got to remember as well, yes, he wants to win another comp. He's a Clive Churchill medalist.
Yeah, absolutely.
His value should be much more than what it is.
Much more. So you play well. All right, on to the Cowboys. Won't spend that long on the Cowboys, guys. I know, Cowboys fans get frustrated, but, we've got to shorten things up a little bit. But what is there to say? There was a period in the game where they're hanging in it and you're sitting there going, okay, yep, Cowboys are the real deal. And look, they had a lot of offloads, so maybe that was why. But it's 61% completion rate. Like, you're just not even giving yourself an opportunity to win the game against the Melbourne Storm. Like, you basically may as well walk off the field and go, you win.
Yeah. Backline, they had 16 errors altogether. They had 11 from the backline. It's always going to make life difficult against any footy side, especially against the Melbourne Storm. They're going to make you pay for that.
Yep. And like, look, if Drinky has a couple of errors, I'll cop it because he's going to give you a few points. But all those other outside backs is like, mate, you just can't have that many errors. And funnily enough, like, to complete at 61% and still be beaten 38-14, so it's a 13+ loss. It's not great, but I actually think that that's a pretty good win, like, for the Cowboys in regards to. They probably should have been belted by fucking 50-14, but they managed to somehow keep it respectable with that low of a completion rate. 6
line breaks each for the two teams.
That's what I meant. Like, so it's like I looked at it and I said, okay, if you could just put it this way, what does the game look like if they completed 85%? Like, it's probably a close game, and that's where I just go. You can look at a glass half full, or you could look at a glass half empty and say, another big game, the Cowboys, super inconsistent, and they're their own worst enemy. What do you reckon?
I just don't think you need to chance your arm too much against the Melbourne Storm. Like, sure, they've got some superstars in their side, but like the superstars in the spine, I think where like a Raiders match up very well against them, or to a lesser degree, like maybe a Bulldogs, I think it's just the pack. And like, to your point, Roo, like I don't think their pack is overly intimidating, and that's where a side with a good, strong forward pack will go, no, we can win the middle, and off the back of that, we'll shut Jerome Hughes out, we'll shut Harry Grant out, because they'll get slow play of the ball, so they have no momentum through the middle, and I think the Cowboys probably, who, to their core, they're an attacking side, they like to use the ball and go wide through Drinky, but probably just not the game to do it in wet conditions. I think, as you said, Campy, like a 61% completion is awful. Put that up towards 80, and I understand it's easier said than done to do that, but you can rein in a little bit and just take them on through the middle. You win that. You can take the spine out of the game, at least to some degree, so a little bit too flamboyant in this one.
I thought this game was very similar to the Melbourne game last week. I thought the Titans and the Cowboys, they both, and I know they're attacking sides, but I think they showed up going, fuck, we've got to do something amazing here to beat this mob. I don't think the top 3 teams are looking at Melbourne like that anymore.
No.
It's the opposite route.
Yeah.
You don't need to do anything amazing.
Yeah.
Take them on through the middle, play high percentage footy. We know the Storm when you use the ball and throw it around. You already alluded to it, Campy, and let them make mistakes and win the middle.
And like, they will. That's what's, I think, like, it's almost like some teams are playing the old Storm. Like, it's like they're going down to play Cam Smith, where if you do if you do get in the grind with them, they'll just beat you any day of the week. And it's like, that's not what the Melbourne Storm are. Not that side anymore. They are the Globetrotters. They are the most entertaining, exciting team to watch in the NRL. But it can go wrong if you slow the ruck down. It can change everything for them.
I think that, and obviously Melbourne, they're going to be missing players, you would assume, off Origin. But that South Sydney pack with Keon and Jai Arrow in 2 weeks' time. I think they'll just kick the door in. I think.
And didn't they play them only recently? And they actually went with them for quite a while of the game with some players out.
Yeah, they were winning at one point at half time, I think.
So look, as I said, you could look at a glass half empty or glass half full. The glass half full is, if they completed a high percentage, they could have gone with the Melbourne Storm. But it's just a matter of sorting that out.
The one I wanted to flag was Tommy Dearden, just watching him, and when he gets that 3-on-3, like with a passive defensive line, he nails it just about every single time. And the one that really came to mind for this, I think it was him that threw it, but he threw a tunnel ball for a try. That was an absolute peach. And I just think when we talk about like a side with their attack that they can't get things to click, they don't know what's not working, and like the Newcastle Knights are a prime example of this, to go, all right, they're throwing the same shit block shape every single time. The perfect alteration to this is just a tunnel ball, because a lot of centres and wingers in the NRL are picked on what they can do in attack and to a less degree in defence, and there are a lot of poor defensive reads. It's hard enough as it is. You get a good fullback or a half throwing that tunnel ball, they've got no idea how to defend it. And like when it's perfected as well, it's very, very hard to defend. I think it's one of the most, I remember last year, Roo, you spoke about the wraparound being an underutilised play in rugby league. I think that tunnel ball to a gun centre or even the winger is so underutilised.
Yeah, because you need the winger to essentially pre-read it. Like, because the winger is going to land on the wrong person if he doesn't pre-read it.
The centre and the winger need to nail it. Like, and you know what? One of them will probably screw it up.
Yeah, and most of the time, like defences, they call what they're going to do before the play happens. Like they'll look up, they'll go, okay, there's someone out the back, we're going to jam in, we're going to ready or whatever. So yeah, I'm with you. Like that tunnel ball, if anything, it gives you a quick play the ball at the very least.
Isaiah Katoa does it quite well, and he's the best because, again, the deeper you go into the line and chuck those defenders, it opens up space. Then he just goes bang out the back through the tunnel, and it's off into Herbie, and they just go, thank you, and he strolls through.
Yep. So hopefully the Cowboys can, just the thing with the Cowboys is just a few small tweaks. It really is. Like they've got it in them. You just need to sort it out. Okay, the Dolphins defeat St. George Illawarra Dragons 56-6. And what is so special about what the Dolphins are doing right now is like, yes, have they been a bit inconsistent this year where they've had some really high highs and some pretty low lows to a degree. Now, granted, if you took out that first 4 weeks, you could actually be sitting in the 8. They'd be going quite well. But I've got to say, I've never seen a Dolphin side look as good as they've looked this year. So their highs are higher than any previous year, in my opinion. So much so that when they play their best, I actually think they can go with the top 4 sides. Like, that's how well they've played at their best. It's just a matter of how do we do this every single week?
Yeah, for sure. And even on the weekend, they also lost Max Plath. I think he's out for the year. And I think Daniel Saifiti's gone for the year as well. So, mate, being a new franchise and just how unlucky they've been with injuries, mostly in their pack, is just crazy. And, we talk about him every week, but the development Katoa's done without a dominant pack, like, they signed an Australian front row forward for him. They haven't got to use him.
Literally. And Gilbert was out for the first 2 years of his development.
Dan Saifiti gone now.
Gilbert's not even... Yeah, Gilbert's out at the moment.
Yeah. Plath's gone. I think Ray Stone's injured at the moment. Like, it's pretty much...
Well, this is his forward pack. Just to reiterate your point. This is what he's... Francis Molo, Kurt Donahue, Kofusi, Fini Fuaki, Oren Keeley, and Harrison Graham.
I think if you went back to your best 17s for the Dolphins...
Sorry, not Harrison Graham. Apologies, not Harrison Graham. Lemuelu.
I think if you went back to your Dolphins teams at the start of the year, best 17s, I'm not convinced any of those players are in jersey 8 to 13 at the start of the year. Genuinely. I think Felice would have been on the bench.
Yep.
Lemuelu, he is still coming off the bench. Oren Keeley wouldn't have been there. Fine Fuiaki was off the bench as well. Jeremy Marshall-King's the only one there, and he's only just come back to play 9. It's insane. It's very underappreciated what they've managed to do considering how many injuries they've had and whatnot.
If they make the 8... Should Christian Wolf be in the running for Dalian Coach of the Year? He
should be 100% in the comment. He won't get it just because of the storylines,
all the other stuff going on.
Mate, if they I think the top 4 might be a little bit out of reach for them now. But if they can finish 5 or 6, I definitely start to look around and go, well, fuck,
sorry, they're in the 8 right now. So they're 7.
In the 8,
yeah. Fuck.
But there is a gap to those top 4 teams.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if they can wrangle that back in.
Well,
but
you've got Storm on 8 wins. You've got Sharks on 7 and the Dolphins on... No, sorry. So the Dolphins are on 14 points. The Storm are on 20. So, yeah, you're 2 wins away.
2 buys to come as well.
Yep.
Mate, they spent the preseason with Kurt Donahoe playing fullback to prepare him for the Origin period because they didn't have Trey Fuller. He's been their starting hooker.
Yeah.
2 buys to come, and they get the Cowboys this week without all their Origin players. So... worked out all right for them.
Because, like, right now, really, you've got Sharkies on 7 wins, Dolphins on 6 wins, Broncos on 6 wins, Sea Eagles on 6 wins. Like, for the injuries that they have had, it is unbelievable where they're sitting right now. Like, it is incredible.
Yeah. And I think you'll see Trey Fuller play this week as well. He came back and played Q Cup last 2 weeks. So, he's available now. So, it gives them a little bit of flexibility.
Do you go hammer in the centres with Herbie if he kills it?
I think... They love and adore Jake Averillo up there. So
yeah, I mean, he has been quite good though.
If they haven't dropped Averillo at any point, I don't think they're going to do it now.
That's fair. And also, like, look, it's been going well for him at the moment. They're sitting 7th. Like, that is, like, we haven't even spoken about Wayne Bennett this year. Like, they lost Wayne Bennett. Like, usually it is the curse. Like, it is the curse. Haven't even spoken about him. In regards to performances, I know we speak about him every week, but, like, it's just, it's wrong not to. But Katoa, this kid is unbelievable. Like, he is truly doing things that very few halves looked as composed and well-rounded as he did at 21 years old. Now, I'm sure you could find quite a few 21-year-old halves that have won premierships or, I guess done more with the resume. But just the eye test, he's up there with some of the best 7s in the competition at 21 years old, in my opinion.
Yep. I had a question last week. Does he look better than what Nate Cleary did at the same age? I think the answer is yes.
Because I think the knock on Cleary at 21 was he was a bit too robotic. He had one game plan And that has completely changed. Like, he has developed so far past that, to so much that Nathan Cleary's running game is incredible now. But yeah, I think if you just, the eye test of just where they're at as individual players, I think he's up there with, he's at least equal to anyone that I've seen as a young 21-year-old seven.
Oh, yeah, he's right up there. And then, I said, just to do it at such a young age, but like, talking Blues debate and Blues halves, like in 12 months' time, we're going to be sitting there going, how the hell do we get him in there? Like, we're going to have Cleary, Moses, Katoa, Luai.
Surely he's next up when Moses retires in a couple of years.
He'll have to be. Like, I think we're going to be having the conversation in 12 months' time, maybe 24, but I generally think 12 months' time we go, we have to get him in there somewhere. Like, he's that good. And
I reckon bring him in the camp game 3 for you guys.
Should have brought him in game 1. It was ridiculous. I don't know why they didn't.
Just bring him in, sure.
Had Adam Dewey in there. We had, I can't remember who the other players were in there, but bizarre picks. He played in Sydney Saturday night, had the bye the week after. I thought it was a no-brainer.
Like, he's already taken Tonga to a Pacific Cup final. It's not like he hasn't done it in other teams and whatever. But yeah, he is something special, truly. Like, he's got the running game, he's got the ball playing, he's got the time, but also he's got a mammoth kicking game as well. Like, he has every part of his game. The only thing that he's getting better at, every week I see him get better, is just defensive. He's getting better. 12
months ago, defensively, we spoke about him all year, and we're like, defensively, he was, even for a young bloke, like, he's pretty bloody poor. We don't speak about him much defensively this year. Like, there's still some weaknesses, as you said, but he's come on leaps and bounds. And naturally, when you go from 20 to 21 years old, you're getting bigger every single year, and like quite substantially. So that's natural, but you know, it doesn't happen to everyone.
Yeah.
Like, his development's been huge defensively.
So, I mean, the thing is with the Dolphins, it's just like lock him up. Just get him at that club for as long as possible, because if I'm a club and if he ever came close to getting onto the market, mate, there are clubs that would pay an absolute arm and a leg for him. Imagine him behind a full-strength forward pack at one of these top-tier clubs. Like, imagine him behind a Raiders forward pack. What'd he be doing?
Yep.
Shit.
Yeah, we keep talking about this next, $2 million player.
He'll be the first one. I reckon he'll be the first one.
Oh, well, yeah. I think if he leaves the Dolphins, he'll be the first one. But I think he's very comfortable there.
And that's a testament to the Dolphins. Like, how many young players at clubs that have struggled over the couple of years, they lose their stars or whatever. The fact that we haven't heard a peep out of Katoa and wanting to go to a top-tier club, A, it shows, first of all, his character, that these guys gave me an opportunity, I want to pay it back. But B, it also shows a good club that's being run well. In regards to some other performances, I mean, Herbie Farnworth, it was a huge mistake to lose Flegler, I think, the Broncos, but I think the Herbie Farnworth loss is going to haunt them for the rest of Herbie's career. It's going to haunt the Brisbane Broncos, I think.
Yep, I agree. And it looks like Herbie and Critter, I think they're going to go back to back Dally M Centres of the Year. Matty made a really good point pre-show that the first time they won it was at different clubs.
Mental. They just go to a whole new club and just go to a whole new level almost.
Like yeah, it's insane. They both went from Dally M Centres in the grand final team.
Yeah.
To Critter went to a bottom 4 side, and Herbie went to bottom 6 side or whatever they were, the Dolphins, and they've elevated their sides and they've won those awards again, and they'll probably win them again this year. It's crazy.
And what's insane is I don't see it ending anytime soon. Like they don't look like slowing down anytime soon. Like Herbie Farnworth, I think he's 25 years old. Critter, 24 years old. Like, when we look back on it, they may get close to the record for Dally M Centres.
Yeah, they'll get damn close to it.
They're probably going to get 3.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and yeah.
I know the team wasn't. It used to be just 1, didn't it?
Used to be 1, now it's 2, but still, it's an incredible. Yeah, I don't know who'd have the most. I was even having a look at that the other day. Like GI didn't even win a Dally M Centre of the Year because he never played there.
That's so strange. Even though
bizarre.
The greatest ever centre, essentially.
Yeah.
Didn't win.
I'd say Jamie Lyon would have had 4 or 5 of them, so they've still got a bit to chase. But
what about Asako and his story? Like, the bloke didn't even have a club. Like, he couldn't get a start of the Broncos. He went down to the Titans, I think, for a little bit.
Yeah, he was coming off the bench for the Titans.
And then he basically looked like, mate, you're done. Like, you are not an NRL winger, mate. Ever since he's been at the Dolphins, he's first picked essentially on the wing for them and been outstanding most of the time.
Yeah, I think, in an era of great wingers like Brian Toto and whatnot, like Osako over the last 3 years, you couldn't possibly leave him out of the top 5, could you?
No.
There's no way.
He's probably been the most, like, outside of Daniel Tupou with his whole long career, but the last 3 years, Osaka's probably the most underrated winger in the competition.
He's been phenomenal.
Yeah, because his kicking is phenomenal. He's try scoring. I think he was top try scorer. Can you get his tries over the last 3 years as well?
He's got nine in his first year, 11 last year, then 6 tries this year. No, sorry, that was wins. Holy fuck. He's gone 24 tries.
I was going to say, that's not good for you.
No, 24 tries. So year one, he went 24 tries in 24 games. Last year, he went 12 tries in 24 games. And this year, he's gone 7 tries in 13 games.
So it's a pretty good strike rate for a bloke that didn't have an NRL club. And basically, if we're being fair dinkum, probably got signed to the Dolphins because they were struggling to sign players. And, mate, it's just a great story. Just a great story about a sec. He's still only 29, I think. He's 29 years old still. So,
wow.
Mate, just he had some, I think he lost his father a few years ago. And for him to be able to just push through that somehow, some way, and come out the other end and do what he's doing, it's a great story. It's a really good story.
Goal kicking this year at 88%.
Wow. That's freaking good. That's so good. In regards to some other performances, look, I just as a whole, because it's not a single forward, but their forward pack, they continue to match it with a lot of better sides. They've got scalps of Penrith, the Dogs, and Melbourne Storm, and they're just hunting as a pack. There's no single forward that you could look at and go, that forward has been incredible for the Dolphins this year. But just as a collective, they've been outstanding, absolutely outstanding. And they're probably one of the only teams that have beaten the Melbourne Storm, the Bulldogs, and Penrith Panthers.
Yeah, the buy-in from all those players is incredible.
Yeah.
So
look, just an amazing win, 50... To score 50 points, I saw one guy, as we were rapping, I was giving Katoa a massive rap. He's like, not hard to do that well against the Dragons. And I was like, hang on a sec. There have been gun sevens that haven't scored 50 points against the Dragons. Let's just wool up on that. It's easy to do that against the Dragons.
The Dragons had lost one game this season by 13 plus. That was Anzac Day against the Roosters when they were just ambushed and blown off the park. Outside of that, it's all been tight losses. The Dragons have been consistent. You can say, yeah, the Dragons were awful. Sure, they were, but it was new for this year. Credit to the Dolphins. They put them to the sword.
Even the Roosters, I think it was 46 or whatever. They didn't score 50.
Nah.
It's outstanding performance. And they really are the Smokies of the competition, the Dolphins. They don't have the biggest fan base, so they don't get talked about that much. But right now, they're sitting 7th. They could, if they keep on this run, they could fight for top 4. Anything less than top 8 this year at the moment will be a disappointment for them.
They're that club where, look, I can't see them winning a comp this season or even going deep into finals, but you get to week 1 of finals. They're a team you're playing.
You just never know.
They've got nothing to lose, and that is fearful.
And if it clicks for them, they could just have that one game. As I said, they absolutely towed the Melbourne Storm up. They dominated the Bulldogs. I know the Bulldogs were missing players, but so were the Dolphins. They've beaten Penrith. You wouldn't want to play them because on top of all that, even subconsciously, other players going into playing them on week 1 of the finals are going, it's the Dolphins, we'll sort this out. And all of a sudden, just fucking ambush can happen.
If you were given no context of the last few seasons, imagine if you had to guess which franchise was 3 years old.
Oh, mate, that's a great point. Definitely wouldn't be the Dolphins.
Mate, and if you were also able to be given the context of who got a new coach this year, who's had a shocking injury run.
Who's number 7 is 21, who has a guy, number 6 beside him, Nikorima, who arguably is a better 14, but he's been great this year, by the way. Amazing stuff. So really, really well done,
Just
Dolphins.
a bit of a dampener. Saifidi and Gilbert now confirmed out for the season. And Max Plath will visit a specialist this week, but that's not looking good either.
You know what? I got faith in them, though.
Yeah, mate.
They'll hang in there.
They've got faith in themselves too.
They'll hang in there. If Josh Kirk can reach his heights, you got Marky Nichols. We know what he can do.
Keely's doing good things up there. Yeah.
Donahue. Okay, now on to the Dragons. Wow. I got to say, this is really when the drums start beating about the father-son combination, and Ilias was dropped, and even though I wouldn't make that drastic change, I can understand why there are a lot of fans going, hang on a sec, what's happening here? This was a really, really disappointing day for the Dragons.
Yeah, hugely disappointing, especially because, mate, we don't... I can only talk to myself, but I don't expect the world out of the Dragons. I understand where their squad is at, but what I expect out of the Dragons is that they're not going to concede 56 points. that's their DNA, that they hang in games. They're a tough side that they might not win every game, but they'll hang in every contest. And once again, they went up against a side with so many injuries and so many things going wrong. It's a really bad result for this side. Like I think the result is worse than what that scoreline even looks like.
They were absolutely dominated by a 21-year-old number 7. Like, what do you got there, Matty? Yeah, it's just like, I guess unfortunately it brings into focus is, heading into this season, we've argued on this panel about the halves and the concern around the fact that they just don't generate much for their side at the moment. And you can't talk to the rookie half. He's a rookie, so you're not going to blame him. Then you get a guy like, Katoa, who, granted, I don't suggest every frigging club should have the next big thing in their 7 jersey, but it was a real glaring issue of look at the difference between the level that these 7s can bring to each side. Mm-hmm. And the worry is that, like, okay, they might come out and fight next week and fight really hard, and yeah, maybe their forward pack was dominated. If that's the case, like, I guess if they're getting dominated by a forward pack that's essentially being held together by Band-Aids, it's just a real concern for the Dragons. I don't know what direction they head in. They've already dropped one half. I don't know what direction they head in after such a big loss.
I'll tell you the other thing that really surprised me when I saw the teams come out. Faitala Mariner starting on the left edge. He's played 44 minutes of first grade this year. The last time he featured was in round 2. I don't know what it is with Leilua. Like, I'm sure if you don't want to play him for 80 minutes full game, I get it. But, geez, once Egan's injured and whatnot, I was really surprised by that choice there.
And he ended up having to bloody go off, didn't he? He had an asthma attack. Didn't he on the weekend?
Yeah, he had to go to hospital on that night, I believe, came out the next day. But like that selection just really, surely Leilua was at the point in his career when you go, hey, we've got injuries, we've got this going on. Like I need you to just play decent minutes there.
Yeah, it's very, especially like Leilua can play when he's on, he's bloody good.
Yeah,
very, very, very strange. And I guess the problem is that, if they had lost this game in a tight kind of battle, a tight contest, you could go, okay, Dolphins are much better than we thought they were, and there was all these young guys. But the worry I have is I don't know what direction they head in, the Dragons, because they seem to be a bit just all over the shop. 1 week, really gutsy. I will say, and I don't want to take anything away from an incredibly gutsy win against the Broncos. It was so gutsy, but like they didn't actually play that well. Broncos were just absolutely terrible. Timmy, I'd love to get your thoughts, mate.
Yeah, firstly I'll say, every team in a season gets like one game where you go, you know what, it was too bad to be true, put a line through it, screw tape, screw all that, let's just move on and forget about it. We were off. And like, to be honest, every team this season's just about had it. Like the Doggies got pounded by the Dolphins one game. The Storm got pounded by the Dolphins one game. Raiders got thumped by Manly in the year. The Warriors in round 1 in Vegas, that was too bad to be true. Like, every team has it. This was it for the Dragons. Granted, 56-6 is a lot worse than any other teams had this season. But I've been full of praise for Shane Flanagan this year. How is the second that one player in your back 5 goes down injured, Damien Cook has to go to centre, your hooker / plays lock as well for them. The second Cook went there, and I think he had Herbie on him. He just got given an absolute bath, and as he should. He's a hooker playing in the back line for the best part of about 60 minutes. And look at the team. They had a 4-forward bench of DeBellin, Leilua, Little, and Pacifica Tonga. Emre Gula was their 18th man. Like, how is that your backup plan in the modern day of rugby league with head knocks and injuries and all these sorts of things, sin bins, send-offs? Like, you're putting a hooker to centre. Like, that wouldn't have changed the result, but I tell you what, if a better Dragon side showed up and played better footy, it could have changed the result because it shouldn't have been that sort of a margin. Oh, weird. I know they've had a lot of injuries, the Dragons, but that's a poor selection.
Look, I definitely see your point. Like, maybe it was just a terrible game. Like, just everything could go wrong, went wrong for them, potentially. Like, you could argue they've had 2 of them this year with the Roosters, but the Roosters have got a tendency just to sometimes rock up and absolutely belt sides. So, yeah, I'm with you. Maybe it was just a bad game. I just really worried about this half situation. I don't know what the direction is there. I understand that they're a gutsy, gritty side. I'm just like, so Atkins arrives, Flano stays 7. What happens to the young fella? Just a little bit unsure about the direction.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing. Like you are trying to set yourself up for Atkinson's arrival, and I'm just not sure. Like Atkinson is obviously going to be the 5'8". It took Flano 12 weeks to put the 7 on his back. He wasn't the halfback apparently. Now he is because he wants to be, according to the coach. It's a bit hard to work out what they're actually preparing for next year.
But even then, like Daniel Atkinson, we can't wait to see him as a starter in the NRL, and he'll be a great addition for them. He'll change a lot of aspects of this side. They don't have Nathan Cleary or Mitch Moses coming, or a superstar, or Cooper Cronk coming over to the club. That'd be weird because Cronk's about 42. But you know what I mean? Like, it's Daniel Atkinson. He's been, I shouldn't say, he's been near enough a fringe first grader for a couple of years now and playing off the bench for the Sharkies. It's not a starting half that's coming into your club. He's not going to change everything for them. I don't think he will.
Oh, but that's my kind of point.
I'm not having to go at you. I'm just saying, like, from a Dragons
I'm just like, what's the direction for the next few years? Like, if you want to get into the top 8, is it with your current spine, or is it going to be changes there? Is Flano the long-term 7? Or is what happens then with the young fella coming through? Obviously, Ilias is a little bit on the outer at the moment. I'm just looking at that. I'm like, what's the direction there? What is it going to be? Atkinson, Flano that take you to that next level?
Well, the issue is, and we've spoken about it before, and again, this game aside, I've loved what I've seen from the Dragons this year. I think they've done well, but you talk about long-term direction. Like Clint Gutherson's been a great signing. Damien Cook's been a great signing. But these starting 1 and he's starting 9, like, they're in the last couple of years of their career. Jacob Little, he's 28. He can obviously come in at 9 and he's not overly old, but he's had a lot of injuries in his career. So it's like a lot of their signings, Valentine Holmes, also not that old to be fair, but getting to the back end of his career, there's a lot of short-term signings that will help them in the short-term future, but I don't think it's a squad and recruitment that's building towards winning a comp. The Raiders are the perfect example. Yeah. I'm sorry to keep harping back to them, but, you can
see the direction.
And the Doggies as well. Like, you can see the direction they're building towards the future. It's almost like the signings they've had are a stopgap option to get some better results this year and next year. But when Gutho goes, and then when Cook goes and a few others go, like, all right, where do we go from here? We're not building them in a comp.
That's what I'm looking at.
Flano, in his mind, will be, but what is it?
Yeah, what is it? That's what I want to know, because you've got these really good young forwards that have been, outside of this game, have been outstanding. Just that direction, I wonder where the next step is for them. But just a really, really disappointing game. And look, maybe it was just one game. I guess the problem at the moment for Dragons fans, you beat an abysmal Broncos side. You beat a Knights side that was absolutely terrible. You got up against a relatively informed Dolphins side to a degree and got pounded. Has the last month of footy glossed over a few issues that we haven't seen because they're playing teams that were quite poor. Before this last month, I actually think they've been quite, like, even with the Broncos win, I thought that was such a gutsy win with everything they went through to get that win. I'm pretty happy with the Dragons' season outside of this game, but I'm just a little bit worried. Like, what's the next step? Where's the next? Where are we headed?
Yeah, and it's they have got all these young forwards coming through, which is great,
which is
really
awesome.
Good. Yeah,
which they haven't had for a very long time, and
100%.
That's what's super exciting. Is even if they lose tight ones, I sit there and go, guys, the difference between this year and last year when they were losing tight ones is that these young forwards are great. But I just look at some key positions and I go, when you make that push to be that top 8 side, because right now they're not a top 8 side. They might be. They've got the team to be able to squeeze in there. What's that look like to you?
I do agree with Timmy that I hope in 8 weeks' time we look back and go, this was the blowout game.
Yeah,
this was just the train wreck game.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say I'm confident on that.
Yeah. You can have one of them. 2 of them, you go, all right, we've got some issues here.
The only problem is that they probably have had 2 against Roosters and against Dolphins.
Isn't it funny, though, like, with so many points being scored, getting 40 put on you in the NRL
not
these
like
days, it's not like...
Yeah, it really isn't, especially with the way momentum and all that kind of works. I hope it's just a blip in the blip on the radar. I really do.
Tell you what, big game on Thursday night, Sharks Dragons, 2 teams that won't be Origin affected at all. Val Holmes, Val's a huge loss now with Tuipulotu out as well.
For what it's worth, just they have had some injuries piling up on the Drags. Like,
I'll tell you what, just one positive I just want to mention. I know he had a really tough night out, Nathan Lawson, but when they put the bomb up to him, and I think it was Bostock, absolutely pounded him, absolutely gave it to him, and he got back to his feet. He ran around to take the second carry. I love to see that
stuff. Yeah, absolutely. Look, hopefully it's just a one-off, and they really. What I hope for the Dragons is kind of what you were saying, Timmy, is like they got these kind of shortish term signings that can get them into the 8, which helps them to recruit because they're in the 8 at the moment.
Fair.
And I think maybe that's what Shane Flanagan's looking at. He's going, listen, I just need to get these older guys, just get me in the 8. So that when I do go into the negotiation tables with guys coming to the club, I'm like, look at our young forward pack. Look how good they are. We're in the 8 right now. If you come to this club, who knows what's next? I'm just made 50 plus points with the Dolphins. Like if it was a Melbourne Storm and funnily enough, they beat the Melbourne Storm, or one of the top tier sides, I'd be like, yeah, look, it just happens. But that worries me. And then you go, okay, they beat a terrible Broncos side. They beat a terrible Knights side. They were really professional and clinical about the way they did against the Knights. Hopefully it's just a one-off.
Did Sloan get injured last week?
He got dropped, I think.
Didn't play reserve.
Yeah, Tui Pilotu came into the side, but he obviously was injured.
Was that game? That game would have been after. Was that Saturday or something?
Yeah, it was Saturday.
Yeah, so maybe because Tui Pilotu got injured, they might have hooked him. I might be guessing, but that makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah, fair. But yeah, hopefully just a blip on the radar. Because in regards to my sentiment over the whole year, not thinking about what's the future plan, they've been pretty brave, the Dragons, with the injuries they've had and the close losses they've had.
Yeah, just back it up with good performance.
Actually, no, sorry. This game was on Friday.
Yeah,
I wonder if maybe there was an injury there or something.
Maybe.
Okay, to the Warriors defeating the Sharkies 40-10. This is brought to you by Good Day and Daylights. Use code DMP for 10% off at begoodhealth.com.au. Make sure to get your multivitamin, best in the business. Okay, Warriors defeat the Sharkies 40-10. Mate, this Sharky side, it was going pretty well to start with, but the Warriors just squeezed the absolute life out of them. The Warriors just said, all right, you're going with this for a little bit here. Let's see if you can do this for 80 minutes. And they just absolutely fell to pieces, this Sharky side, which is very unlike... if there's anything you can compliment the Sharkies on, is they're a relatively conservative side that usually hangs in games. The Warriors just said, we have a level of rugby league that you just can't go with us at the moment, and absolutely towed them up.
Yeah, I'm pretty filthy on our betting segment that I didn't take the Warriors 13 plus here. We spoke about it last week, and
you were bullish.
I was bullish, and I fucking cowered out of it as per everything else in my life. Yeah, geez, mate, the Warriors
drive by on yourself.
Yeah, the Warriors losing Barnett. For a lot of people sitting at home, and for me as well, I sort of went, it's a huge loss. I think the Warriors eyeball this as an opportunity to test out their next man mentality, and. Geez, it came up trumps. They're looking fantastic at the moment, the Wars.
And just their ability just to go, we'll just get into a grind. It feels like there's going to be 1 week where they don't do it. And every week, the week where I go, this is the week where it happens, they lost Barnett or whatever, they just go even to another level. They've beaten the Cronulla Sharks, were supposed to be a premiership heavyweight this year. They've gone and beaten them 40-10. 40-10. At the Sharkies' home ground.
Sharks coming off a bye.
Just on top of that as well.
And a big loss to the Roosters.
The Wars lose Barnett that week and they take on AFB. And they absolutely put the cleaners through them.
And Fish just goes, just a reminder of why I won 4 premierships in a row.
Yep. Grab these 2 or 3 young guys and just take them with me.
Mate, he's just... if there is ever an example of stats aren't everything, James Fisher-Harris is that.
Yeah, and just on top of that as well, without Wade Egan.
It's just, and they bring a rookie, Healy, in.
Left Cronulla last year.
So they lost Egan and Barnett, and they've just gone and towed up the Sharkies at home.
With Kate Bull at centre.
It is honestly amazing, and that's why, full credit's obviously Webster, but again, James Fisher-Harris is such a good example of stats aren't everything, because there is clearly something that he has brought to that club where he does not allow any of those players to look at all the negatives and, we're missing this guy, we're missing that guy. He drags the best out of people around him. He truly just forces them to be the best version of themselves, because there's no way the Warriors side last year, if they lost Adam Fanua-Blake and Egan, they're not beating the Sharks 40-10 after the Sharks are off a bye, and also after the Sharks got unfortunately embarrassed by an understrength Roosters side. It's an incredible victory.
Yeah, we sort of spoke about those that, stats aren't everything, and the leadership qualities that James Fisher-Harris obviously brings and the impact he brings off field and, behind the post when they've conceded a try to the Penrith Panthers. And sort of, we spoke about it early in the season, but that bit of a fear of, all right, like if you go to the Warriors and the amount of experience they've lost and players they've lost, if they have a down year, hopefully people don't, like idiots out, they don't start throwing shade at Fisher-Harris and say, oh, it's just the team around him. We're like, if he can take the Warriors to the finals this year with a new roster, what that'll look like, it's like, no, now they're sitting top 4 comfortably, and they've been good just about every single week of the year, barring that round 1 in Vegas. You're going, not just take them to finals, but like they're a genuine premiership threat. The intangibles of James Fisher-Harris, they're like probably
priceless,
above anyone else in the competition.
Look, he's got to obviously, you could argue he's got a premiership to go, but he's getting into Glenn Lazarus areas. He really is, because he's gone to this Warriors side, and they are a premiership threat. He's already won 4 premierships. If they win a premiership, and I know he's got to do it, it's a huge ask, but that's what Lazarus was doing. He was going to different clubs, bringing some kind of intangible thing. Don't get me wrong, he still had the good stuff on the field as well. But that's in my opinion, the areas that Fisher-Harris is getting into.
Yeah, and like you just knew if the Warriors, as many predicted, finished bottom 4, like bottom 8 even, people just look at his numbers and go, he didn't actually do that much. He's just in a gun team. He's averaging 100 metres per game. Irrelevant. It's look where the Warriors are headed
without Mitch Barnett, without Egan. And this is how much of a psycho this guy is. So he puts up a picture on Instagram and he just says, brick by brick. But usually, blokes put up a song like, 50 Cent, If I Can't Do It, It Can't Be Done, or maybe The Game, or I don't know what you kids listen to these days. something hectic. He puts up REM stage music in the house in a heartbeat. You know what music that's from? 28 Days Later, a movie about psycho zombie killers. And I just want to play it for you. This is how it's... Bro, if you're a young fella and Fisher-Harris walks into the room and this is playing just out of nowhere, like, where did that song come from? You're not going to miss your tackles. Are you missing your tackles when he's playing this kind of music in the locker room?
Can I put a quick question to both of you? If Ivan Cleary today could bring back any player from the 4 in a row that he lost into their side today, would it be Fish?
I reckon it would be Fish.
It's Fish, Critter or Luai. I think it'd be Fish for me.
Yeah, I think that, look, you could make an argument for any of them because they're so good. But when you look at how friggin' far the Warriors have come after losing these players, like we've been ranting and raving about Luai's impact, and rightly so. And yeah, the Tigers are having a bit of a tough situation, and they did win the spoon. And obviously you look at the Crichton's impact, which has been absolutely phenomenal.
But they've got Tom Jenkins, so they're covered in the outside backs.
They're covered in the outside backs, exactly. But I mean, Fish, like, what did they finish last year? 13th? Was it 12th or 13th? Something. Look, there's an argument for any of them, but I think that what I will say is not enough people would say Fisher-Harris. Like, that's how important he is to that forward pack.
Just on the Warriors too, the Bulldogs, they have got the best. They've got the best away record this year, 5 wins and 1 loss. Keep in mind, Canterbury, when they have an away game, they're probably getting on a bus 80% of the time. A lot of the time, they're showing up to the same stadium, realistically. The Wars, their away record is 5-2, and Las Vegas was one of their away games. So if you take out Las Vegas, it's 5-1 in the away, and I think that's what's making the difference for the Warriors side, is that they're getting on planes, they're coming to Australia, and they're still getting W's.
Well, I think it's now the most games in a row that they've won in Sydney since their inaugural year.
Yep.
Which is just amazing stuff.
And last year, just getting it up, last year they were 3-9 away from home.
Wow.
No way. Far out.
Sorry. And then the only away games they lost were in Vegas and Melbourne. So they haven't lost a game in Sydney this year.
Yeah, that's crazy. That is crazy. And also the game that they got towed up by Melbourne, Fish went off after, whatever minutes with an injury. Just want to give a quick shout out to Jackson Ford. Came on, he's a real example of the impact a guy like Fisher-Harris will have, because he's came on, he's had 18 runs, 158 metres, 52 post contact, 1 tackle break, 38 tackles, only 1 miss, no errors. Like the level that he has gone to, so much so that, if Mitch Barnett did those numbers, you'd say good knock from Mitch Barnett. It's pretty good from Jackson Ford, in my opinion.
Bloody oath. Yeah.
Yeah, and the other one that I don't really know why, but Chanel Harris-Tavita has been seriously overlooked in everything he's done this year.
True.
I guess because Luke Metcalf's a bit more flashy, he's the goal kicker, he's like a bit of a speed demon for a half and scores some flashy tries, etc. Chanel Harris-Tavita's just gone about his business and he's notching, scored a double on the weekend, he's notching try assists, he's a stable hand, but he's also an extremely good defender and one of probably the better defensive halves in the competition after having a year off. I know I mentioned it last week, but for whatever reason, he's really flown under the radar in the success of the Warriors this year.
He's flown under the radar here because I think that he should at least make our bench for Team of the Week.
I had him in my teammate.
Yeah. What do you reckon? Audible?
Yeah, call it.
100%.
I reckon. Put him on the bench for sure. I reckon we'll bring him in for Paddy. Sorry, Paddy. We'll bring him in on Paddy.
Oh, I don't know.
Sorry, Paddy. We'll bring him in for Paddy because I think you're right, mate. He's been so good this year. And, I think we've probably all been a bit guilty of it because we've been so focused in on Luke Metcalf that Harris-Tavita hasn't gotten the raps that he probably deserves. But, mate, he scored 2 tries and 2 tries against the Sharkies. It's not against a lower tier side in the bottom 4. You're talking about Sharkies that, although they didn't play well, they're still a force to be reckoned with. So, mate, I think it's a great shout.
It's one of them those, might miss a few tackles here and there statistically, but sticks well, rarely big misses, if effective.
Can hit as well, really can hit. And another great story of a guy. Imagine what he's sitting there thinking. He left the Warriors when they were, a basket case, really. Comes back and is like, mate, this is what I've been waiting for the whole time. And Harris-Tavita, me and Roo years and years ago would always say, this bloke just needs a good system. He just needs a system that is going to get the best out of him because right now he's got all this potential and unfortunately the Warriors are in a bad place. They're not getting the best out of him. And all of a sudden, 2 tries, 2 try assists. He's been outstanding. He's been a real good foil for Metcalf as well. Just quickly on the Metcalf, the best stat I love about this is 18 kicks for 612 metres from Metcalf. That was our biggest concern with him heading into this season. All of a sudden, if you kick 600 plus metres in an NRL game, you're doing a good job. So look, this Warriors side, we spoke about it early in the season. This halves combination, this is what they're at now. Imagine what they're going to be like by the end of the season.
It's really disappointing for, not this week, they've got a bye and coming the Wars. In the game after that, they play Penrith. It's backing up from Origin. Ivan sort of said that he won't back up his players. Jesus, disappointing that you won't get Fish versus Penrith.
Ooh.
Full strength. Penrith season on the line in New Zealand.
Fish versus Leota, that will be a fireworks.
It will
the
be.
Big boys.
Yeah, that'll be a cracker.
The Bash Bros.
But that game, I wish I could have it. Friday night, prime time, be unreal.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm absolutely with you. Aaron Clark, once again, most likely going to win Dalian 13 of the season because there hasn't been a game where he hasn't been outstanding. So really, really good win for the... we haven't spoken about him yet. Sorry, he made our team of the week with Val Munga. I hope I'm saying that correctly. Holy moly. So, gets the ball around the 30 or 40. Once again, throws an offload out the back. They make a line break. Then 2 tackles later, he's looking out the back, hitting short for Fisher Harris. Ball playing at least like a ball playing lock, let alone a ball player. He's a front rower ball playing like that. It's outstanding.
Feels like every 2 weeks we have a breakout game for one of these young Wars.
Mate, it's insane. It's insane what they're developing at the moment. And that's not to mention Nia Corde's had the best the best year he's had since he's arrived at the club. What's insane is out of Lecker, Valmunga, it was actually Laban that was the guy last year.
Yep.
And he's, been 18th man quite a lot this year. That's what's scary about this Warriors roster. And we haven't even spoken about Healy, who is in his second NRL game, and they just beat a team 40-10.
Mental.
Jesus. It is so exciting. And also, I think the Warriors reserve grade won on the weekend again.
I was about to do my weekly check-up on them, but I'd be shocked if they didn't win. Yeah, they've only lost 1 game this year still.
Bro, the Warriors are going to be a problem. Think about how many young players that... And look, I know All Blacks will always be the pinnacle in that country, but how many young guys and girls are watching the Warriors right now that are going to go, no, I want to play for the Warriors. I want to... There's a system there. There's good juniors all the way through. They're selling out every game. Whereas if you're a young guy, of course you'd want to play for the All Blacks, but you've got to play club first. And is club as appealing? Is club union as appealing as NRL right now? Maybe, maybe not. But I tell you what, the Warriors are much more appealing than they used to be. So imagine the talent that's going to come out of that country.
That Warriors reserve grade side, they have the best points scored and the best defence as well.
No way.
Yeah.
That is a problem. I mean, when you talk about if you just want to be like purely biased and patriotic as an Australian, that's concerning.
Yeah, big time it's concerning.
In our New South Wales Cup, they're not only the best attacking side. Well, look, if anyone said, "Oh, Warriors New South Wales Cup's the best attacking side," I go, "Yeah, of course. Like that's what the Warriors can do." But also the best defensive side, that's a problem for Aussies.
Their points differential is plus 200. The best points differential in the NRL is the Storm at plus 171.
Jesus. Imagine how much this is going to filter to the Kiwi side as well.
Huge.
Jesus.
Through that weekly New South Wales Cup check-up, do you roughly remember your Joe Roddy stats from last week at the Raiders?
Yeah, 3 meat pies.
3 meat pies from 7 runs. Joe Roddy this week, 5 runs, 2 tries.
Oh.
Wow.
Joe Roddy currently has 5 tries from his last 12 runs.
Nearly a try every second run. Jesus.
He's a Queenslander, you could pick him.
Get him in there. Get him in there. mate, I wouldn't fight against it. Okay, Sharkies. Look, you're nearly hitting panic stations at the Sharkies, and not panic stations of like could they squeeze into the 8, but panic stations of like this season could get away from them really quickly. They had that really good purple patch where they ended up beating the Melbourne Storm, and they looked like they'd turned a corner in big games, but this is the Roosters that dominate them. It's now they've got dominated by a Warriors side that had a few missing, and look, maybe the Sharkies had some missing or whatever, but look. They cannot afford for this to continue for much longer because they could slide out real quick.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the Edo injury, that's going to be a massive one for them.
He scored a try every game.
Yeah.
He's been their best centre.
Yeah, he's been I think he's been their best back, full stop. He's been unbelievable this year, Edo. So, and they've got guys that can fill that spot. Mulatalo, I believe he's back. He's available now. I think it was a 1-game suspension. Harodi or Talakai move into the centres there. But Edo, he's all class. They're really, really going to miss him. And yeah, mate, the Sharkies, they need to turn this around. They are, like when you look at this squad, I think, I said in the preseason, I think that they have been building this squad for 5 years. And right now, probably this year and next year, it's at its apex as far as all the guys they re-sign. You can't really improve this squad too much more. They need to get it together.
Yeah, absolutely. And the biggest concern for me was, I think it was like 20 minutes ago or whatever, in the second half, the Sharks had 33 tackles inside the Warriors' red zone, and the Warriors only had 7 inside theirs. And so, unfortunately, that falls on the halves. Like, you've got 33 tackles inside the red zone against the Warriors, and you can't score points. That's a worry, and it's so frustrating because Nico had such a good month of rugby league before the Roosters game. Like, he found his form again. He was back. Trindle, I'd argue, has had quite a relatively quiet season outside of maybe the first few weeks. But they've got to sort it out soon because they can't afford to have this up and down. If their forwards are going to lay the platform and give them the field position, the halves have got to get the points. Otherwise, they're not going to win games.
I thought the most alarming thing here was half-time, 12 points to 10 to the Warriors. And the Warriors essentially scored on their first set in the second half.
Yeah.
I imagine there must have been some thought process of the Sharkies in that halftime conversation where they thought, okay, like this is one of those games, we're playing one of those top teams at home, they're missing key players, we need to stand up, and they conceded a try in the first set.
And look, I know you could look at like, okay, the Warriors completed at 92%, but the Sharks have a good enough side to combat that, like to go with it at least. And if you go on into halftime, even if it's 12-10 to the Warriors, even if you go in, they score, it's 18-10, and then you have the field position where you have 30 tackles inside the Warriors half. Like, you should be scoring points because then all of a sudden there's scoreboard pressure on the Warriors. It goes to 18-16, and the game's closer, and they might try certain things. But unfortunately, I'd almost be less critical of the Sharkies if the Warriors just completely had all the possession and had them camped down their end. Guess who had more possession? The Sharkies at 51%, and they lost 40-10. That is a huge, huge concern.
Yeah, I mentioned teams can have a one-off game here and have a shocker, and you can sort of let them off the hook a little bit, but that's 2 really poor games on the trot. And to your point, Kempy, no excuses in this, the Sharkies. They were near enough full strength, like missing Ronnie obviously there, but a couple of forwards here, but their forward depth is so ridiculous that they can't use that as an excuse, I don't think. And it was at home, they were off a bye, they completed at 85%, and unfortunately from a Sharks fan's perspective, they were just played off the park by a far better outfit in this game, a side who do have some excuses with some key outs, and I just think that they were very poor. I had a look at it, and it's just a thought, and maybe it's been a little bit cynical, but the Sharks, their 17 never changes barring injury. And I feel like the last few years, at least at the top grade, they've had a few injuries to fringies, but the top grade, they've kept their 17 together pretty well. And the team never changes. And does it like put a lack of maybe like a bit of accountability on players? The Newtown Jets in New South Wales Cup, their reserve grade team, they're sitting fifth, and players never drop for not a bad performance, like a bad string of games. It's always the same 17. And does that lead to some complacency at the stage where they go, no, we're fine, we can miss this, we can miss that? Am I being too critical? Because the two performances they've thrown up against the Roosters under strength and then now the Warriors at home off a bye, I can't find any excuses.
Are they getting comfortable, you reckon? Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, and there is some Sharkies fans that believes Fitzgibbon's too loyal to certain players. Potentially. We've actually got to move along, though, because we are fucking out of time. Okay, Brisbane Broncos defeat the Titans. I don't want to sound like a hater. I'm not a hater. I was stoked with this win, but there's a lot of celebration going on, unfortunately, and I say this respectfully, but it's against the Titans. Like, it's great. They looked much better. Paddy at 13, I love it. Reece Walsh back, yep, he did have some errors, but at the same time, geez, their attack looks different. So it was a really, really good win for the club. The worry I have is like it was Renault's, 300th game or whatever. Like they had a lot of reasons to get up, and I just worry that they get too carried away, that we absolutely towed up the Titans and we're back. And I don't think that's the case. Really good win for the club, but the Titans, unfortunately, are just abysmal at the moment.
Yep. You have got the bye next week into the Sharkies the week after. Mate, with 2 weeks to prepare for that game, that is absolute must win, or this game doesn't mean a heap to
Doesn't
me.
mean anything, yeah.
Like I think it is. It's great. They bounced back. It was incredible, as you said. Adam Reynolds, 300th game. Congratulations to him. They got up around that. As soon as they ran out and they looked like the fucking All Blacks, I think we all sort of went, oh,
those
shit.
jerseys, holy, so good.
Yeah.
So good. And obviously for the Black Dog Institute, incredible work from the Broncos. But, yeah.
I remember sitting with you and Dor probably about 2 years ago now, and I can't remember what jersey it was, but someone brought out a heritage jersey that week, and I said to you guys, when you're wearing a cool jersey like that, like, does it give you a bit of a lift? And you both sort of went, oh, no, like, it's a jersey. Like, it is what it is. If I had to pick one team in the history of rugby league that a jersey like that looks like the All Blacks and has the meaning behind it that it did was going to get a team up, it's your mob there.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. And so hopefully they can just, keep that motivation. I will say, initially when Cobbo had that really good game and they beat the Bulldogs and, you go, yep, okay, maybe, with Reece Walsh's form heading into that, maybe there is a world where there's pressure on that spot. But, geez, once he come back in that side, my God, they've been missing Reece Walsh.
Well, they were coming fifth when Walsh got hurt. The week they were coming fifth, they lost to the Warriors in New Zealand by 2, which now you look back and go, okay, that was actually an awesome performance, at least result-wise. Lost that one, then they beat the Dogs in that sort of big performance in his first week injured. Then they've lost 4 on the trot. He comes back in, and they just look a completely different outfit. There's
totally
energy,
different,
there's spark in attack, and you sort of sit there and just go, far out. Whatever mistakes he makes, we need this bloke in our team, and our lack of replacements for him. And to your point, Kempy, like getting up for Renault's 300, their backs were against the wall. They were back to essentially full strength for this game. So they should have and won this game, won it well, and they did. But it's how do they back it up? Because this Broncos outfit they're seeing at the moment, it just reeks of, they'll get complacent off this win and then they'll get towed up in that game that you mentioned, Roo. So Madge's message for the next 2 weeks is going to be, boys, that win meant nothing. Get excited.
Yeah, enjoy it.
Shown the spark, but it meant nothing.
Off the back of Tim's point, a bye next week has arrived at the worst possible time. And the last thing you want to do is let this Broncos side sit on their hands for 2 weeks.
Yeah. In regards to performances, I thought it was Piacora's easily his best performance in the NRL. I thought he was absolutely outstanding. At a try assist, 177 metres, 74 post contact, 4 tackle breaks, a line break, 26 tackles, no errors, and it was just a mature performance. He He did that. He did the tough stuff. We saw some of the brilliance that he can also bring. Listen, if that's the level that he can play at each week, you've got a really, really good edge back row in your hands. It's just a matter of, okay, that's the standard now. You don't necessarily have to do it every week, but be close to it each week. He was outstanding.
I'll tell you what, I was shocked beyond belief when I looked at the stats after that Staggs only had 13 runs. I felt like he had 40 runs.
I know,
in that
he's
game.
everywhere.
He was everywhere. I thought that was one of the better games I've seen him play in first grade. I thought bringing Karapani in, he was obviously at the South Sydney Rabbitohs and got released. Couldn't really understand why at the time. He's been in and out of this Broncos side, but... And every time he gets an opportunity,
brings energy.
I love the look of him.
He brings energy.
Yeah.
And that's what we just lack. We just want blokes in there just ripping and tearing at the moment.
And credit to Madge for dropping Selwyn and making a statement and going, like, no one's setting this team.
Yep.
They come out and Karapani kills it and they get a big win. So they're the calls you've got to make when you're struggling.
So, really, really good performance from the Broncos. I think you got to just lock Carrigan in 13. I will say, what's ironic with the Carrigan performance is that I sometimes like him in the front row because he just straightens him up and he can just run for you 180 metres every single game. Ironically, when he plays 13, he actually gets more space because they think he's going to ball play. So it's kind of like, which one do you choose? Do you get him to just straighten up, keep it real simple, or do you go, no, put him at 13 because then he has the opportunity to ball play, but that gives him more space. And obviously the try's just... he wouldn't have done that if he was playing in the front row because he would have just tucked the ball and run. Whereas he had the dummy... breaks the line in a one-on-one tackle, then a flick pass. I got to say, even I was in agreement with moving to the front row. Got that wrong. He's got to be 13 at the Broncos, in my opinion. He's got to be 13.
I thought it surprised me the lack of minutes he got, but I thought when he was on the field, Corey Jensen looked good too.
Yep. And I just think that, when you're bringing a guy like Willison on through the middle, it simplifies his game to a degree. Because he come on through the middle too, didn't he? Not the edge?
I think so, yeah.
Pretty sure. So, I think that I think it's the right call. And Jensen's done such a good job for us for so long. 36 minutes, 13 runs, 120 metres. What more can you ask for him? That's exactly what you need for him. So, Payne Haas, another great game, as usual. But, look, Tikora injured. That sucks, but I guess it's all part of rugby league. Good win. Really good win from the Broncos. It's hard to get too excited about it and go through everything when it's just one game. It's against the Titans who are at the bottom of the table. Quickly on the Titans, mate, it is a disaster at the moment at the club. There's no other way to kind of put it. They are in a world of hurt. They look completely disjointed. I understand. They just re-signed, is it De Groot, the young fella, at fullback for a few more years.
Yep.
I'm just surprised at the length that some of these guys, the deals that are getting handed out while they're on the bottom of the table. I'm not understanding it.
Yeah, and to be fair, I think a lot of those guys, they are local juniors that I think they do just love the area. All those fullbacks essentially are local juniors that just absolutely love the place, that have grown up there and whatnot. But yeah, if I was their management or their family, I would be looking elsewhere for sure. If I'm De Groot, mate, love the area, I appreciate that, but where's the opportunity going to come?
Yeah, it's not coming at the Titans unless they're looking to move someone on. But they just only last year they re-signed Brimo till 2028 or something, or 30 even.
Keeney till 2030.
I think I'm just having a look. I thought I saw something last day or two about Jaden Campbell being maybe allowed to shop around. I may have dreamt it. Let me confirm.
Out of all of them, Campbell's been their fucking.
I have dreamt it.
Yeah, but that's what's bizarre. It's out of all of them, Campbell's probably been their best. Not probably. He's been their best.
Well, yeah. Fuck. I don't know. Maybe I'm overreading it, but just if I'm Mal Meninga, going from being inside the Titan system to Perth, surely you do everything you can to get Jaden Campbell and Tino to come with you. Build around those two over there. That's the play I'd be making anyway.
Yeah,
if I was the Titans, I'd be shitting myself about that.
Yeah, I'd be absolutely, because you don't have to pay $1 million for him. Or maybe you do, but you know what? Him at fullback playing full time. Yes, is $1 million a little bit overs for him? A little bit, but to get him to a new club, you've got to pay it. Could he reach $1 million potential at fullback? I think Campbell could, absolutely.
I think he could.
Yeah. And so if I'm the Titans, there's no way he's getting paid $1 million at the Titans.
Yeah, but realistically, which fullback are you going to get to start round one? You're going to be really happy with in 2027. You're not going to pay $1 million for, realistically.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good point. Just trying to look at the length of the contract
Well, whilst you're doing that, mate, I reckon I had about 10 messages the other night from Titans fans just saying, fuck, let Tino go. We can't keep doing this to him.
Yeah. I know. To be honest, it's a little bit like the Payne Haas situation at the Broncos, if I'm being fair dinkum.
Tell you what I would be doing. I'd be signing Dane Gagai in a heartbeat. Come up there, experience. Like, sure, he has his moments in defence, but as you said, so does everyone. Big meters, tackle bars, a leader. I think he would be perfect for them.
Oh, just quickly back on the De Groot signing. They're on the bottom of the table, and they've just given De Groot a contract till 2027. Like, he's a fringe first grader at the moment. Like, and he's got a lot of talent, and he could grow into being a good player. But you're on the bottom of the table. What are you? 3-year deals makes no sense.
Yep.
Like what? Like, surely De Groot would be happy with just a 1-year extension at the moment. Like, you're giving a bloke who's a fringe first grader after you've just re-signed Kinney until 2030, I think it is.
2030.
And then you've got Brimo signed till 2030. And then you've got the one guy that's playing the best footy, not locked in.
In fact, he comes off just before Perth come in. Campbell.
That makes a 3-year deal to a guy that isn't in your best 17.
And if you take out the context of your shit fuckery of your team every week, he's your 5th best fullback. And 3-year deal.
And it's for De Groot as well. I'm with you. If I'm De Groot, mate, you go to a better system where you're going to get the best the best system, the best training, the best team, and there's plenty of potential. He's a really good ball playing fullback. Like, there's no denying De Groot's potential. But why would you stay at the Titans instead of going to another club that's going to bring the best out of you? I don't
like if Keeney's back fit in round 20, he's not in the side, and he won't be in the side next year.
And he won't be for 5 years. Like, he's not. He's decent, but Kinney is outstanding.
Yep.
So I just don't.
And I don't think Keeney, even if they wanted to, they could shift him anywhere else. He's a fullback.
He's a fullback. I mean, they try. He'll be in the 7 jersey in 2 years' time.
Campbell and the Titans have just opened up talks about his future, so watch this space.
But again, I don't get why they're out of all them, Campbell's the most versatile. He can play gun fullback. It all doesn't make any sense why you've basically signed Kinney and De Groot and Brimo last year to long-term deals before locking down Campbell. How does that make sense?
When Campbell's your halfback.
Yeah, Campbell's your number 7 right now, but also he's easily worth 800K at fullback. Doesn't make any sense. I don't know what's going on up there, seriously. Anyway, sorry, Titans fans, but I don't know. I'm trying to look for positives, but it's the Tino thing. I'm with you, boys. It's similar to the Payne Haas thing. Now, Payne Haas management have come out and said he wants to be a one-club player, and I really respect and appreciate that from Payne Haas. But Payne Haas and Tino both deserve to be at clubs that win premierships. It's really that simple. Yep. Anyway, okay.
I got to hit the road.
I get hit the road. Okay,
Yep.
Sweet. Alrighty. Raiders v South Sydney Rabbitohs. Incredible win from the Rabbitohs. Really, really good win from the Rabbitohs. Sorry, not the Rabbitohs. Raiders. Really, really good win from the Raiders. Just ruthless because the Rabbitohs hung in. The Rabbitohs hung in for, what do you reckon, the first half, essentially?
It was just before halftime they let their first try.
Yeah.
I'll come up in half.
And so I look at that and I just go, mate, the Raiders they are the real deal this year. They've done it with Fogarty, without Fogarty. They did it with Papali'i coming in. They played well for him. One of probably their biggest concerns last year is like in big games, they would almost for some reason struggle. Outstanding win from the Raiders. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I sound like a broken record, but just belief again. Like they went down early, the 2 tries, Clyde Matangi, Alex Johnston, after 14 minutes. And in the past, you go, all right, shit, do we have points in us to come back from this? And there was a pass, because Tamale went off injured early, and Simi Sasangi went out to centre, and he threw some ridiculous pass out the back. All right, boys, this is that case of chasing points.
Yep.
And you went, don't forget what's worked for us. And they didn't. They just stuck to their guns, stuck to the game plan, came back, and after that didn't concede a try for the rest of the game, scored 6 unanswered tries. Enormous.
Yeah, it's just I just genuinely believe they can win the comp this year. Not even I'm nervous to say it. And look, doesn't mean they will, I don't know. But I'm trusting the Raiders in big games to win them. I'm trusting the fact that they're going to get to a big game and they will bash most sides.
And the thing is, without digressing from the game too much, but things add up in the sense that, all right, I spoke highly of Melbourne before and how I think they're sort of coasting, but all right, I've got Melbourne as favourites. Then after that, I think there's a number of teams who can win the comp this year, but we look at the main rivals, Melbourne. There's not a team that stacks up better against Melbourne than the Raiders because our pack, I think, is far superior to theirs.
Well, you've got the best win percent against the Storm.
And that's been in years where we've gone not overly well, and the Storm, they're always top 8 or top 4 at the sort of the worst sort of thing. So I think this year, like as much as ever, we play them. I think our pack is going to dominate theirs, and it just takes their spine out of the game. So not saying there's not plenty of other teams we have to beat, but there's a window there that's opened up seemingly out of nowhere.
Yeah. Warriors, Raiders, Dogs, and Storm. And what's good is each team can beat the other team on any given day, in my opinion. And so that's like what's crazy is like Raiders belted the Bulldogs in the first half, then obviously lost the second half, but they've proven that they can score points if they want to. I thought that this, we'll unfortunately have to be quick on this game, guys. But I thought Strange here. This was a coming out party for him, single-handedly. Big moments where he scored. I think it was multiple tries. I don't know if it's back to back, but
first 2 tries.
Yeah, back to back like that. That's genuinely that changed the game. And it was all off his running game. And what I love about that for Ethan Strange is like, in all of the hype around all these other players in the team, he's kind of got a bit lost in the noise to a degree. And what I like about this is that he just had, not only did he do it himself, but the confidence boost that this is going to give Strange heading into the back end of the year so you guys were winning games with Strange being quiet for most of the start of the season. If you add Strange on top of that, now all of a sudden you've got number 6 that can change the game with his running game, you become an even more dangerous side, and that's what's exciting about that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it was a week or two, Ricky Stewart, compared him as will continue to happen through his entire career if he continues to go on the trajectory that he is, but to Loz Daly and Jack Wyden. But the similarities are so similar, right? Yeah. Like they are out and out ball running 5'8". His ball playing is okay. He hasn't had a need to sort of organise a team. His kicking game's okay, but he's a terrific ball running 5'8" who, whether he's a 5'8", whether he's a centre, whatever his best position is, there'll be stuff floated about the forwards throughout his career, I'm sure, as well, and a ball-playing lock, whatever it is. Guess what? The same thing's happened to Jack Wyden and Laurie Daly, who played centre, and talk of putting Jack in the forwards and all these sorts of things, because at the end of the day, they're just great footballers who they run hard, they move well, and they can play a lot of different positions. But as I said, the confidence will give Ethan Strange and just the Raiders moving forward that this bloke, he can create as well. Yeah.
It's scary because, like, as I said, like you've done what you've done with him being quiet. Imagine the extra dimension he adds in attack now when you do win the field position and you're camping the opposition down in their end, and you've got Strange that can just get the ball in his hand and score tries. So that's what's really important. Look, Hudson Young, once again, incredible performance. Look, the real deal. You know who has been frigging unbelievable? Simi Sasangi. Oh, mate, where did he come from? Where is this bloke? He is unbelievable.
When he went to centre, I was like, shit, like he's our best centre backup if someone goes down. When he went out there, he had one run. I can't remember what stage it was, but the explosiveness and speed that he hit out, I was like, wow, this dude can move.
Where did this bloke come from? Has he always been at the Raiders?
No. He was
Knights?
at Newcastle.
Is that the Knights?
Yeah.
So he's
from
one of
New
the young
Zealand.
guys coming through.
Yeah, so he played like SG ball and that with the Knights.
Yeah, and he had a lot of talent. Didn't he? He had some off-field stuff with some family things. Code Sport was speaking a few years ago. Is that the same Sasangi?
Possibly.
I think so. Just can you Google him? So I think he had some off-field stuff or whatever. But mate, he is unbelievable.
Well, I flagged him last week because like the defensive job he'd been coming on the Raiders' edges, and he'd like forced Zach Hosking to not be an 8-minute edge and play in the middle with like Matty Nicholson out and different things. And then he moves to centre. It's like, no, he can cover this as well.
Mate, it is 100. So on the weekend, he played 66 minutes. He had a try, 17 runs, 191 metres, 67 post contact, 4 tackle breaks, 2 line breaks, a line break assist, 12 tackles, 0 misses. Like, the fact that you've just found this bloke, like, not out of nowhere because he's a gun coming through the ranks, but like, no one was talking about Sasangi at the start of this year. No one at the Raiders was.
Mariota, Saulo, Mooney, the Raiders forward devs like Sasangi. Hello.
And then Sasangi's just gone, oh, by the way, I am a gun. He is friggin'. And it's not just 1 week. He's done it multiple weeks now. Man, that is exciting. That is really exciting. Anything there, Matty?
No, it might not be the same because I can't find anything.
Okay, you keep talking Timmy off on it.
Alrighty, what are we on now?
Anyone else stand out for you?
We've already spoken about Big Papa at the top end of the show. Same thing again. We spoke about last week. What the impact of Tommy Starling missing a week to suspension was going to have. Owen Paddy played bigger minutes this week, came straight on the field. Him and Big Papa linked up for 2 tries straight off the bat. So just the depth in these positions. We saw Sanders play last week. We've seen Paddy come up and go, all right, if we have injuries to key positions, we're covered there as well, like 1 to 17.
Yeah, he's like the squad you guys are building is crazy. Like, what's crazy is you could lose 2, 3, 4 starting forwards and bring in some of the best young forwards in the competition.
Possibly the only spot, it's not saying we're not covered, but I feel like we are covered across the board, is just fullback. And Chevy Stewart, well on it, he's ready. He's good enough to come up and play NRL. We've seen it and he's gone well. But all of a sudden when you find yourselves in a window, all right, if Kayo Weeks goes down and Chevy has to come up, can he be a fullback to take as sort of a premiership? So not that pressure needs to be on his shoulders at this stage, but I'm looking across the board at depth and I feel like we're covered pretty well everywhere.
Yeah. It is just what's happening at the Raiders is the scary prospect for the Raiders and even the Warriors to a degree. Like, I don't think you're in your final form. Like, I don't think either coach is sitting there going, we're at the pinnacle of the plan that was put in place. You're literally at the start of the next generation. It is. Mate, it is so special. Anything there, Matty, or not really?
No, the only thing I can find is that he broke COVID breach about 5 years ago.
Okay. Well, anyway, he's a gun coming through the Knights. I think he was mates with Tomoko growing up. But anyway, yeah, great. So really good win from the Raiders. Onto the Rabbitohs. I'm disappointed they let the game get away from them, but for most of it, I was pretty happy with the Raiders. Like, they're still missing some key players. Disappointing they let it get away. They've got to sort that out. But I'm not too fussed, to be honest. I just think the Raiders are so friggin' good at the moment. Matty, I'd love to get your thoughts, mate.
Yeah, I'm not as sympathetic. I think they started really well. I just think, a lot of people have actually come back for South. Walker came back, Whiten's back, Ty Munro came back. The only real person that was missing really was Cam Murray in that game. Like, I know, like, Ravalawa and that, like, there's a couple, but I thought they started really well, but then
they started really well.
I think the benches were the difference. Yeah. Like, the Raiders have so much depth, and then our forwards came on off the bench, and they just couldn't match it with them. So I was pretty disappointed that they let that lead. Like, I don't mind getting beat by the Raiders. I just thought 36 unanswered points was pretty disappointing. I found
Cody Walker did go off, I guess.
Walker went off, and that's becoming a little bit of a concern. Like, he's getting a couple of niggly injuries. Humphrey starting on the bench. Jaden Sullivan. I've liked Sullivan this year. He didn't have a good game, but that's a weird one. Jai Gray didn't play. There was a couple of kind of not weird decisions, but decisions that I didn't think would happen. So yeah, I'm actually really interested for 4 o'clock today. I don't know what team they're going to roll out, because I'd be shocked if Jai Gray isn't in that team somewhere.
Latrell will be out, so Gray.
Oh, of course, Origin.
But there was a lot of poor defensive, just individual defensive efforts that I think cost you big time.
Like Jaden Sullivan, he's chopped down some big dudes this year. He's had some great one-on-one tackles. His defence wasn't great on the weekend.
Like went back to square one because it had been improved, but he had 1 or 2 awful efforts in this one. There was I think it was a strange try. Kepi just not going across and leaving this gap wide open. Yep. Just a few little lapses from individuals, and it just cost you dearly.
Cost us big time. And against the Raiders, who I have as a premiership contender big time, you just can't do that against the Raiders. So yeah, I've been pretty happy with our performances all year. I was pretty disappointed with that one.
Yeah, that's fair. Look, positives are Keon against a top-tier forward pack, still absolutely dominated. 48 tackles, 0 misses, 200-plus metres.
A big positive as well, and yes, for Keon, he's a beast, but Ty Munro coming back, some of his carries coming out of trouble.
Looks good, man.
And they just put him straight into centres. Like, he's a freak. He's a freak, so... Yeah.
So, look, that's fair, Matty. That's fair. They did let the game get away from him, and they do have a lot of their players back. We'll see. I got faith Wayne will bounce back. I do. Sure. Okay, Panthers, you can go if you want, Timmy. Sure, yep. Panthers v Tigers. Panthers defeat the Tigers 18-14. I know Benji was a bit critical of some of those decisions, and, yes, to a degree. What's funny though, I actually thought the biggest joke was one of the tries they scored where, you know, when Toto bumped Luai and they said that he hadn't taken his advantage and he offloaded and they got the ball back. The Tigers got the ball back. And they said that he hadn't taken advantage and then they ended up scoring on the next play. What is going on with this advantage
This
rule?
advantage rule this year,
It's a joke.
I just don't get it. I don't understand.
So Toto can bump two players, offload as well, so he can run 5 to 8 metres, bump two players, offload, they knock the ball on, and then they can say advantage wasn't taken.
yeah, it's
What
weird.
are you talking about?
Like we're a sport that plays in the grey, and I understand why they changed it a few years ago. I think they had like a 10-metre rule last year going up and down the field. So the idea was if they didn't go 10 metres, they could still pass it 20 times. But like a bit of common sense. Like there's been a couple this year that have been shockers.
It shouldn't be a free hit because that's what it is at the moment. It's
Yeah.
a genuine. You can do whatever you want. If it doesn't work, you get the ball back, or if it does work, great.
Yeah.
Like
That's
reason
not the rule.
It's not the reason why Toto got like through that offload is because he probably knew it's a free shot.
Yeah.
I don't get it. I thought they were robbed there. I thought it was a really poor call. Do I think that the Panthers didn't get bad calls though? Like I do. Like although you know some of them were self-inflicted, I do think they were trying to slow the ruck down quite a lot, and they had a lot of piggyback sets coming in there. And I did think they got some tough calls against them. I just think once again, are the Panthers anywhere near their best? No, not really. But they're just so gutsy. They are so gutsy. In any time that they've just camped on their line, they just hang in there. And so I just think, once again, just like last week, this was a heart win. Just winning purely on heart.
I thought the Tigers were good, and that's why I'm actually in 100% agreement. So I thought this game was pretty like, because I thought the Tigers showed guts. I thought the Panthers showed guts.
Yeah.
I just back on the decisions. I know what you're going to say, but just people are going to scream for it. Sorensen's not a hip drop, right?
I don't think it's a hip drop.
I didn't think it was a hip drop.
Because he didn't land on his back of his leg.
Yeah, and also I know the old "what's he supposed to do" thing kind of gets annoying. But he's trying to
What
save
is
a
he
try.
supposed to do?
He's trying to save a try.
Listen. Like, in that scenario, you're basically saying to him, let him score. And also, he didn't land on his legs. And like, okay, yes, he did the swinging motion and whatever, but like, I don't know. First of all, like, did he intentionally do that? Like, yes, he lost his legs, but he lost his legs because that's the only way you get the player down. He didn't make contact with the back of his legs. No, I was okay with that. I just think it was a great try-saving tackle.
I thought it was great. Yeah, but I do spend way too much time on X. There was a lot of differing opinions.
I understand the frustration.
Because it does look like one. I get it.
It does look like, but he didn't land on the back of his legs. And so I guess, listen, if you're a person that believes in the hip drop rule, and so no matter what happens, if they lose their legs and swing around and they don't hit the back of the legs, and in any other play you would call that a penalty, then fair enough. That's a reasonable opinion to have. But if you're only saying that because you want the Tigers to beat the Panthers and you're just using that, it looked like a hit drop, I'm looking for any reason to give it a penalty, then it's like, you've got to be consistent, bro. It's either that's always a penalty and it should be, but the problem is most fans don't think that should always be a penalty.
Yeah.
Like if that happened in the middle of the field and he didn't touch his back of his legs and that got called a penalty, most fans would be like, are you serious? How soft has the game gotten? He didn't even touch his legs. What is he supposed to do there? Me personally, I don't think it was a penalty. But that's because I don't think that should be a penalty every time. If you grab someone from behind, you swing around and you don't land on the back of their legs, I don't think that should be a penalty.
Yeah, I can think of a few examples this year which look like hip drops, like if you've got one eye on it, but to your point, aren't. Like there was a Munster one earlier in the year. There was a Jack White one where he actually did get penalised for it, but he ended up getting charged for it. So I think they're figuring it out. I think that was the right call.
I think it's the right call. If you don't land on the back of the legs, like the way I see a hit drop is if you lose your legs, but then your body hits them in the back of the leg, and that's what forces them. Like if you're landing on the back of their legs, and that's what forces them to fall back, then that's a hip drop. If you just lose your leg and swing around, and your weight brings them down, but you don't land on their legs, that's not a hip drop to me. That's just you using your weight to pull someone down.
Yeah, no, I totally agree.
In my opinion, anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought it was a gutsy performance by Penrith, and I thought it was gutsy by West Tigers too. Like, you've got to remember, like, yeah, I know it's a bit of a tough time for the Tigers, but like, mate, they've won 3 spoons in a row, and they're hanging in most games. They just got to ride it out. They really do. It'll turn around from them. They got up against a desperate Penrith Panthers side. Like, truly, Sorensen tackle, that was to keep their season alive.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, that was for their
They
whole
can't afford
season.
losses like this anymore.
Yeah.
This is kind of a credit to both teams, but I spent the last 20 or 30 minutes of the game pretty confident the Tigers were going to come and win. And that's a full credit to the Panthers for holding him out. But, I was speaking to Hammy about it. If you ask Hammy at the start of the year, this kind of game, 4-point loss against the 4-time premiers, as the Tigers, you take that in a heartbeat.
Yeah, for sure.
Just one performance from the Tigers I really liked. What do you think of Seyfarth at 13? I thought it was much better than him being on the edge.
Yeah, didn't mind it. It's just hard though, because like you can have these like one games where it's great, and then the bloody look, the Tigers, they're 14th. They're 5 wins. They're actually only 1 win behind the Broncos.
Yeah, right.
So that's not too bad.
Fuck, it doesn't feel like they're 14th.
I know it does. It really doesn't. But like again, the Rabbitohs are on 6 wins. The Panthers, they're actually on equal wins. The Panthers and the Tigers.
Yeah, the Panthers just had that draw. Yeah, yep.
And so like 5 wins, if they can just find a couple wins over the next few weeks. I'm just looking at who they're playing. So they got a bye this week, so that's good. That's a win for them.
Yep.
Round 16. Oh man, they got the Raiders.
Oh no, they got Raiders, Manly, Roosters, Warriors. Pretty
tough.
Pretty tough. It's on the tougher side.
Pretty tough. But with the Panthers, just quickly with Jenkins. Oh my God, what a game!
Yeah,
seriously.
I think he had 5
line breaks. This guy was going to play local league this year.
I know.
I stress it all the time, but really, we don't lack talent. We lack good systems.
Yeah.
We really do. Here's a bloke that was literally going to be in local league this year. Now he's doing this in the NRL.
Yep.
Like, that shows you that we have so many systems that are not bringing the best out of players. Outside of that...
it's hard to pinpoint anyone from Penrith outside of Jenkins because it was just a gutsy win, I thought.
Yeah, it was a gutsy win. I mean, they did have 7 line breaks to 2, which is good. But yeah, in regards to West Tigers, look, just gutsy. Tough loss. Terrell May once again, 21 runs, 173 metres,
Outrageous.
59 post contact, 3 tackle breaks, 2 offloads, 52 tackles, only 1 miss. Alrighty, Doggies defeat the Eels 30-12. And I'll tell you what, the Doggies just clinical. And, I will say the Eels, some of their goal line defence was absolutely phenomenal. And for 60 minutes of this game, I think the Eels can be extremely happy. Now, granted, the last 20 minutes or so, they ran away with it. But, mate, the Eels have come so far. If you're getting beaten 30-12 by the number 1 side in the competition right now, in a, genuinely the first year of a rebuild, I don't mind it, especially for 60 minutes. It was like a close game. I actually think the Eels can take a lot away from this, and I think the Dogs just clinical as usual.
At halftime, because I had a few bets riding on the Dogs, I was very, very nervous because I just thought the Dogs were in control, but then Parra just were gutsy enough to bring it back to 12 at halftime. And you're right, the score, it was 30-12, but that was on the last 20 minutes, and Parra fans obviously won't be happy about that. But the Dogs are winning the comp. They were so good, and yeah, I thought Parra were very, very good for the first half, reasonably good to start the game, and then obviously they just faded away at the end.
But that was a lot of the pressure. They was camped on their line for so long. Their goal line defence was absolutely phenomenal. In regards to the Bulldogs, man, I mean, some of these performances, obviously, Tracy, I will say, people need to start talking about Harry Hayes because he is absolutely outstanding. The last few games he's played, he's not getting enough raps. We always talk about this small forward pack for the Bulldogs. Harry Hayes right now, in 63 minutes, had a try, 23 runs, 218 metres, 74 post contact, 2 tackle breaks, 41 tackles, only 3 misses. He is going to be an absolute gun.
Yep.
Look, he's 23 years old, so he's still relatively young. And look, rightly so. Max King deserves all the headlines and all these other forwards. Kurt Mann, get all that. But right now, if I'm a Dogs fan, Harry Hayes, he is unbelievable and he deserves raps. And I tell you what, if you are to go on and challenge for a premiership, it's going to be guys like Hayes that step up because he's been outstanding.
Agreed. And other guys as well, I know he's been injured, but it's guys like Jack Todd. These guys were, nobody knew them a year ago. And this 4-pack, I remember at the start of last year in the season preview, we were all like, well, I certainly was like, this 4-pack is terrible. And now they've suddenly got like all this depth for these young guns. So yeah, Harry Hayes, he's been phenomenal.
He's been phenomenal,
season.
and he plays on the edge. He plays in the middle.
So good. It's a good example with South as well. Like South have Keon and Jairo. It's just so good to have that versatility in the 4-pack.
Yeah. So like Harry Hayes for me, he's been the unsung hero of the last month or so, and the amount of times they've had players out and they've needed Hayes to step up, I just think that he's been so good. Doesn't get enough raps for how good he's been. And I'm sure Doggies fans know how good this guy is, but we're talking about a 23-year-old right now that's coming off the bench or even starting sometimes, that's running for 200 metres, he's scoring tries, he's, that's special. Like we've been a bit spoiled with guys like Tino and Payne and whatever, but usually like 23, if you've got a good front rower at 23 years old, that's usually a really, really good sign. And what's crazy is like he can play second row as well. I'm just looking at these last few games, like
he's just never looked out of place, has he? He pretty much bursts onto it, but like kind of subtly bursts onto the scene. But he's just every time I watch him, he's incredible.
Yeah. And so, last week he ran for over 100 metres. Against the Raiders forward pack, he had 127 metres. In the first year, the round one, he had 148 metres. And like he's coming off the interchange for every game except
two. Yep.
And he's getting sometimes he'll come off the bench and run for that many metres. So, he is a special like for example, he's ran over 100 metres off the bench in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games out of 14.
Yeah.
And actually, I think he was injured for some. So what's that? 8, 9. Yeah, sorry, he's injured 6, 7. So he missed games. So 7 games out of 12, he's ran for over 100 metres off the bench, I'm pretty sure. It's a bloody good strike rate. So he's a talented star of the future. Obviously, Max King, he went to another level on the weekend. But yeah, really, really exciting stuff. I mean, the fact that you can move a guy like Curran to the edge is insane.
Yeah.
It shows you the depth they're currently working with. I'm just looking at Max King. Max King, 19 runs, 229 metres, 83 post contact, to tackle break, 1 offload, 27 tackles, 0 misses, 0 errors. Like, bro.
I really noticed him yesterday.
Yeah.
I think this Origin period is the best thing. This Origin selection, is the best thing to happen
ever
for the Doggies.
Yep.
Because Max King is just going to elevate his game to another level.
And what's crazy is like their rotation now is Hayes, King. They've got Thompson coming to the club.
Yep.
Who else they got coming to the club? They got Zion from the Warriors in reserve grade.
As I said before, they've got Todd, who he's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
Jack Todd.
So just like, mate, there is so much to like about this Bulldogs. They're so clinical. I thought Burton had one of his best games in a Bulldogs jersey. I thought he was phenomenal.
He was great. Yeah, he was
and
awesome.
the good thing about Burton, especially if with Galvin being, yes, Galvin is a ball runner for sure, but he's decent ball playing. When Burton runs, he's unstoppable. And so if I'm Serraldo, I'm almost saying, mate, I just need you to run the ball most times. And, we'll find a way to get the ball out to some of the back rowers and the centres or whatever. But, mate, I thought he was outstanding. Just a really, really good performance from the Bulldogs. And just clinical. And just as well, finally, Kiraz, 216 metres, 73 post contact, 6 tackle breaks, 7 offloads.
Yeah.
7 offloads. Mate.
It's a pretty important offloads too.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I haven't even brought up Hopoi.
Yeah.
He's a gun coming off the bench as well. So really, really exciting times. Great win. We already spoke about Galvin in the Kayo Can't Miss moment, guys. So if you're a Bulldogs fan, sorry for the short review, but if you want more review, go back to the Kayo Can't Miss moment because we speak about the Bulldogs there as well.
Last thing, what are thoughts on Kikau Simbin?
Oh, ridiculous. And
You
look,
reckon?
Yeah, I thought it was ridiculous.
Okay.
Did you thought it was okay?
I just thought according to the rules, he hit his
I thought it was
kicking leg.
ridiculous. I thought Mitch Moses sold it.
He sold it.
He sold it. Look, I think if we're sin binning for that, come on. Ridiculous. Like, they keep saying it's a really dangerous situation. Like, how many players have gotten injured from that? Like, I understand a penalty. I'll cop a penalty, but a sin bin? I just don't agree with it. I thought that was ridiculous. I just think that the video refs need to be able to identify when a player is diving. And yes, did he make contact with his leg? He did. But Mitch Moses was clearly diving then. And I just think that I'm happy if it's a penalty, for sure. That's enough of a deterrent. I don't think it should have been 10 in the bin, though.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with the black and white thing there, especially because I understand not many players do get really injured, but it does happen. Like Lockie Ilias broke his leg last year. I just think
In reserve grade.
kicking leg. Yeah, true. Kicking leg. You can't touch a kicking leg. So.
Yeah, I don't see it as like this crazy problem that we have, and a penalty is enough of a deterrent in my opinion. I think a penalty would have sufficed then. I just think the 10 in the bin was too much. But I understand if you want to go black and white, I get it. I just think that you've got to identify when a player is clearly diving and making it look way more dramatic than it really is.
Yeah.
Like for example, the Luai tackle, that was ridiculous, but it looked dramatic. And so I think video refs are too concerned about how dramatic it looks with actually what actually happened. But anyway, I get it. Listen, look, to be honest, it doesn't bother me that much. Like I'm not sitting there blowing up about it. If you want to, if the NRL want to die on that hill and say we are going to do this until it's gone, then be consistent. Because I've seen plenty of other times where a guy's hit someone's leg and not been sent 10 in the bin.
Yeah.
And so that's what I always ask for is consistency. But anyway, it didn't change the game. Bulldogs were always going to win. I thought, as I said, great performance, 60 minutes from the Eels. I thought their goal line defence was outstanding. Just need to fix that last 20. But if you're going to tell me the number one team is going to beat a team in the first year of a rebuild 30-12, I'm okay with that. Okay with that. Especially if you actually watched the game and you first saw that first 60 minutes. Alrighty, make sure tonight, 6 p.m, the maroon and blue drop is happening. And hats. We've got the jumpers and the hats. Do not miss it, guys. It is the best way to support the platform. It is the way that we can have Guru, we can have Timmy, we can have Hello Sport. It helps us pay the bills, guys. So support the platform. Grab your hoodie. No, sorry, not your hoodie, your sweater. Grab your hat. Join the Bloke Club. And as usual, I'll go and fuck myself. Thank you.
Imagine what you could be buying instead. For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.